Toru Iban traveled beside Sane's party rescuing monsters' victims, while Lisa gratefully watched his dependable actions during dangerous missions everywhere together. The party defeated enemies together, but Sane suddenly requested serious discussions with Toru, worrying everyone despite their strong childhood friendship bonds. Toru listened silently after Sane expelled him completely, leaving him shocked because their promised future adventures suddenly disappeared forever overnight. The confused group gathered inside headquarters, while Toru questioned their decision and noticed everyone avoiding his disappointed expression carefully. Sane explained Toru hindered upcoming battles, forcing him accepting painful separation. Quietly, while remaining companions supported their leader reluctantly inside. Lisa returned Toru's engagement ring sadly, explaining dangerous battles required stronger companions because his abilities remained far below. Toru faced silent companions, noticing nervous reactions surrounding him, while Sane calmly watched the uncomfortable atmosphere inside headquarters tonight. Sawara and Naiti avoided defending Toru completely, while Sane quietly smiled nearby after successfully separating their longtime trusted friendship permanently together. Toru realized everyone considered him unnecessary afterward. Understanding his presence interrupted their relationships and enjoyable adventures together during dangerous missions. Sane finally revealed betrayal involving Lisa publicly, leaving Toru devastated after discovering his closest friend secretly stole his beloved fiancée away. Furious after hearing Sane's betrayal, Toru punched him violently across tavern tables, while shocked companions watched the sudden confrontation unfold. Toru shouted angrily about Lisa's broken engagement promise, while Sane laughed carelessly after destroying their longtime friendship. Naoni stopped Toru forcefully, while Sora insulted him harshly despite understanding his painful heartbreak and emotional suffering inside tavern. Lisa's engagement ring slipped onto the floor, leaving Toru silently staring, while realizing everything between them completely ended forever. Lisa rejected Toru directly, demanding distance immediately while he stood speechless, devastated completely after losing companions, trust, and love together. Rain covered the quiet town, while Lisa sadly whispered farewell, leaving Toru abandoned completely after losing companions. Toru wandered alone through empty fields, staring painfully toward Lisa's engagement ring, while tears mixed together with heavy rainfall. He remembered Lisa's gentle smile, recalling happier moments together before betrayal destroyed their future. Overwhelmed by anger and heartbreak, Toru screamed loudly across rainy plains, while desperately struggling against painful emotions and unbearable loneliness alone. Toru remembered Lisa beside Sane, realizing bitterly their relationship already collapsed long before discovering their hidden betrayal completely himself. Toru screamed angrily beneath heavy rain, releasing heartbreak and frustration completely after losing trusted lover. Exhausted from emotional suffering, Toru collapsed silently across empty grasslands while thinking carefully about his uncertain future ahead alone afterward. Toru reviewed his strange abilities, realizing his saving skills appeared weak despite possessing many unusual supportive powers and techniques. Comparing himself against stronger companions, Toru blamed his useless abilities sadly, while believing different powers could have prevented everything from happening. While traveling alone afterward, Toru suddenly encountered a dangerous black demon dog, approaching aggressively across abandoned wilderness during heavy rainfall nearby. Toru attacked the black demon dog fiercely, using overwhelming frustration and anger to release painful emotions through violent combat alone. After defeating the monster easily, Toru noticed strange notifications appearing suddenly while mysterious energy surrounded. Unexpected system messages transformed Toru completely, rebuilding his damaged body while changing his race into powerful dragonmen through mysterious abilities. Strange rings expanded around Toru, while notifications warned his experience savings became damaged during the sudden transformation process. Toru checked his updated status, discovering unbelievable level growth, while struggling carefully to understand mysterious notifications and transformation changes completely. Toru finally understood his saving experience ability activated automatically after accumulated experience completely released itself through sudden destruction unexpectedly afterward. Remembering endless struggles, Toru realized accumulated experience prevented leveling previously, causing painful misunderstandings surrounding his weakness and abilities completely afterward. After accepting reality calmly, Toru decided traveling worldwide alone would help him recover emotionally from painful betrayal and abandonment recently. Despite lingering heartbreak, Toru gained confidence through overwhelming strength, believing new adventures could gradually repair his damaged emotions completely. Toru departed toward neighboring countries, beginning independent travels, while leaving painful memories and former companions behind forever peacefully alone. Toru arrived inside Armand, exploring crowded streets carefully, while searching for peaceful opportunities beyond painful memories and betrayal recently. Passing through town afterward, Toru discovered a slave store suddenly, reminding him painfully about trust, companionship, and former relationships wanting dependable companionship. Toru considered purchasing battle slaves carefully because emotional betrayal destroyed his confidence trusting people completely recently. Inside the slave store, Toru requested reliable combat companions, while the merchant calmly prepared available selections for inspection immediately. The merchant introduced expensive battle slaves including powerful lizardmen fighters, while Toru carefully examined potential companions for future adventures ahead. The merchant recommended an inexperienced elf slave, explaining she lacked combat abilities but possessed potential magical support capabilities later. After hearing Toru's limited budget, the merchant guided him deeper inside cheaper sections containing abandoned slaves available there. Toru inspected weak, neglected slaves, noticing miserable conditions everywhere, while the merchant explained their extremely low market values carefully. Walking deeper afterward, Toru suddenly discovered a quiet elf girl imprisoned separately, while the merchant hinted unusual hidden potential mysteriously nearby. The frightened elf noticed Toru's overwhelming level immediately afterward, while the merchant surprisingly offered purchasing her cheaply. The merchants explained her serious illness weakened her body constantly daily, as Toru learned the elf girl's name was Kaide. Feeling sympathy toward Kaide, Toru decided purchasing her immediately, while praising her gentle name and frightened appearance kindly there. After completing the contract afterward, Toru invited Kaide outside carefully, while she nervously followed him through unfamiliar crowded streets nearby. Kaide suddenly collapsed from weakness afterward, forcing Toru carrying her carefully, while reassuring her safety during their difficult journey together. Visiting doctors afterward, Toru discovered Kaide suffered rare beastfolk illness, despite appearing human, leaving mysterious questions surrounding her identity completely. Doctors examined Kaide carefully afterward, discovering beastfolk traits hidden beneath her appearance, while Toru searched desperately for treatment methods nearby. A doctor recommended dragon heart medicine afterward, warning ordinary treatments failed completely, while Toru reassured frightened Kaide gently beside him there. Toru promised healing Kaide completely, explaining her recovery mattered greatly, because he wanted dependable companionship during future adventures together. Kaide listened silently, while Toru treated her kindly, leaving her confused because previous masters never showed genuine concern before previously. After receiving medicine successfully afterward, Toru thanked the doctor cheerfully, while preparing continuing travels together beside recovering Kaide peacefully. Toru traveled deeper through dangerous forests afterward, carefully observing unfamiliar surroundings while searching for safe routes. Hidden goblins secretly followed Toru afterward, but he noticed suspicious movements immediately while continuing cautiously through dense wilderness paths nearby. Toru realized monsters feared something greater afterward, wondering carefully what terrifying creature frightened nearby goblins into hiding silently there completely. Suddenly, overwhelming pressure appeared afterward, while Toru remembered dragons normally required organized armies, leaving him questioning survival chances alone immediately. A gigantic dragon emerged before Toru, afterward, roaring fiercely across the forest, while completely overwhelming him through terrifying monstrous presence nearby. Facing the gigantic dragon afterward, Toru panicked briefly, while realizing the terrifying monster towered overwhelmingly above nearby forest areas completely there. Remembering Kaide waiting safely afterward, Toru challenged the dragon courageously, because protecting companions mattered more than escaping danger immediately there. The dragon attacked violently afterward, destroying surrounding terrain while Toru desperately defended himself against overwhelming destructive power, alone standing before enormous jaws afterward. Toru prepared counterattacking carefully, despite understanding one mistake could immediately cause death. Remembering painful betrayal afterward, Toru refused abandoning others again, while charging fearlessly toward the dragon during desperate life-threatening battle alone. Toru violently slicing through giant dragon, while unleashing frustration from recent betrayals and painful rejection completely. The massive dragon collapsed immediately, scattering destroyed body parts everywhere, while Toru continued attacking, without hesitation across nearby battlefields. Forest shook violently during Toru's overwhelming attacks afterward, proving his hidden strength, easily defeated dragon surrounding the dangerous wilderness alone. Toru finally understood his true power afterward, realizing his level exceeded 300, while previous companions constantly underestimated his incredible abilities. Later, Toru prepared mysterious medicine inside a quiet building, planning helping exhausted Kade to recover. Toru carefully fed medicine to Kade, helping her weakened condition improve, while she quietly trusted his sincere kindness completely. Kade rested peacefully afterward, while Toru observed medicine effects carefully, noticing small improvements appearing throughout her recovering body overnight slowly. Toru reflected upon recent battles afterward, realizing overwhelming power required caution, because uncontrolled strength could easily create dangerous future consequences everywhere. Morning arrived quietly afterward, while Kade continued sleeping peacefully nearby, leaving Toru confused yet relieved seeing her healthy condition improving gradually. Toru visited a local restaurant afterward, requesting cooked meals, while carrying remaining money carefully during his peaceful temporary village life alone. Toru cooked red dragon meat afterward, surprising restaurant workers, while preparing expensive meals using monsters he recently defeated during dangerous battles. Toru happily tasted dragon steak, realizing powerful monsters could become delicious meals instead of terrifying enemies. Kade received breakfast afterward, while curiously learning about dragon burgers, slowly enjoying peaceful moments beside Toru inside their temporary home together. Toru noticed Kade's damaged clothing afterward, deciding she required proper outfits before continuing their future travels safely together outside nearby towns. He brought Kade shopping afterward, helping choose clothes and weapons while she happily explored stores throughout the peaceful village marketplace nearby. Kade quickly mastered iron fan weapons, surprising Toru while demonstrating natural combat talent during practice. Toru guided Kade through crowded markets, helping her experience ordinary village life while quietly observing her cheerful reactions. Kade shyly accepted food, happily eating snacks, while thanking Toru sincerely for treating her kindly throughout their peaceful travels together. They rested together inside the village park, while Kade continued respectfully calling Toru her master despite his embarrassment repeatedly. Kade stubbornly defended calling Toru master, showing deep attachment toward him, while quietly enjoying peaceful moments together beside nearby village streets. Kade worried Toru disliked troublesome slaves, quietly fearing he eventually planned abandoning her during their peaceful journey together someday. Toru gently comforted Kade, patting her head carefully, while rejecting her fears about being abandoned completely by him forever. Toru promised remaining beside Kade, assuring her she would never face loneliness again during future travels together peacefully anymore. Kade happily accepted Toru's promise, deciding supporting him mattered most, despite his insecurities about becoming her proper master someday. Kade desperately begged staying beside Toru forever, openly declaring complete loyalty, while emotionally clinging toward the person protecting her safely. Toru suggested trimming Kade's long bangs, but she apologized nervously because cutting hair alone frightened her completely inside nearby village streets. Suddenly, mysterious power exploded around Toru, shocking him completely while strange energy surrounded his body during peaceful conversation beside Kade there. Toru suddenly felt strange energy spreading inside his body, while Kade watched quietly beside him near the village bench. Several system notices appeared before Toru's eyes, while Kade nervously observed his broken skills gaining unexpected powerful new effects. Toru examined his trembling hands carefully, while Kade stepped back silently, shocked by his rapidly increasing strange hidden abilities. Kade praised Toru happily beside the bench while he apologized calmly and proudly questioned whether his strength seemed impressive. Toru checked his status screen seriously and discovered multiple abilities exceeded normal limits, making him question dangerous future consequences. Toru calmly asked Kade about her wishes, while she nervously checked his condition beside the quiet wooden bench that evening. Kade hesitated before quietly requesting soap from Toru, hiding her embarrassment, while imagining proper baths during their journey together someday. Inside the inn bathroom, Kade nervously asked whether they would bathe together, blushing heavily while staring toward Toru for answers. Toru removed his clothing without concern, causing Katie intense embarrassment as she covered her face and screamed inside loudly there. Preparing the bath carefully, Toru offered washing assistance, but Katie refused immediately, protecting his dignity while hiding embarrassment from him. Katie quietly sat inside the bath bucket, while Toru ordered her calmly, trying hiding embarrassment during their awkward washing together. Toru prepared the shower carefully beside nervous Katie, thinking seriously about cleaning her properly, without causing further misunderstandings that evening. While washing Katie's hair gently, Toru learned she belonged to a fox tribe, making him curious about her background completely. Toru remembered stories about golden foxes, while carefully supporting Kaide nearby, slowly understanding her unusual appearance and behavior better today. Suddenly Toru touched Kaide's sensitive part, forcing shocked her immediately, while both struggled hiding overwhelming embarrassment together. Silently, Toru apologized nervously inside the bath, while Kaide remained silent beside him, creating heavy tension between both embarrassed companions there. Kaide blushed heavily and accepted Toru's presence, calmly, admitting she would obey whatever decisions her respected master preferred inside there. Toru quickly left the bath after noticing Kaide's feelings, but he accidentally touched her sensitive animal ears painfully during movement. Then he gently rejected Kaide's emotional attachment for now, explaining she should mature before discussing romantic relationships seriously with him later. Kaide carefully trimmed her long hair, while Toru admired her appearance quietly. Realizing her natural beauty surprised him greatly today. Toru carefully touched Kaide's animal ears while discussing their appearance, and she calmly explained they remained despite human characteristics. An old man explained beast race traditions, while Kaide listened quietly beside Toru, who reacted awkwardly towards strange cultural explanations. Toru cleaned the room carefully, while Kaide helped nearby silently, showing their peaceful daily routine inside the small wooden house. Kaide smiled warmly and admitted she enjoyed spending time beside Toru, feeling happier and emotionally closer during their peaceful evening together. Toru promised they would enjoy another day together tomorrow, while Kaide quietly watched the peaceful moonlit town scenery nearby. Toru returned home exhausted, while worrying about expensive sword repairs, and Kaide noticed his unusual depressed expression immediately inside there. Kaide questioned Toru carefully while he explained his damaged weapon problems, causing her confusion about his sudden serious financial concerns. Toru remembered accidentally breaking his sword during cleaning, forcing him toward the weapon shop searching for stronger replacement equipment. Immediately, he tested a heavy sword outside confidently, but the weapon suddenly shattered violently, surprising nearby people within the busy street. Accidentally, Toru released overwhelming strength again, destroying the weapon shop interior completely, while the shocked owner watched the unexpected disaster silently. Kaide revealed she knew a perfect weapon for Toru, immediately surprising him while they discussed his recent sword destruction problems. Toru followed Kaide toward massive ancient ruins, discovering an enormous sacred temple standing proudly above the surrounding mountain cliffs. Kaide explained the temple protected legendary sacred weapons reserved only for chosen heroes, leaving Toru completely doubtful about entering there. Toru climbed the giant temple stairs nervously, while Kaide encouraged him confidently, believing he could obtain powerful sacred weapons successfully there. Kaide explained 2 difficult trials awaited inside the temple, while Toru listened carefully, amazed by her unexpected detailed knowledge there. Later, they reached the enormous temple gate together, preparing themselves nervously for the dangerous first sacred weapon trial there. Toru searched carefully for a way inside, until Kaide suggested touching the gate, causing mysterious reactions from the giant doors. The massive gate slowly opened before Toru and Kaide, proving he successfully passed the temple's difficult first sacred entrance test. Toru entered the enormous sacred chamber beside Kaide, discovering countless flames surrounding an ancient pedestal deep inside the temple. He finally discovered the sacred weapon resting before him, realizing the legendary sword would change his future battles completely. Toru firmly grabbed the sacred sword handle and prepared himself carefully, determined to complete the temple's final dangerous trial successfully. Powerful energy suddenly exploded throughout the chamber, while Toru endured intense pressure, and Kaide watched calmly beside him nearby. The sacred sword finally accepted Toru completely, releasing overwhelming force that shocked him and shook the massive temple surroundings violently. Kaide happily congratulated Toru for obtaining the sacred weapon while he thanked her sincerely for guiding him toward the temple there. Toru suddenly remembered hearing Lisa's name recently, causing him to recall uncomfortable memories connected to his former adventuring party. Kade smiled happily beside Toru, and promised they would continue adventuring together, making him quietly accept her cheerful companionship from now on. While leaving the sacred temple ruins, Toru suggested forming an adventurer group inside the city, exciting Kaide about future journeys with him forever. Sane admitted secretly stealing Lisa's love long ago, while Toru realized everyone mocked his trusting relationship behind his back constantly. He revealed Nihi and Sora loved him too, proudly exposing their betrayal while pretending sympathy toward devastated Toru afterward publicly. Sane explained his rare skill manipulated emotions completely, causing Lisa, Nihi, and Sora losing genuine affection toward Toru permanently afterward. The women surrounded Sane affectionately afterward, while he confessed controlling their desires through powerful abilities unknown previously by everyone nearby. Sane admitted jealousy toward Toru earlier, but obtaining powerful abilities changed his personality and completely destroyed their longtime friendship forever. Relaxed beside multiple women proudly, Sane admitting secretly enjoying affairs with Lisa, while Toru trusted their friendship completely without suspicion. Sane explained defeating demon lords brought rewards and fame, motivating him pursuing women and personal pleasures without guilt afterward constantly. He laughed crazily afterward, believing his manipulated relationships and successful adventures created the perfect enjoyable life for himself permanently now. Suddenly Sane learned somebody already defeated the dragon first, leaving him completely shocked because unexpected events ruined his confident expectations. Immediately, officials informed Sane the monster died mysteriously earlier, while he struggled hiding disappointment and confusion during their uncomfortable conversation afterward. Publicly, Sane denied feeling angry outwardly, punched nearby trees repeatedly after learning somebody defeated the dragon before him. The party discussed unexpected dragon defeat afterward, while Ne suggested relaxing plans, although Sane remained frustrated and suspicious inside silently. Sane forced himself smiling calmly afterward, deciding abandon previous plans temporarily while pretending everything remained completely normal before companions nearby today. Sane suddenly discovered the sacred weapon disappeared mysteriously, causing immediate panic because losing powerful equipment threatened his future ambitions. He violently lost control afterward, threatening companions while desperately searching everywhere nearby for missing sacred weapons inside complete confusion and panic. Sane suspected Toru caused recent failures secretly, realizing somebody stronger existed nearby, while growing increasingly obsessed and paranoid afterward completely. He changed plans immediately afterward, deciding hunt whoever defeated the dragon first, while believing that person stole his opportunities away. The party rushed toward another dungeon afterward, hoping recover sacred equipment quickly before unknown enemies continued interfering with their dangerous missions again. Sane received confusing directions inside town afterward, becoming irritated because local information strangely contradicted his expectations completely during investigation efforts. Today, suddenly, he noticed missing equipment attached elsewhere unexpectedly, leaving him frozen silently, while realizing unknown events surrounded him recently everywhere. Sane discovered massive destruction surrounding the city, leaving him confused because unknown events continued. 1 month earlier, Toru arrived inside Lantada independently, proudly receiving a lower-ranked adventurer card, while beginning another peaceful life there. Toru accepted his reduced adventurer rank calmly, while guild workers warned him protecting identification cards remained extremely important for adventurers always. Toru explored entertainment districts, noticing crowded streets filled with alcohol and travelers enjoying lively nighttime celebrations together happily nearby everywhere. Kade stopped Toru entering suspicious establishments, insisting she could support him without dangerous distractions surrounding the crowded city tonight. Toru discussed local dungeons carefully, while Kade explained ancient ruins existed before cities developed around them centuries earlier. Toru explained dungeon exploration methods, describing monster materials, treasure rewards, and dangerous core stones hidden deep underground for adventurers. He approached the massive dungeon entrance carefully, deciding explore only safer upper floors, while his companion continued recovering nearby quietly. He confidently entered the dungeon, encouraging Kaide excitedly, while preparing weapons carefully before beginning dangerous underground exploration together there. Inside ruined corridors afterward, Kaide quickly defeated attacking monsters using powerful wind magic, while protecting their advancing exploration route successfully. Toru watched Kaede defeating monsters easily, realizing her magic abilities greatly exceeded expectations, despite her small appearance and quiet personality. Kaede suddenly reached level 15 quickly, shocking Toru because they explored the dungeon together for only 1 hour previously already. Toru suspected his experienced storage abilities increased Kaede's growth speed greatly, while she happily promised becoming stronger beside him continuously together. Kaede advanced toward the dungeon's 3rd floor bravely, attacking approaching monsters confidently, while Toru carefully observed her incredible movements nearby. Kaede unleashed powerful ice magic successfully, freezing multiple enemies instantly, while clearing dangerous paths through the dungeon without hesitation. Kaede calmly eliminated surrounding monsters alone, demonstrating overwhelming strength, while Toru watched her rapid progress with growing admiration. She defeated every enemy across the floor effortlessly, standing proudly among destroyed monsters while maintaining complete confidence during dangerous exploration missions. Toru praised Kaede's impressive combat abilities warmly, though she insisted becoming stronger because protecting him remained extremely important personally. Always together. While leaving the dungeon, Toru discovered mysterious baggage abandoned nearby, and immediately inspected the unusual magical object suspiciously beside Kaede. Toru identified the object as rare magical storage equipment, realizing it possessed enormous value and capacity for carrying countless important items. Kaede wanted continuing deeper exploration eagerly, but Toru refused carefully because their remaining food and water supplies became dangerously limited. Toru reassured Kaede calmly, explaining strength developed gradually, while encouraging her avoiding reckless behavior during dangerous dungeon exploration missions together. Toru stored their discovered magical bag safely, then guided Kaede toward dungeon exits while ending exploration successfully for the current day. Back inside town, Kaede happily enjoyed delicious meals, enthusiastically, while exploring lively streets crowded with travelers and local citizens. Toru counted earned coins proudly, praising Kaede's excellent work, while she encouraged him enjoying meals instead of constantly saving money. Kaede insisted Toru deserved proper meals too, placing large portions before him despite his careful habits regarding earned dungeon rewards money. Kaede happily shared food with Toru warmly, believing meals tasted far better whenever companions enjoyed eating together peacefully inside restaurants. Toru thanked Kaede sincerely, smiling naturally while enjoying peaceful moments together away from painful memories involving Sonin and betrayal previously suffered. Toru reflected quietly upon his difficult past life, realizing Kaede's companionship gradually helped him recover emotionally and regain personal happiness again. Walking beneath peaceful moonlight together, Toru believed traveling beside Kaede could finally heal the loneliness remaining deeply within his heart. Kaede suddenly woke Toru nervously during morning sunlight, causing him confusion after noticing her trembling behavior. Toru stared silently toward Kaede instead, becoming shocked when noticing unusual physical changes appearing across her growing body suddenly that morning there. Kaede cheerfully explained she awakened transformed overnight, leaving Toru struggling, realizing her body became matured faster than expected.
Kaede stepped forward, her appearance transformed beyond recognition. Her long hair shimmered, and her body radiated a quiet strength. Toru stood frozen, unable to speak, eyes wide in disbelief. She met his gaze with calm confidence and gently nodded, confirming her identity with a single word. Memories rushed in. Just yesterday, Kaede had been a cheerful young girl. Overnight, she had become someone far more graceful, almost ethereal. Toru questioned the impossible change. Kaede suggested her sudden level increase might be the cause. He reflected silently. His own evolution had changed more than just stats. Toru struggled to adjust his view of Kaede, no longer a child but a striking woman. Flustered, he urged her to dress properly. He handed her a shirt, which she accepted with mild hesitation. The familiar scent made her pause. Kaede slipped into the oversized shirt, her smile bright despite the loose fit. Toru watched silently, unsure of what to say. Still unsettled, he handed her more clothes, insisting she finish dressing. She tilted her head, confused by his discomfort. Fully clothed at last, Kaede beamed. Her new outfit fit perfectly, and Toru could only nod in quiet approval. Kaede stood confidently, wielding twin iron fans with practiced ease. Toru watched with quiet admiration, noting her unchanged spirit despite her growth. Inside the shop, she excitedly tested the fans. Toru explained their magical properties while warning her to be careful with them. As they walked through town, bystanders couldn't help but stare. Whispers followed them, drawn by Kaede's appearance. Toru grew irritated by the attention, Kaede, however, remained focused, eager to contribute and earn for her master. With preparations complete, Toru suggested training instead of work. He wanted Kaede to grow stronger before anything else. Excited for the day ahead, Kaede cheerfully announced their plan to enjoy themselves. Her energy lifted the mood as they approached the next destination. Inside the dungeon, a wave of skeleton warriors suddenly emerged. Kaede narrowed her eyes, instantly shifting into battle mode. Without hesitation, she unleashed a powerful magic attack. Skeletons flew into the air as her spell devastated the room. Bones scattered across the floor as the battle ended. Kaede smiled proudly while Toru calmly observed, hardly challenged by the encounter. Noticing his drowsiness, Kaede asked if he was tired. Toru admitted he simply hadn't gotten enough sleep. Kaede and Toru stood surrounded by the remains of fallen enemies. The room had fallen silent after the fierce battle. Kaede gently sat down and offered her lap. Toru hesitated, but eventually accepted her quiet invitation. Settling beside her, he relaxed. She watched him with a calm smile while he slowly drifted into rest. His eyes opened briefly, groggy from sleep. The peaceful moment lingered as he adjusted to waking. Bones scattered around them revealed the truth. Kaede had protected him while he slept, eliminating every threat in silence. Kaede gently dusted Toru's clothes, surprising him with her care. He realized she had handled the entire battle without moving from her spot. A sudden warmth filled him. The peaceful moment brought a deep sense of comfort he hadn't expected. Curious about Kaede's growth, Toru asked about her stats. She agreed without hesitation, proudly stating her loyalty as his companion. Her status displayed impressive skills and a high level. Toru carefully examined the list, impressed by her progress. Among the abilities, Power Boost stood out. He quietly recognized her potential. Kaede was destined for greatness. Toru confirmed his doubts had been resolved and suggested they proceed deeper. Kaede eagerly agreed, ready for the next challenge. Reaching the 10th floor, they encountered a swarm of monsters. Kaede took the lead, launching into the fray without hesitation. She cast a wide-range spell, slicing through enemies with a single aerial slash that overwhelmed the battlefield. When asked about her abilities, she explained her magic had grown stronger thanks to rapid level-ups. Kaede remained attentive to Toru's guidance. Another wave approached, but Kaede calmly prepared. She unleashed another powerful wind spell to push back the enemies. Toru watched the goblin riders fall with ease, their strength no match for Kaede. He couldn't help but pity them. After descending to the 20th floor, the two companions set up camp. A simple meal cooked over fire brought a sense of calm. As Kaede handed him a bowl, she reminded him that serving was part of her role. Toru accepted it without hesitation. They talked over soup. Kaede revealed her level had reached 150, and she praised his cooking with cheerful honesty. Curious, he asked about using magic. Kaede responded with a nod, ready to share her knowledge. Kaede explained the basics of magic. Toru listened carefully, learning that visualizing an image was the core element to casting spells. He tried forming a flame but quickly lost control. Kaede encouraged him, reminding that improvement came with practice and patience. Inspired by her words, Toru made a promise to put his magical potential to good use through effort and determination. Meanwhile, enemies awaited on the 19th floor. Orcs and cursed skeletons roamed the corridors, guarding the deeper path. Suddenly, Kaede faced a fierce ambush. Toru shouted in panic, realizing the scale of the threat before them. Kaede stood firm as the Minotaur charged. Without hesitation, she leapt forward to intercept the powerful attack. Instead of dodging, she activated a freezing spell. Ice rapidly spread across the battlefield, trapping the monsters mid-motion. The enemies were completely immobilized. Kaede turned calmly, confirming the spell's success with quiet confidence. Toru looked on in amazement. Realizing Kaede had already reached level 200, he questioned his own concern for her safety together. They reached the 30th floor. No enemies were in sight, but Toru reminded her to stay alert just in case. Kaede and her master finally reached the core of the dungeon after countless battles. A glowing crystal floated before them, signaling the end. With determination, he stepped forward. Years of dreaming about this moment as a child filled his thoughts. Together, they activated the core, completing the dungeon and awaiting the reward that lay ahead. Toru slowly regained consciousness, his blurred vision focusing on a concerned companion calling out to him. Sitting up with a groan, he found himself in a strange crater beside Kaede. Confused, he asked what had happened. They both realized the dungeon had vanished. Looking up, they saw the hollowed-out space they now sat in. A mysterious ring gleamed on his hand. Curious, she noticed she had the same ring. The warrior wondered if it was a reward for their swift victory. Floating messages confirmed it. They had earned 2 rings of disguise and a dungeon as their fast clear rewards. Kaede examined the ring with appraisal magic and revealed its ability to disguise status. Each level of the ring unlocked more advanced effects. Toru realized the ring's usefulness and decided it was time to leave. He lifted Kaede into his arms to prepare for the climb. With a firm jump, Toru launched them upward. Kaede doubted they could reach the edge, but he remained focused and determined. They successfully landed outside the crater under the moonlight. After checking Kaede's condition, Toru suggested they leave the area quickly. 2 days after departing Lentada, they continued their journey through a crystal-filled forest, leaving the dungeon behind. Toru and Kaede set out for the city of Einarch, driven by personal reasons. The journey felt aimless, but they had goals in mind. Their path led them to ancient ruins hidden in the forest, a place they had planned to visit all along. They explored remnants of a lost civilization built by the great races, still shrouded in mystery, despite its advanced past. While walking the ruins, they enjoyed local food and appreciated the chance to sightsee on their long trip. Later, Kaede asked Toru to name their party, marking the start of their adventure together. Toru proposed naming their group Roaming Brigade. Despite being only 2, he believed the name held future promise. Kaede happily agreed. He declared his intent to explore the world at his own pace, embracing the journey with a relaxed mindset. During a quiet break, Toru finally asked Kaede about her past. Before she could answer, they spotted a suspicious carriage charging down the road. Without hesitation, they decided to intervene. Kaede launched herself forward with agility, ready to confront the threat. Bandits surrounded the carriage, shouting threats. The situation escalated quickly as the ambush unfolded. Toru intercepted one of the bandits mid-attack, catching him off guard with a swift move. After knocking a rider away, he stood surrounded by enemies. The rest hesitated, shocked by his strength and presence. Despite his warning, the attackers charged with weapons raised, ready to eliminate the threat. With a surge of power, Toru unleashed a devastating blow, sending the bandits and their horses flying. As the dust settled, he reflected on his overwhelming force. Meanwhile, Kaede drew her blade, ready to confront any danger still remaining. Then Kaede easily overpowered a bandit, leaving others stunned by her strength. Toru checked on the passengers and commented on the attackers' weak levels. From the carriage emerged a noblewoman who introduced herself as Marianne, daughter of Count Rawada, grateful for their help. He presented himself as an adventurer named Thor and introduced Kaede as his companion. Marianne seemed impressed by their presence. In appreciation, she invited them to her mansion. Though Toru hesitated, Marianne insisted, eager to properly thank her unexpected saviors. While riding in the carriage, Toru mentioned heading to Einarch. Marianne offered him and Kaede a place to stay at her mansion. He hesitated out of politeness, but she insisted. A silent maid nearby watched the exchange with subtle interest. Toru asked for Kaede's thoughts. Without hesitation, she responded that she would follow wherever he decided to go. Their carriage reached the city of Einarch, its sprawling architecture shining under the afternoon sun. Soon after, they arrived at a luxurious mansion where Marianne formally welcomed them inside. Upon entering the mansion, Toru admired the interior. Marianne was welcomed back by the butler, Sibas Urara. Marianne's personal maid formally introduced herself and offered to escort Toru and Kaede to their rooms. Toru was shown to his spacious guest room, where he was encouraged to relax and take his time. Overwhelmed by comfort, he jumped onto the bed with excitement. Kaede teased him for acting childish, though amused. Later, Marianne expressed interest in showing Toru around the city. He readily agreed, having planned to explore anyway. Toru and Kaede explored ancient ruins near the city, intrigued by the massive statues and collapsed buildings. During their walk, he questioned Urara about Marianne's safety. She confidently responded, assuring him of her loyalty and capability. As they passed a sweet shop, Marianne pointed it out to Kaede, who eagerly asked Toru for permission to visit. Toru handed over a generous pouch of money. Kaede thanked him with delight while Marianne watched their growing bond. Despite his cheerful front, Toru reflected on lingering heartbreak from his past. Still, he hoped for Kaede's happiness and freedom. Kaede expressed a hope for peace, believing she wouldn't need to remain a slave forever if life became calm and normal. While touring the city, Marianne proudly showed a towering statue built during her father's youth, representing the city's strength. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A powerful force burst from beneath the plaza, sending debris flying and stunning everyone around. Without warning, monstrous tendrils erupted and snatched Marianne into the air. Toru, alarmed and furious, shouted her name as the chaos unfolded. Tentacles burst from the ground, hurling debris as the group scattered. Marianne was snatched midair, her scream echoing across the square. The pavement crumbled beneath her. She vanished into the gaping hole, leaving dust and shouts behind. Toru clenched his fists, surveying the frightened survivors. Panic spread as they realized more people might have been taken. He barked orders, and Kaede dashed forward. Urara hesitated only a second before following. The team prepared to descend. Together, they leapt into the darkness. Toru led the way, determined to bring everyone back alive. Hope fueled their plunge. The group landed safely as Kaede conjured a cushion of light to slow their fall. Her spell lit the surroundings. They arrived at a vast underground ruin, its ancient walls lined with statues and pillars. Toru realized they were inside a massive maze. Sticky mucus coated the floor, stretching down a dark corridor. Its source remained unseen. Toru took the lead. Kaede and Irara assumed their positions, determined to follow the trail and recover the kidnapped girl. Without hesitation, the trio advanced through the eerie hallway, each step echoing their silent vow to fight. Toru charged through enemies alongside Kaede and Irara. Each step brought them deeper, as goblins tried to block their way. They pressed on cautiously. Kaede tracked Marianne's scent while Toru avoided a surprise lunge from a reptilian beast felled by Irara's swift strike. With the scent growing stronger, Kaede urged them forward. Toru praised Irara's deadly skill, learning she was an assassin by trade. A vast chamber loomed ahead. The path ended at a massive door surrounded by magical flames. Inside, a powerful group awaited. Their leader smirked, surprised the rescuers had made it this far. The demons laughed cruelly as they spotted the intruders. Their vulgar threats revealed malicious intent. Toru quickly assessed the situation. Recognizing their enemies as demons, he prepared to clear a way forward. Kaede summoned massive ice walls, splitting the battlefield. The sudden formation trapped the enemy forces. Irara and Kaede urged Toru to press on. Both pledged to hold the line while he advanced alone. Then he dashed ahead without hesitation. As enemy troops charged from behind, he broke through the ice corridor, eyes locked on his mission. Toru sprinted through collapsing debris, striking down enemies with precision. The ice corridor crumbled behind him. At the chamber's center, a grotesque monster loomed beside a demon commander. Toru arrived just as prisoners hung lifeless above. He demanded answers. A dark figure revealed itself, radiating sinister intent while remaining calm under Toru's glare. Mocking words followed. The demon explained his twisted goals and the ease of using underground paths to strike cities from below. Suddenly, tentacles seized Toru mid-sentence. Struggling, he realized the enemy had anticipated this encounter long before he arrived. Toru uncovered the enemy's motive. Marianne was used to manipulate political power. The villain confirmed it with a twisted grin. Struggling in slime-covered restraints, Marianne remained in danger. The demon mocked Toru, confident his hostage gave him control. Rage surged through Toru. He shattered the tentacles and charged. The enemy laughed, unaware his hold was slipping. The demon's smirk faded. Toru's advance was unstoppable, his expression dark and silent. Explosions erupted between them. The enemy issued a threat, but Toru stood firm, undaunted, unwavering, ready to finish what he started. The demon launched a deadly spell, but Toru didn't flinch. With a firm stance, he dared him to try. Magical spheres surrounded the area. Energy pulsed dangerously, but Toru stood his ground without fear. A massive explosion followed. Smoke and debris engulfed everything. Shock spread across the demon's face as the dust settled. From the wreckage, Toru emerged unharmed. He asked if the enemy was satisfied, unshaken by the chaos around him. Calling the beast a monster, Toru raised his sword. He declared the attack meaningless. Nothing could harm him now. A crazed demon unleashed magic with furious intent, believing the warrior had overstepped. Unfazed, the warrior stood amidst the incoming blast, explosions erupting around him like landmines. The battle ended with the demon split in defeat. Standing tall, the warrior declared his identity as an ordinary soldier, not a hero, just one who fights. Marianne slowly regained consciousness in Urara's arms, her body weak and her memory hazy. She tried to recall what had happened before she collapsed. Surrounded by townspeople, she sat upright as voices filled the plaza with relief. Cheers echoed at the news that Marianne had awakened. Toru and Kaede approached confidently, their presence calming the atmosphere. Irara helped Marianne to her feet as she looked toward the two with surprise. Toru explained that a monster had emerged from the underground ruins, causing minor damage but no fatalities among the citizens. Thinking it was her father who had intervened, Marianne learned instead that Toru and Kaede were the ones who saved both her and the town. Urara expressed her gratitude, admitting she couldn't have saved Marianne alone. Toru quickly dismissed the praise, concerned only for Marianne's safety. The townspeople surrounded the heroes in admiration. Many offered their heartfelt thanks for saving their loved ones and defeating the monster. Overwhelmed with emotion, Marianne suddenly embraced Toru. She thanked him sincerely for protecting the city and everyone in it. Kaede, slightly flustered, reminded Marianne of her closeness. Toru stayed quiet, lost in his thoughts. At the mansion, Marianne reunited with her father. Watching from a distance, Toru and Kaede silently took in the touching moment. She explained that the defeated enemy was one of the Demon Lord's top 6 generals, albeit the weakest among them. Toru was stunned by the implication. From a distance, Marianne and her father noticed Toru and Kaede. A brief pause passed as they turned toward the pair. The nobleman approached Toru, offering a handshake in gratitude for saving his daughter not once, but twice. Kaede stood silently beside him. Marianne asked for Toru to be rewarded. Though modest, Toru appreciated her support. Her father promised to show his appreciation. Unsure what to offer, the nobleman was interrupted by Urara. who stepped forward with something important to reveal. Toru confirmed that the defeated foe had been one of the Demon King's top generals. The revelation stunned Marianne's father. He asked if Toru planned to head to the capital. Toru hesitated, unsure of the sudden attention. To assist him, the nobleman decided to send a letter of support. He also offered them a place to stay. That night, a grand feast was held in their honor. Kaede enjoyed the food with enthusiasm. He quietly pointed out a smudge of sauce on Kaede's face. She paused, slightly embarrassed but smiling. Toru gently thanked Kaede, reflecting inwardly on how much she had matured while still retaining a youthful spirit. During breakfast, Irera inquired about Toru's availability. Toru used the moment to request permission to explore the underground ruins. He spoke with passion about the ruins' mystery. Marianne, caught up in his enthusiasm, abruptly offered to join him. Though concerned, Kaede voiced her worry. Toru acknowledged the risk, but Marianne insisted that Irara would accompany her too. She requested to come along as a friend. Kaede, surprised by the word friend, reacted with visible emotion. Toru laid out the plan. He would handle threats ahead, while Kaede and Irara ensured Marianne's safety. Both agreed without hesitation. The next morning, Kaede and Toru waited outside. Soon after, a voice called out, breaking the silence with urgency. To everyone's surprise, Marianne appeared in heavy armor, confidently declaring her readiness. Irara was confused by the sudden transformation. Marianne explained her father insisted she wear it for protection. Toru, concerned, pointed out the armor's limitations. Moments later, she returned in more practical gear, equipped with a sword. Toru approved of the change instantly. The group arrived at the entrance of the ruins, where guards explained that the first 2 floors had already been explored. They would descend deeper. Inside, Irara described the dangers ahead. One room was collapsing, another was infested with demons, and many areas remained untouched. Toru insisted he would enter the dangerous zones alone. Protecting Marianne remained the top priority. Marianne protested, eager to prove her worth. Toru reluctantly agreed. As they walked, she asked for the party's name. Toru replied, Manu Brigade. Kaede detected demons nearby, and Marianne prepared her appraisal magic. Toru confirmed the target was a massive mushroom-like monster. Without hesitation, he prepared to move forward. As the group entered the overgrown corridor, they witnessed the strange and unsettling mushroom-infested terrain firsthand. Kaede noticed that the vines scattered across the floor were highly poisonous. A passing rat confirmed the danger as it collapsed. Infected, Toru decided to proceed alone. With his high level and antidote in hand, he believed he could manage without risking the others. Then Kaede, though reluctant, asked him to be careful. Toru responded with a calm nod before heading deeper into the ruin. Marianne suddenly embraced Toru from behind, pleading with him not to act recklessly. Her grip was firm and sincere. With her concern acknowledged, Toru entered the overgrown corridor alone, surrounded by poisonous fungus and creeping vines. He reached a wide chamber teeming with mushroom-like monsters. Without a word, he took position at the center. As the others looked on, Kaede quietly thanked Marianne for her care. Toru stood ready ahead of them. In a swift motion, he launched into battle. Scattering monsters in every direction, his companions watched in awe and amazement. Toru moved deeper into the ruins, dispatching more mushroom creatures. He remained unaffected by the poison thanks to his resilience. Eventually, he discovered an old sealed room. Dust and vines filled the space, but it appeared to have once been inhabited. While searching, he uncovered several potions and a mysterious bottle that seemed useful. He believed it could serve as an elixir. The group soon reunited with Toru. Kaede asked about his findings. As they walked through the hallway, he shared what he found. Marianne praised him, excitedly impressed that relics had been recovered from such a floor. Tension rose among the group as Kaede grew jealous of Marianne's closeness to Toru. The moment turned awkward quickly. Soon after, they reached the stairway to the second floor of the dungeon, its ruins barely intact. While studying a map, they discussed theories about the area being an ancient fortress. Many parts remained unexplored. Marianne stepped forward, requesting combat training. She felt helpless relying on others for protection. Toru hesitated, but her determination moved him. Kaede considered supporting her with healing magic, understanding her desire to grow stronger. Marianne expressed her desire to grow stronger, not just for herself, but to support her father in the future. Their mutual understanding settled the tension, and a new determination lit their eyes. With a handshake, they sealed a promise to train together. Suddenly, an overwhelming surge of energy erupted around Toru. Notifications appeared, declaring new job titles and achievements. A sudden beam of light split the sky, halting the town's quiet rhythm as eyes turned upward in shock. Confusion spread among the adventurers. Though some sensed lightning, the sky remained deceptively calm and clear. In an instant, magic burst forth. Powerful figures emerged, their presence crackling with energy. Toru and Kaede stood their ground. Toru felt power surge through him. His abilities upgraded unexpectedly, responding to the chaos with newfound strength and purpose. As smoke cleared, Toru and Kaede faced their comrades. The storm had passed, leaving them changed but resolute. Toru apologized for the disturbance and explained that something within him had changed drastically. When he accessed his status, his stats revealed an incredible leap level 300 and multiple elite jobs. Kaede and the others examined the list and were stunned by the range and strength of his abilities. She began breaking down his first job, Warrior, describing its base traits and potential enhancements. The group then reviewed his higher-tier roles Dragon Knight, Master Tamer, and Great Thief, all confirming his extraordinary growth. Toru inquired about the mysterious imitator job, but even Kaede couldn't read its blurred details. He suspected the job might be dangerous, yet brushed it aside as Marianne approached with a request. Before proceeding, he instructed both girls to stay cautious and follow his commands without hesitation. Marianne and Yorara asked to join his party temporarily, offering their loyalty in return. With their team expanded, they descended into a dungeon where a swarm of monsters soon surrounded them. Dozens of monsters crawled from walls and ceilings, launching themselves toward the group without hesitation. Toru responded instantly, slicing down enemies before they reached Marianne, who froze mid-step. Kaede unleashed a spinning ice attack, freezing multiple creatures in a sweeping motion. Arara followed up with a piercing strike, eliminating several foes and overwhelming the enemy line. As more creatures poured in, Toru stood beside Marianne, urging her to trust her level and fight with confidence. Marianne hesitated as enemies filled the hall, but Toru encouraged her to stay calm and read their movements. A monster lunged at him, but Toru easily intercepted and eliminated it, proving his point with swift strikes. Motivated by his confidence, Marianne replied with determination, her fear now replaced by resolve. Their companions rallied beside them, encouraging one another to stay confident as they prepared to move forward. Ahead, the ruins thickened with webs, and a massive spider-like beast emerged, forcing them into immediate combat. Marianne charged fearlessly, landing a powerful blow that pierced the giant spider's core. The creature collapsed, and she stood triumphant, announcing her solo victory with pride as the others cheered. Energized by her success, she urged the group to press onward, despite their suggestion to pace themselves. Toru teased her impulsiveness, recalling his own reckless beginnings, drawing a flustered reaction from her. Though the idea of returning was raised, they all agreed to explore further, with Marianne showing no signs of stopping anytime soon. Toru guided the group through a narrow corridor, only to discover the path abruptly ended. He crouched and examined the wall, sensing something unusual embedded in its structure. Without hesitation, he knocked on the stone surface, listening carefully for a hollow response. A hidden doorway shifted open, astonishing the team as they watched Toru uncover a secret room. Inside the chamber, ancient treasures lay untouched, and Toru discovered a pristine weapon forged from mysterious metal. While examining the hidden room, Toru admired the advanced technology preserved within the ruins. On a pedestal, two mysterious objects sat, one smooth, like an egg, the other jagged and rough. Curious, Marianne analyzed them and identified them as ancient summoned beast eggs, dormant for centuries. They learned the creatures were artificial beings, once created by an ancient civilization for both labor and combat support. Encouraged by the discovery, Toru decided to awaken one, using magic, eager to see what lay inside. Despite his efforts, Toru's initial magic failed to awaken the egg. He realized its power was ancient and deeply sealed. Determined to succeed, he gripped the egg tightly and focused all his magical energy into it. The room trembled as powerful energy surged, warping the very airspace. Distorted, overwhelming everyone with its intensity, the egg responded at last. With a glow, it pulsed violently, ready to form a bond. Toru prepared to finalize the contract. Light erupted as the creature inside began to emerge, revealing its presence to the awestruck group. Toru and his companions stared in awe at the strange object emerging from the egg. It shimmered with energy, emitting warmth and light. The light faded, revealing a single, large eye staring back at them. They instinctively stepped back, unsure of what would happen next. A mysterious floating creature with a single eye appeared before Toru and Kaede, pulsing with energy. Its presence confused them, unsure if it posed a threat. Despite initial fear, the creature seemed harmless. Kaede tested its reactions and found it oddly charming. Curiosity replaced caution. Kaede accidentally sat on it, discovering its ability to levitate. Excited, they realized it could carry people or even cargo. Seeing potential, Toru confidently named the creature Panda, to which Kaede happily agreed. Soon, Panda became part of their group, welcomed with smiles, laughter, and growing affection. Toru inspected the mysterious egg-shaped relic, intrigued by what it might contain. Under the moonlit sky, anticipation stirred within him. Together with Kaede, he examined the contents revealed inside. Dozens of vials and potions glimmered with promise and power. An elixir among them caught everyone's attention. Its rarity stunned the observers, none of whom had seen one before. A nobleman advised selling the collection at the capital's exclusive auction, where wealth flowed freely. Later, Toru received a fortune in exchange for the relics, silently planning his next move in the royal city. Toru was stunned by the reward, 500 million and a white gold coin. It marked his first time seeing such a rare currency. Later, a startled Kaede stormed in mid-bath, chasing after Toru who had left too soon. In the chaos, Kaede caught him. Head-on embarrassment erupted, and Toru ended up buried awkwardly in her chest. Despite the noise echoing through the mansion, Toru smiled quietly, satisfied with the day's outcome. As sunlight poured in, he welcomed the morning. Several days had passed, and peace finally settled around him. Toru reflected on their progress. Over the past days, they had battled demons and explored ruins, helping Marianne and Aurora reach hero-level strength. The next morning, Kaede greeted him with a warm smile, joined by the ever-loyal panda. Their companionship brought ease to his heart. As they stepped outside, unexpected movement drew their attention. Training exercises were underway, and Kaede watched with interest. Aurora and Marianne greeted them kindly, wiping sweat from their morning drills. Though Toru planned to leave, part of him hesitated. Their bond had grown deeper than he expected. Despite newfound peace, Toru still carried sorrow. Memories of betrayal lingered, leaving a wound not yet healed. Receiving a letter from the Count, he prepared for the upcoming auction. Kaede, by his side, listened quietly. Marianne watched them from afar, hiding her longing. Though noble, she dreamed of freedom, of seeing the world like Kaede. Toru understood her silent pain. Marianne was bound to duty, like a bird in a gilded cage. He offered gratitude before departing. The Count, filled with respect, thanked Toru. His daughter's life had been saved, and that meant everything. Before departing, Toru reassured everyone they would meet again. His words carried hope, though his heart remained heavy. Marianne broke into tears as emotions overwhelmed her. She rushed toward Kaede, unable to hold back her sorrow. Kaede embraced her gently. Promises were exchanged, assuring Marianne she would never be forgotten. Though the farewell stung, Marianne smiled through her tears. She watched them go, full of longing and admiration. Outside the estate, Kaede and Toru gave their final bows. Behind them, a grateful family stood in silent farewell. With their farewells behind them, Toru and Kaede set off down the road, leaving warm smiles and hopeful waves in their wake. Meanwhile, in the town of Lantada, panic broke out as a group arrived to find the expected dungeon missing. Crowds gathered around the massive crater where the dungeon once stood. Confusion spread quickly. One adventurer realized the truth. Someone had already cleared it a month earlier. His plans for a grand debut were crushed. As despair sank in, his companion watched with concern. The fire in his eyes began to dim. In a sudden outburst, Sane snapped and violently attacked Sora, shouting and pushing everyone away in a frenzy. Rage consumed him as he ignored the cries around him. Sora struggled under his grip, barely able to breathe. Eventually, the others intervened. Sora was shaken but conscious. Concern replaced panic as they checked on her condition. Sane realized the attention he drew. Fear crept in. Whispers spread. He muttered about brainwashing and summoned a forbidden power. A strange aura erupted. Confusion filled the air. The girls stood in shock as Sane's madness deepened. Sane, now in control again, barked an order. The girls hesitated but followed. Uneasy obedience filled the air. Later, they sat in a stone clearing. The tension faded into planning. Sora suggested returning to Armand for a fresh start. Sane rejected the idea furiously. Fear of failure and humiliation. Before King Balsei clouded his thoughts, Ona member proposed another route: Einark, a distant town near unexplored ruins. The possibility of a sacred sword reignited ambition. With renewed hope, they agreed new goals set. The party looked toward the future, ready to rise again, no matter the cost. Sane's expression froze in disbelief after hearing unexpected news that shattered his plans. The ruins he sought were already explored. A powerful group called the Manhwa Brigade had cleared both the enemies and the treasure. Just as the truth settled, a noblewoman named Marianne entered the room. Addressing her father, unaware of the tension, he was instantly captivated by her appearance. A twisted desire formed in his mind, sparked by lust and delusion. Driven by obsession, he activated a dark ability, Demonic Eye of Seduction, intending to bend her will to his. Sane used his demonic eye, confident it would make Marianne obey. But something went wrong. A magical notice appeared as power failed. Her level exceeded his. He froze in disbelief. In an instant, Marianne drew her sword. Sane couldn't even track her movement. Fear gripped him. The Count calmly reminded Sane that true strength isn't just granted by God, it must be earned. With his pride shattered, Sane was dismissed. The Count's warning echoed. He had no place here. Sane unleashed a powerful attack, yet nothing landed. His frustration erupted amidst the ruined battlefield. Declaring a new mission, Sane ordered them toward Armand, determined to obtain the sacred sword. Haunted by defeat, he clung to the past. Redemption, in his mind, depended on power alone. Kaede raised her hand, summoning a deadly storm of icicles upon the swarm of wyverns overhead. With perfect timing, she signaled Toru to strike. Toru commanded Rosuke forward. Without hesitation, the serpentine beast surged ahead, its body arcing like a blade through the air. Rosuke pierced through multiple wyverns, mid-flight, blood trailing behind his path as he twisted through the sky, landing beside Toru. Rosuke coiled obediently. Toru praised him calmly, his weapon resting. Later, they rested by ruined walls. Kaede observed Rosuke's strength, impressed by his combat prowess. Toru nodded, acknowledging his beast's potential. Toru and Kaede watched as the round creature, Panda, bounced with excitement, eager to prove itself. Rosuke responded instinctively, forming a silent bond. Without warning, both beasts soared upward. Sharp energy beams erupted around them as the tower echoed with blasts of wind and light. Kaede observed the contest closely. Panda descended first, winded, while Rosuke hovered victoriously above. Toru smiled, noting Rosuke's agility. He realized the beast's potential extended beyond combat, even useful for climbing. As hunger set in, Toru recalled Rosuke. With a flash of light, the creature returned to his arm, ending their display for the day. While Toru prepared the campfire, Kaede stepped forward, requesting to handle the meal this time with a determined look. He agreed, surprised by her enthusiasm. Kaede explained she had learned from someone named Urara, her confidence unwavering. Donning a flower-patterned apron, she proudly showed off her new cooking outfit, seeking Toru's approval. He blushed, unsure how to respond. However, his optimism faded upon seeing the ingredients, bizarre vegetables, and an unsettling, lifeless frog-like creature. Without hesitation, Kaede began the meal by preparing the devil bullfrog, cheerfully announcing the next step in her unsettling recipe. Kaede confidently added unusual ingredients to the boiling pot, chopping roots, tossing in live mandrakes, and sprinkling bizarre herbs without hesitation. Toru watched in disbelief as she repeated the same process with a smile. He questioned the choices, but she seemed unfazed. The stew bubbled ominously, turning a deep purple. Strange limbs floated on the surface, making Toru doubt if it was even edible. She proudly presented the dish. Toru, sweating, accepted the meal with a polite nod, concealing his panic. Despite his nerves, he took a bite. A surprising expression crossed his face. The flavor caught him off guard, unexpectedly good. Toru quietly praised the dish. Kaede lit up with joy, overwhelmed by the compliment. Without warning, she lunged at him, clinging tightly. Startled by her excitement, Toru tried to maintain balance. She clung to him affectionately, her spirits soaring while he struggled to keep his bowl upright. He watched as she sniffed his chest, curious but confused by her actions. She eagerly declared her devotion, promising to support him completely. Toru noticed her cheerful mood and reached out to pet her fluffy tail, finding it unexpectedly soft and comforting. She collapsed gently, looking up at him with dazed eyes, flushed and content, repeating his name in a dreamy voice. Kaede leaned in close, and Toru froze. Their eyes locked as tension filled the space between them. Suddenly, a haunting memory surfaced. Words from his past echoed accusations and betrayal, stirring doubt and guilt deep within his thoughts. She warmth pulled him back. Her cheerful tone and kindness reminded him that he wasn't alone anymore. He smiled, thankful. Despite temptation, Toru reaffirmed his respect for Kaede. He knew she deserved to be treated as a person, not a possession. Before the moment settled, Kaede called out with urgency. Something had shifted. Toru turned, alerted by the sudden change in her tone. A group of massive wyverns descended from the sky, lured by the scent of the camp's strange stew. Toru remained calm, curious to test Rosuke's strength. Without hesitation, he summoned Rosuke. The beast darted upward, swiftly piercing the enemies in midair with deadly precision. The ruins trembled as wyverns dropped like stones. Toru stood stunned by Rosuke's overwhelming power, questioning if such strength was even normal. Back at camp, Kaede speculated his job class might be enhancing their bond. Toru recalled he had something like Master Tamer. Later, they arrived at the capital. Kaede's eyes widened in awe, marveling at its grand scale. Toru arrived in Armand, a sprawling country known for its grand markets and legendary adventurers. Colorful stalls lined the cobbled streets, filled with rare items from across the land. Before exploring, Toru remembered Count Roan's request. He was to deliver a letter to Jonathan Rockbell, a wealthy shipping merchant in the capital. Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed nearby, drawing attention from the crowd. Dust rose as people turned toward the source. A raging ceratops-like beast burst into view, pulling a runaway wagon. Chaos followed in its path. He assessed the situation calmly while Kaede identified the creature. As others panicked, he prepared to act. Two rugged adventurers, the Saul brothers, arrogantly stepped forward, declaring they'd handle the rampaging beast. Toru and Kaede watched in silence. Spectators cheered, believing their saviors had arrived. Kaede sought permission to intervene, but Toru declined, letting pride run its course. With weapons drawn, the brothers rushed the beast. One lunged recklessly and was swiftly met with a crushing blow. Undeterred, the other grabbed on, attempting to subdue the creature by force, joined by his brother moments later. But their efforts failed. The Ceratops flung them through the air, roaring wildly as the crowd looked on in horror. The beast charged straight toward a nearby house, where a mother and child stood frozen in fear. Panic spread quickly among the onlookers. Toru stepped forward. Calm and focused, he told Kaede to stand down. Flames gathered in his palm as he faced the raging creature. With perfect timing, he released a powerful force that cracked the ground and halted the beast in its tracks. The crowd watched in stunned silence. The Saul brothers, previously tossed aside, groaned in pain, unsure of what just happened. With a single command, Toru pacified the creature. The townspeople cheered, relief after calming the beast. Toru asked a merchant if he knew Jonathan Rockbell. The man paused, realizing something. Toru was taken to a large trading firm where he met Jonathan Rockbell, the company's president. Rockbell mentioned a letter from Count Roan. Inside the office, Toru handed over the letter. Rockbell read it silently, noting Toru's actions in Einark with growing curiosity. He acknowledged the Count's request and praised Toru's resolve, calling him an interesting man. However, Rockbell withheld the full truth, asking Toru to return the next night for answers he wasn't yet ready to reveal. Rockbell advised Toru to improve his appearance. Toru agreed, unsure if the request was sincere or hinted at something deeper. Under the moonlit sky, Toru and Kaede arrived dressed for the royal meeting, their outfits elegant yet unfamiliar. They stepped into the quiet courtyard where a waiting carriage signaled the beginning of a discreet journey. An older noble greeted them, ushering them inside with urgency as the horses began to pull the carriage away. Inside, he warned them to keep the destination secret, explaining the importance of silence when dealing with nobles. Toru pieced it together. Their meeting wasn't ordinary. This was a secret audience requested by a powerful figure with hidden intentions. The noble reassured Toru that their meeting would bring great rewards, not regret, as the carriage neared a towering castle under moonlight. At the gates, a guard ordered them to step out. Toru and Kaede complied without hesitation, eyes drawn to the imposing structure inside. They were led through a grand staircase and paused before a heavy door. Their guide asked them to wait a moment. In the lavish room, Toru guessed the intent of their visit, realizing it was unlike any meeting he'd known before. The doors opened. Before them stood King Armand, the man whose audience had been arranged in total secrecy. In the richly furnished room, King Armand declared the meeting unofficial, emphasizing secrecy and complete deniability. He explained his purpose. Toru had not been summoned for formality, but for a dangerous mission only an adventurer could take. The gravity deepened as the king revealed the threat. Something powerful threatened the imperial capital. Toru demanded clarity. With cold authority, the king named their target, the Death Ant Queen, a monstrous entity spreading destruction. Toru reeled at the task. A demon capable of wiping armies, yet only he and Kaede were asked to face it. The king detailed the crisis, revealing that villages near the Death Ant nest had already fallen, consumed without mercy. He explained the threat's relentless nature and the capital's impending doom, demanding a clear answer from Toru. Without hesitation, Toru accepted the mission, meeting the urgency with calm confidence. Then the king offered titles and territory, but Toru declined, asking only for financial compensation in return. 300 million was promised. With that, plans were set in motion. A guide would lead them, and they would depart the next day at dawn. Toru and Kaede kept a low profile, preferring a quiet journey over fame or titles, as the sun rose above the castle. Together with the guide, they entered a breathtaking forest, its beauty hiding the danger that lay ahead. Signs of battle emerged. Fallen soldiers and scattered weapons marked the path as they neared the enemy's nest. She, unfamiliar with the danger, questioned the threat. The guide reacted sharply, stunned by her lack of awareness. Then Toru reflected on her past, wondering about her origins, as Kaede was suddenly called to attention by the others. As they advanced deeper into the forest, swarms of death ants emerged from all directions, surrounding the group without warning. Panic took hold of the guide, who questioned the decision to entrust such a mission to only 2 young adventurers. With no time to hesitate, the insects charged. The group braced for impact as the horde flooded toward them. Toru moved first, striking with overwhelming force that sent a shockwave tearing through the enemy ranks. From above, Kaede unleashed a powerful spell. Her magic crushed dozens instantly, proving they were far from ordinary travelers. The guide stood stunned. The battlefield, once filled with monsters, now lay silent beneath drifting smoke and shattered trees. Toru noted the overwhelming numbers made locating the nest difficult. Kaede offered to clear the area using wide-range magic from her perch. She summoned twin tornadoes, then followed with a freezing spell that engulfed the entire forest floor. The result was absolute and icy wasteland stretched before them, leaving no trace of movement beneath the frost. Though apologetic, Kaide's power revealed a massive crater. The guide, overwhelmed, requested to leave, admitting he'd only slow them down. Toru and Kaede examined the narrow pit. Entering looked risky. With little room to move once inside, they debated options. Attacking with magic wouldn't reach the bottom, and to earn the reward, the queen had to be slain. Reviewing his status, Toru discovered a hidden power. He possessed a dungeon item that could reshape the battlefield. Activating it, he transformed the area. A new dungeon tower emerged, replacing the nest entrance with something navigable. Together, they stood before the towering structure. Now able to enter safely, they prepared to descend and complete their mission. Using the transfer function, Toru and Kaede arrived inside the dungeon, directly before the Death Ant Queen's throne. The queen, furious at the invasion and loss of her nest, ordered her soldiers to kill the intruders immediately. Kaede responded with a devastating magical assault, annihilating the first wave in an instant, leaving the queen stunned. Overcome with grief and rage, the queen swore vengeance. Toru noted Kaede's merciless efficiency as the queen mourned. Suddenly, the queen began devouring her fallen soldiers, rapidly absorbing their strength and increasing her power at an alarming rate. The Death Ant Queen, now mutated and stronger, declared her power. She boasted her level had reached 86. Beyond heroic standards, Toru stepped forward, instructing Kaede to stay back. He took charge of the fight as the queen launched a brutal attack. Dodging her strikes, Toru countered with precision. Still, the queen remained quick and resilient, retaliating with both power and speed. She laughed, revealing her magic abilities. With a blast of energy, she struck the ground, shaking the entire chamber. Kaede watched in shock as Toru was pinned against a wall. The queen mocked him, convinced she had already won. Clinging to the wall, Toru grinned with confidence. Despite the odds, he prepared himself for the fight ahead. Toru launched his surprise counterattack from behind the stone. Breaking through the wall with precise force, he faced a towering monster with the body of a spider and the confidence of a predator. She mocked him, doubting his strength without hesitation. She unleashed a massive crystal barrage to block his advance, preventing him from getting close. From above, she attacked again, this time spraying a concentrated liquid toward him with deadly intent. Recognizing the substance midair, Toru avoided contact. It was formic acid potent enough to melt through metal and bone alike. Toru dodged the acidic spray while debris and crystal shards rained around him. The monster pressed on relentlessly. Hovering above danger, he evaluated the attack's effect. Even if unscathed, his clothes wouldn't survive much longer. He gathered energy into a spinning vortex, hurling it forward with fierce momentum. Crystals shattered across the room. Standing firm, he stared down the wreckage caused by his strike. His opponent lay obscured beneath the rubble. With calm fury in his eyes, Toru declared the end. His blade was ready. The final blow was near. The monster queen trembled, realizing her level 100 strength was useless. Panic overtook her pride as she lunged recklessly. Crystals burst across the battlefield. Toru remained calm, stepping through the wreckage without hesitation. She unleashed another desperate attack, hurling sharpened limbs at high speed to end the fight. Toru dodged midair, leaving her stunned. Her eyes widened, none of her strikes even grazed him. With one clean motion, Toru's sword struck. The queen's body froze, head separated. The fight had ended in a single, decisive blow. Toru's blade struck cleanly, splitting the queen in two. Her monstrous body collapsed under its own weight. After confirming her defeat, he sheathed his sword and calmly announced the job was done. Kaede offered a towel as the two assessed the aftermath. The dungeon map revealed other creatures were finishing off remaining threats. To their surprise, the queen's severed head still spoke, vowing vengeance despite her loss. Unfazed, Kaede sealed the head away with a smile. Outside, the sun shone brightly, marking the end of another mission. Toru returned with proof of the Death Ant Queen's defeat. The official, intrigued, recognized his strength immediately, praising his timing. The man explained how the army had nearly lost hope. Toru's actions had brought relief when others had failed. While walking through the city, Toru realized the Count had manipulated him. The mission had never been about the ants alone. As he stood above the city, Toru understood he had saved an entire nation. His rewards extended beyond gold. Reputation and connections awaited. Inside, footsteps approached. Toru braced himself, aware now that everything had been orchestrated by the cunning old man. Toru returned with proof of the Death Ant Queen's defeat. The official, intrigued, recognized his strength immediately. Praising his timing, the man explained how the army had nearly lost hope. Toru's actions had brought relief when others had failed. While walking through the city, Toru realized the Count had manipulated him. The mission had never been about the ants alone. As he stood above the city, Toru understood he had saved an entire nation. His rewards extended beyond gold. Reputation and connections awaited. Inside, footsteps approached. Toru braced himself, aware now that everything had been orchestrated by the cunning old man. Toru and Kaede stood beneath the grand arches of the royal court. The hall fell silent as they approached the throne. All eyes turned to the king. With authority, he prepared to speak, commanding the full attention of the chamber. Their names echoed through the hall as the heralds summoned them forward. Toru felt the weight of the moment. The king praised their defeat of the Death Ant Queen, acknowledging the risks they endured even after his army's efforts. With gratitude in his voice, the king expressed heartfelt thanks, recognizing them before all as heroes of the nation. Applause filled the throne room as Toru humbly thanked the king for his words of recognition. Kneeling beside Kaede, a cart stacked with gold was presented as a reward. The king offered 700 million as a token of gratitude. Without pause, he proposed something greater, a heroic title granted to the Manhwa Brigade, acknowledging their collective achievements. The king made it clear that the title could be refused or passed on, leaving the decision entirely in Toru's hands. After a brief moment, Toru accepted. Kaede, standing close, reminded him of their bond and quietly affirmed his leadership. The royal declaration echoed across the kingdom. Manhwa Brigade was now honored as the country's official heroes. Toru braced for the attention. Soon after, they were guided to a peaceful estate. The group stood in awe as they were granted full use of the property. Inside, the cabin offered warmth and comfort. It was furnished, quiet, and perfect for a well-earned rest from their journey. While Kaede brewed coffee, their host declined to stay. He hinted at a detail Toru hadn't known, then excused himself. Before leaving, the man revealed the truth: a personal request had been made to make Toru the nation's hero all along. He tried to make sense of why the count pushed him into the role of a hero. Doubts stirred in his mind. He questioned if the title came with restrictions. Yet the count's answer was simple: he could live freely, without obligation. Before leaving, the man reminded Toru of his new duty, to be present when needed. Toru smiled, reassured they could keep moving. Sharing coffee in peace, Toru allowed himself to relax for the first time in ages. Kaede sat beside him, warmly watching. With a quiet voice, Kaede asked to go shopping together. For once, their journey slowed, not for battle, but for life. Toru wandered through town alone, waiting for Kaede at their meeting point. The streets bustled, but he felt restless without her. At the plaza, Kaede turned down an invitation. Two strangers approached, clearly interested in her appearance and unaware of her company. They tried to impress her, boasting of their adventurer ranks and fame. One grew bold, questioning her loyalties. Toru intervened, standing between them. Misunderstandings spread as they speculated on his relationship with Kaede, unaware of her devotion. Before conflict escalated, Toru made it clear Kaede was not just a slave but his partner. Worthy of respect, Toru checked on Kaede after the two troublemakers mysteriously collapsed. Bystanders watched in confusion, unaware of her hidden strength. As they walked through town, Toru asked why she hadn't fought back. Kaede admitted she held back to avoid hurting anyone. They strolled through the market, stopping at stalls and shops. Kaede admired clocks while Toru followed her with a smile. The airwalk brought memories. Kaede proudly noted how much she'd grown, recalling her early days with Toru by her side. Suddenly, a crowd gathered near an archway. An attraction was announced: rafting through Armand. Their peaceful outing was about to get fun. Toru suggested they try the rafting attraction. Kaede eagerly agreed, her enthusiasm drawing a quiet chuckle from him. They boarded a boat with others as it drifted toward the river's winding course. Anticipation filled the air. The current grew stronger. Kaede clung to Toru as the raft rocked unpredictably. Laughter and surprise echoed between them. Though startled, Kaede stayed close. Toru reassured her to hold tight as the river surged beneath them. Soon the guide panicked. They had taken the wrong path. The water ahead grew rough, and tension replaced the thrill. As the boat edged closer to the waterfall's edge, the passengers clung to their seats, panic overtaking excitement. Kaede and her companion braced for the drop, eyes wide in disbelief. A thunderous plunge drenched everyone. Kaede, soaked but smiling, checked her outfit in dismay while the boy laughed off the scare, relieved no one was hurt. Later that night, under a glowing crescent moon, the two strolled through town, reflecting on the day's adventures. He turned to her, recalling a night from long ago, heart full, smiling softly. He admitted he had cherished every day since they met. Kaede smiled brightly. Her heart full, they walked under the night sky, heading home together to share a peaceful evening meal. Sane discovered rumors of a dungeon hidden near the capital, piquing his curiosity. Locals spoke of its untamed depths, rare treasures, and challenges that even elite adventurers avoided. Sane saw opportunity where others saw danger. Without hesitation, he He set off into the forest, determination steady and mind focused on the unknown path ahead. Suddenly, the dense woods gave way to an open, rocky terrain. The abrupt shift in landscape signaled something unnatural. Before them lay a bustling campsite. Dozens of adventurers had gathered, all aiming for the same treacherous prize entry into the legendary dungeon. Sane used appraisal on nearby adventurers and instantly dismissed them as weak, unworthy of concern. Without delay, his team entered the dungeon driven by ambition and eager to make a name for themselves. They soon reached a vast empty chamber. Suddenly, tension spiked. Something was coming. A group of high-level orcs emerged, far beyond anything Sane had expected. Panic began to spread. Caught off guard, the team struggled to regroup. One ally collapsed, unable to fight. Sane tried to hold the line, but doubt and frustration quickly clouded his judgment. Sane was struck hard by a powerful orc, crashing into the wall with brutal force. Sane could only watch in horror. Chaos erupted as the team fought desperately. Spells flew, swords clashed, but the orcs pushed forward. Sane unleashed a lightning spell and a desperate counterattack, electricity ripping across the battlefield. Though confident in his power, he was stunned to see the orcs unharmed, mocking his failed magic. Out of options, he called on Lisa. She cast dream magic, but the orcs advanced undeterred, their resistance proving overwhelming. Faced with relentless enemies, the group cast an earth wall to halt their advance, desperate for a moment's reprieve. The barrier rose in time, forcing the orcs to pause. Sane tried to rally the team, but their relief was brief. Realizing the fight was lost, they scrambled to escape. Injured and panicked, they left the dungeon in disarray. Outside, the team collapsed in exhaustion. Wounded and shaken, they barely managed to breathe. Frustration boiled over as Sane blamed his allies for their failure, refusing to acknowledge his own misjudgment or lack of leadership. Sane tried to calm himself, aware that others were watching. Lisa attempted to ease the tension, but the party's morale continued to fall. Memories of Toru's leadership haunted them. Under his guidance, even failure had felt manageable. Lisa suggested seeking help from stronger adventurers, but Sane rejected the idea, unwilling to appear weak. Driven by pride and desperation, he resolved to defeat the others and steal their knowledge. With murderous intent, Sane launched a surprise attack. But as he struck, something unexpected stopped him mid-blow. Sane's ambush failed spectacularly. The men he tried to attack were casually relieving themselves at the exact moment he lunged. A foul stench spread through the area. His teammates noticed it too, puzzled and disgusted by the growing intensity. Covered in filth and humiliated, Sane stumbled back to camp. His eyes burned, and his pride was in tatters. The girls recoiled at his state, asking him to stay away. Rejection hit harder than any blow. Frustrated and furious, Sane screamed into the distance as the scene shifted to a grand mansion in Armand's capital. At a luxurious banquet hosted in a grand mansion, a masked man and a fox-eared woman sat under chandeliers, observing the show. While sipping wine, the woman questioned his choice to sit at the back. Unexpectedly, a small eye creature emerged from his sleeve. The man explained his cautious behavior, choosing to observe from a distance in the auction house. He preferred to remain unnoticed. Later, a nobleman arrived at the man's residence, requesting a visit with friendly intent. Over coffee, the noble expressed gratitude for saving his daughter, offering gifts in return. Toru visited a nobleman's estate where he inquired about Marianne. The nobleman explained she remained home, committed to training as a future wife. While seated for tea, the nobleman hinted that even hero of humble origins could marry into nobility. Toru, confused, listened as the man vaguely brushed off his comment. Later, he invited Toru to observe an auction being held the next night, suggesting something of interest might appear. As the event began, Toru sat among the crowd, uncertain of what to expect. Then the auctioneer outlined the rules: whoever bid highest would claim the prize. The auction opened with a massive diamond, drawing swift bids that surged into the thousands. One masked bidder stunned the room with a bold offer of 230,000, securing the jewel with ease. Next, an ancient scroll with ability-blocking power was revealed, valued for its unique effects in battle. Toru raised his hand decisively, offering 1 million without hesitation, winning the item uncontested. Later, he explained to Kaede that the scroll was a relic of the ancient species, irreplaceable, misunderstood, and overlooked by nobles who didn't recognize its worth. The auctioneer introduced a life extension potion capable of saving its user from death. Once, bidding erupted, starting at 2 million, the potion sold for an astounding 850 million. Without pause, the next item was revealed, a rare high elf. A bidder quickly claimed her for 500 million. Kaede and Toru watched the scene unfold with growing unease. A new exhibit appeared: fairy dust from a forest-dwelling race, praised for its magical flying properties. Finally, a caged fairy was unveiled. The host called it the auction's highlight, drawing shocked reactions from the room. Bidding for the fairy escalated rapidly, drawing gasps from the crowd. Toru watched in silence as prices soared into the hundreds of millions. Mysterious whispers echoed in his mind, pleading for help. He and Kaede sat frozen, confused by the voice only they seemed to hear. Realization struck Toru. The voice belonged to the caged fairy. Inside a grand auction hall, the air buzzed with excitement as bidders shouted staggering amounts. A faint, desperate voice echoed from a small cage, a fairy pleading for help. Among the crowd, Toru's eyes narrowed. Recognition struck when he heard her voice, trembling from fear. Determination surged through him. He raised his hand high, declaring a bold offer that silenced the hall. Gasps filled the room. Others hesitated, but a smug bidder rose to challenge him. Malice twisted the man's grin as he vowed cruel intentions, unaware that Toru's fury was about to ignite. Toru glared across the hall, fury simmering beneath his calm expression. The leering bidder's laughter echoed, but Toru's resolve hardened. Numbers soared as the bidding war intensified. Sweat trickled down his temple, yet he refused to yield. With a deep breath, he made his final declaration, his voice cutting through the chaos. The hall fell silent. Shock rippled through the crowd as the auctioneer confirmed the staggering offer. Applause erupted when the deal was sealed. Behind the bars, the fairy's trembling east hope flickered again as freedom drew near. As the auctioneer prepared to close the night, the spotlight dimmed slightly, awaiting final remarks. Toru rose from his seat, calm but resolute, declaring his intent to sell something unexpected. The crowd murmured in curiosity. He stepped onto the stage beside his companion, placing 2 ornate bottles before the host. Whispers spread as he revealed the truth. These were elixirs, rare potions capable of healing any wound instantly. Shock rippled through the audience. The appraiser's scroll glowed faintly as he confirmed the authenticity, his eyes widening at the treasure's unmistakable power. The crowd buzzed with excitement as the elixir's authenticity was confirmed. All eyes turned to Toru as the auctioneer requested a starting price. He hesitated briefly, then announced a modest figure. Instantly, the hall erupted into a frenzy of bidding that soared beyond expectation. When the final hammer fell, the elixir sold for an astonishing amount, far surpassing Toru's hopes. Later, in a private room, the organizers discussed the event's success while settling the transaction details. With the payment complete, the fairy's cage was handed to Toru, her freedom now resting in his hands. Toru watched the fairy silently, her posture tense and guarded as she sat in her cage, still unsure of her new surroundings. Later that evening, under a quiet sky, he remarked on how much she had changed, now safe at his countryside home. Inside the house, he tried coaxing her from the cage, reassuring her that she was no longer in danger. Though still wary, she listened carefully, clutching her weapon tightly while observing her new host from behind the bars. A casual question about cookies startled her, an unfamiliar warmth settling in as her guard slowly began to drop. With a hesitant bite, the fairy savored the cookie. For the first time, a smile softened her guarded face. Curiosity filled the air as Kaede asked why Toru had saved her. Calmly, he explained that he'd heard her voice calling to him. Startled by the revelation, the fairy dropped to her knees in apology, recognizing him as the one who answered her plea. Confusion spread as she questioned how a dragon man like him could exist among humans. Toru, caught off guard, denied any such identity. Amid the excitement, Kaede used appraisal magic, confirming the truth. Toru, unknowingly, was indeed a dragon man. Kaede explained the significance of the dragon man race, revealing their ancient civilization and mysterious power. Toru listened, unaware of his true heritage. Frau introduced herself formally, expressing deep gratitude. Toru, in turn, offered her freedom, assuring she could leave any time. Instead of leaving, she insisted on staying. Fearful of ridicule and rejection from her homeland, she declared her loyalty. Despite her small stature, she proudly announced her strength, determined to prove her worth to everyone around her. Suddenly, a strange white creature appeared. Confused but calm, Toru recognized it immediately while Frau reacted with shock. Laughter filled the room as Panda's name was revealed. Frau and the creature bounced around, their playful energy lighting up the home. The next morning, Toru awoke startled, confused by a presence beside him. Sunlight poured into the room as he sat up groggily. He discovered Frau curled up nearby. Kaede, already up, noted she hadn't seen the fairy since last night. During breakfast, they discussed travel plans. Toru casually revealed that Frau had sneaked into his bed, leaving Kaede concerned and Panda alert. Suddenly, Frau awoke on Panda's head, dazed but unharmed. Toru, meanwhile, pondered where their journey should lead next. Toru kindly asked Frau to stop speaking so formally, wishing for a more relaxed atmosphere. She suddenly remembered how he saved her life. Over breakfast, the group discussed the use of honorifics. Toru allowed Kaede to use them but hoped Frau would speak more casually. Frau, emotionally stirred, argued that calling him Lord came naturally to her. To her, he was more than just a rescuer. Then Kaede understood her feelings and supported her, easing the tension between them with a warm smile. As laughter filled the room, Toru suggested planning their next destination. Pleased by the growing bond between his companions, Frau eagerly suggested visiting the fairy village hidden deep within the Gridget forest where her people lived. Curious about the cuisine, the man asked about local specialties. Frau proudly recommended the famous fairy bee honey, a treasured delicacy of her homeland. He quickly agreed, deciding that the fairy village would be their next stop. Kaede warned them that fairies disliked humans and entering might lead to hostility. Despite the risk, the man remained calm. He didn't mind danger. Frau, however, reminded them that fairy warriors were powerful and shouldn't be underestimated. Before leaving, they planned a quick visit to the guild to take on quests. Toru and his companions arrived at a grand guild building under the bright sky. As they stepped inside, whispers spread among adventurers recognizing the famed swordsman and beast girl. A group of excited guild members rushed over, asking if they were the Manhwa Brigade, shocked by their presence. The crowd surrounded them eagerly, begging for handshakes, signatures, and even marriage proposals, overwhelmed by admiration. Suddenly, the guild leader appeared, welcoming the hero of the country. The Manhwa Brigade, once B-ranked, had risen to legendary status. Toru and Kaede received an overwhelming welcome from the guild leader after being promoted to S rank. The crowd's excitement, however, quickly became overwhelming. Using a bright orb of light, the group swiftly escaped the building, leaving behind a room full of stunned adventurers and fans. From a rooftop, they watched the chaos below. With no plans to return soon, they decided to stay low. Instead of another mission, they chose to spend the day at home, where Kaede prepared to cook for everyone. Far from the city, Toru raised his hand and channeled water magic. Kaede stood nearby, watching calmly as magic swirled around them. Without hesitation, Toru launched a powerful stream of water. The blast smashed into the rocky cliffs ahead, tearing through the stone with force. Debris scattered in all directions. Dust clouded their vision, and Kaede braced herself while shouting for help. Despite Kaede's concern, Toru insisted the attack wasn't enough. He pushed forward, directing even more power into the spell. Suddenly, a giant whirlwind formed, pulling in air and rubble as Kaede struggled to remain grounded. Kaede shielded herself as debris rained down. Toru, standing at the center of the blast, looked unsatisfied despite the chaos. She warned him to stop, calling his magic dangerous. Toru, unfazed, declared his intention to try again with renewed energy. Explaining his potential, Toru insisted his power could be controlled. Kaede remained skeptical, pointing out his poor accuracy. Moments later, he summoned a flaming sword, fulfilling a childhood dream. The power startled their floating companion. A sudden system message appeared. The nearby dungeon's level had increased, drawing both confusion and curiosity from the group. Kaede confirmed that the dungeon increasing in level was the same one where they had fought before. Rumors of rare items drew many adventurers. Toru panicked over the implications, while Kaede's familiar floated nearby, oddly praising his actions as fitting for a demon king. Trying to stay positive, Toru suggested they explore it. He reminded her they technically own the dungeon and should investigate. With Kaede's agreement, they activated the transport. Moments later, the group appeared inside a vast, unfamiliar hall. Looking ahead, Toru observed the towering windows and glowing crystal. Something about the place felt entirely different. Toru examined the floating crystal, questioning if they were already on the top floor. A quick scan revealed it was a floor below the actual central point. He proposed using the open space for storage. Kaede agreed, since their magical storage was nearly full. Kaede requested just a little room for her collection. To Toru's surprise, she began placing multiple chests on the floor. Among the items, Toru spotted his missing shirt. Kaede blushed. Frau quickly claimed the area, sparking a small dispute. Eventually, Frau surrendered. Toru chuckled, noting Panda's size was the deciding factor. Frau stormed through the halls, pursued relentlessly by the floating creature. Panda's silent chase drew shouts and panic. Meanwhile, sunlight warmed their countryside home. Kaede happily hung clothes, the breeze swaying them gently. Toru stepped out onto the balcony, savoring a fresh cup of coffee. Peaceful surroundings made him smile in contentment. Plans for the day began. Kaede explained that Frau's only outfit was in use, and she had nothing else to wear. They agreed to head into town. Toru had free time, and Kaede saw the perfect chance to buy new clothes. Toru realized he was also low on clothes and decided a shopping trip was necessary. Kaede looked surprised but agreed. They entered the bustling capital. Inside a shop, Kaede excitedly tested a fancy chair, clearly enjoying herself. Then he admitted the chair was too flashy and shifted his focus to practical needs, like storage chests. Later, the group walked through crowded streets. They searched for clothes for Frau, hoping to find something that would fit. With limited options, they reluctantly considered a doll store. Kaede explained it might be their best temporary solution. Frau reluctantly tried on a doll-sized outfit. Surprisingly, it fit better than expected, and she began to accept the look. Moments later, chaos erupted. Panda's teasing led to a challenge from Frau. Kaede tried to keep the peace. After calming down, the group entered a doll shop. Shelves lined the walls with finely crafted figures. Toru explored the displays, recalling how Nia and Sora once cherished similar dolls during childhood. Memories of Lisa followed. Unlike the others, her interest faded quickly, even with the most expensive toys. Toru remembered Lisa's cold words. She discarded her doll, claiming it was no longer needed, just like how she discarded him. Kaede noticed his silence. Toru snapped out of his thoughts, offering a faint apology. They continued browsing. Most clothes were too large for Frau, prompting Toru to ask if the shop sold fairy-sized clothing. The shopkeeper, intrigued by Frau's presence, opened a chest of fairy outfits, calling it a fortunate coincidence. He revealed the clothes were made by his late wife, who once dreamed of fairies wearing her handmade garments. The old man offered the fairy-sized clothes freely, asking only that they be accepted in honor of his late wife. Toru appreciated the gesture, while Kaede reflected on the man's kindness. Frau vowed to fulfill the wife's dream. Kaede examined the outfits in detail. There were enough options to dress Frau in different styles, including some surprisingly elaborate ones. The shopkeeper shared how the dolls and clothing became his life's work after opening the store with his wife. Frau began trying on each outfit, proudly showcasing every look as Kaede questioned if Toru was even paying attention. She proudly showcased her outfits to Toru, hoping he would notice the details she had chosen. Kaede encouraged Toru to compliment her, knowing it would make Frau happy. Toru finally praised Frau, making her beam with joy. The shopkeeper, touched by the moment, felt his late wife's dream had come true and offered Frau a special gift. With gratitude, the group bid farewell. The old man stood at the door, promising to wait for their return. Alone again, the old man reflected fondly on his wife's fulfilled dream. Opening a bundle, he discovered a note and money left to support his doll making. Outside the shop, shocked voices echoed. Meanwhile, Toru reminded Frau to care for the gifted clothes. Kaede felt satisfied. Kaede greeted Toru cheerfully, stepping into the room with a bright smile. She offered to wash his clothes without hesitation, eager to help. Noticing the messy bed and stained shirt, she insisted it was best to start with the sheets. Toru hesitated but listened to her reasoning. He joked about smelling bad, but Kaede quickly denied it. Her flustered reaction revealed how much she admired him. After handing over his clothes, Toru relaxed. Kaede gathered the laundry while he waited, the scent of breakfast reaching him. Soon they sat down together. Toru enjoyed the bread Kaede bought, grateful for the peaceful morning. Toru and Kaede found comfort in the capital, having stayed longer than planned. Their quiet morning hinted at a new sense of belonging. He asked Kaede about places she wanted to visit, but she had none in mind. Instead, she invited him to go shopping together. While Toru handled the dishes, Kaede prepared to leave. Meanwhile, Frau's endless appetite was quietly noted with amusement. Suddenly, noise erupted. Toru rushed in to find a broken window and realized Frau and another had escaped mid-chaos. Later, in the city, the group discussed recent sandworm sightings, a new concern on the horizon. Locals gathered to discuss the unusual weather. Earthquakes and storms had forced sandworms to the surface, creating chaos nearby. Toru listened uneasily before rejoining Kaede in the market. Despite the tension, the capital's fresh produce brought a sense of calm. They walked beside the canal, reflecting on their long stay. Toru picked up supplies, sensing their peaceful days were ending. As they looked out over the city, the decision became clear. It was time to move on, though parting was bittersweet. He lingered, facing the past. Memories still haunted him, reminding him of the journey that must continue, despite comfort. Toru reminded himself of his purpose, a journey to heal, to move forward. Staying still wasn't an option anymore. He asked Kaede if she had more to buy before leaving. Her eager yes brought a smile to his face. At the market, they navigated the crowd. Kaede checked her list, while others searched desperately for a missing child. Learning about the lost girl, Toru and Kaede offered their help without hesitation, asking for more details. With the girl's appearance described, the search began. The two adventurers stepped into action, ready to assist without delay. Toru and Kaede called out for Kumin through the crowded market. Despite their efforts, the girl was nowhere in sight. He considered the worst possibilities, but chose to stay calm and scan nearby streets for any clues. A sudden idea struck Toru. Kaede might be able to trace the child by scent. She agreed without hesitation. They returned to the mother, who handed over Kumin's handkerchief. Kaede focused, carefully inhaling the lingering scent. With renewed confidence, she pinpointed the direction. Toru and the mother followed quickly, determined to find the missing girl. Kaede followed the scent through crowded alleys. Toru kept close behind, weaving through people as they searched. They turned a corner and spotted the lost girl. Kaede reacted instantly, picking up her voice from down the lane. Relief flooded the mother's face as she ran to embrace her daughter. Kaede and Toru watched as the two reunited. Just as peace settled, a deep rumble shook the ground. Toru sensed something massive moving below them. Without warning, the street exploded upward. A massive force erupted from beneath, and Kaede braced herself for what came next. A monstrous sandworm burst through the rooftops, shaking the street as citizens screamed and scattered in terror. Toru acted fast, carrying the mother to safety. Kaede prepared to divert the creature's attention as planned. Trusting Kaede to hold it off, Toru instructed their allies to evacuate the civilians. Determination burned in his eyes. Kaede moved swiftly through narrow alleys, luring the worm away. She realized she'd reached the edge and prepared to strike. The beast lunged again. Toru dodged narrowly, his anger rising. His focus sharpened. The real battle had just begun. Toru believed the threat was over, but the worm surged back to life, lunging once more with terrifying force. Realization hit him: the creature possessed regeneration abilities. Previous reports had warned of this exact danger. He checked on Kaede. Though unharmed, she couldn't help due to the damage and her lack of equipment. The acid had melted her clothes, and she asked Toru not to stare. Embarrassed, he quickly looked away. Pressed for options, Toru hesitated. Kaede urged him to use his magic, even if the odds were grim. He reluctantly agreed. Toru realized brute force alone wouldn't defeat the worm. He needed to shut down its regeneration to finish the fight. A sudden idea sparked. He called out to Kaede, asking her to prepare her wind magic for a coordinated move. Dodging a vicious strike, Toru lured the beast into open space, gripping its body to stop its movement. With a signal, Kaede launched him skyward using a powerful wind blast. Now airborne, Toru prepared to unleash everything. Up above the city, he summoned his strongest spell. A blazing meteor formed, ready to fall and end it all. As the sun set over the bustling square, a young mother and her child thanked their saviors before heading home. Toru watched them leave, relief washing over him. The town was safe, and his companions stood beside him, satisfied after another mission. Later, he offered his jacket to Kaede, noticing her shiver in the cool breeze. Her eyes softened as gratitude replaced exhaustion. Morning arrived with quiet calm. Toru received a key to their new home, marking a fresh beginning for the group. Before departing again, Toru promised to act wisely, carrying both duty and trust into his next journey. Panda's unexpected strength sent the man flying, leaving Toru startled and Kaede shocked. Once calm returned, the group resumed their journey. With spirits high, they set off toward the fairy village, ready to face whatever awaited beyond the horizon. Toru and his companions arrived at Gridget, a peaceful border town nestled under a towering white cliff. Morning light streamed in as Toru woke refreshed. Greeted by Kaede, who had already fetched breakfast, they prepared for their journey, discussing their destination, the long-awaited fairy village, with eager anticipation. Realizing his armor had worn thin, Toru agreed to Kaede's suggestion to find a replacement nearby. Later, they stood before a mysterious valley. The towering arches and lush scenery hinted at the secrets the fairy village held. The group stood before the temple of the sacred weapon, its entrance hidden among enormous tree roots. Toru questioned the weapon's nature, learning it could shift form beyond a sword, limited only by the wielder's intent. As they walked deeper, Kaede explained the weapon's legacy. In the past, its bearer was seen as a king. Climbing the temple steps, Toru felt the weight of responsibility while Kaede reassured him with calm trust. Inside, strange footprints hinted others had arrived first. Toru touched the door. It opened, revealing a chamber glowing with fire and shadows. Laughter echoed through the temple as Toru realized the weapon was still untouched, their timing perfect. Stepping closer, he hesitated. Doubts crept in. What if the sacred weapon wouldn't respond or wouldn't become armor? Summoning courage, he declared his resolve and reached for destiny, light bursting through the chamber. Elsewhere, in the capital of Armand, a guild bustled with adventurers. A confident group introduced themselves as White Fang. Their leader mocked the crowd, eager for attention. Unaware of the events unfolding elsewhere, their ambition quietly grew dangerous. At the guild counter, then Sane demanded recognition, announcing his status as a hero and ranked leader. Mocked by others, he grew frustrated. His title meant little in this unfamiliar land, where respect had to be earned. Anger boiled over. Without warning, he struck a guild member, shocking everyone in the hall. Violence escalated. Another man was kicked across the room, knocking over chairs as others watched in disbelief. Crowd sentiment shifted. Members called him unstable and fake, rallying together to drive the disruptive hero out of the guild. Sane overpowered the guild members easily, mocking their low levels as he hurled them aside. Despite warnings, he showed no restraint. Rage consumed him while others pleaded for him to stop before it turned deadly. At the counter, a staff member revealed the Manhwa Brigade's legendary feat, defeating the Ant Queen of Death. Hearing their title shocked Sane. He struggled to accept a newly formed party had surpassed even national forces. Panic set in as he realized the creator of the Manhwa Brigade was heading to Gridget, the same place he planned to go. The hospital fell into chaos as the Manhwa Brigade abandoned the wounded and fled. Soldiers shouted, medics hesitated, and the injured were left behind in confusion. News of their escape spread through town. A young man, Sane, learned their location and rushed forward, driven by hatred. Deep in the mountains stood the Temple of Gridget, ancient and untouched. Sane set his sights on it with determination burning in his chest. At last they reached the temple. The sacred sword lay within, waiting. Sane's eyes widened in awe. With trembling hands, he reached out. His thoughts raced. This was the moment he had long suffered for. Victory was close. Sane stood before the sealed sword, pouring magic into it with all his strength. His companions watched silently as his efforts failed to produce any result. Despite the growing pressure, he continued to strain. The others laughed and teased him, unaware of his growing desperation. Frustration overtook him. Hours passed, sweat poured, rage followed. Even after an entire day, the blade wouldn't budge. Morning arrived. Sane had given up. The temple stood quiet once again. Later, another warrior entered. Calmly, he gripped the hilt. With ease, the sword slid free. A surge of energy enveloped Toru as the sacred sword granted him new armor. His companions watched in awe. Glancing at his gauntlet, Toru quietly marveled at the design. It was light, yet sturdy. The transformation ended. Standing firm, he observed his upgraded form. Now wrapped in divine protection, he moved fluidly, testing the armor's flexibility. Nearby, Kaede asked how it felt. Toru admitted it was comfortable but mysterious. Despite appraising it, no information appeared. He suspected the armor's magic, or perhaps his level was the true barrier. Toru admired the sacred gear, wondering how it responded to its wielder's will. His thoughts wandered to Kaede's past. With their mission at the temple complete, the group set off for the fairy village, making camp in the forest. Despite the rain, their tent stayed dry under thick foliage. Toru lay awake, alert. Rosuke stood nearby, keeping watch. Then he couldn't relax. Investigation had become routine, while Frau and Panda slept soundly. A message appeared. His experience point restoration was complete. Relief mixed with frustration. Progress would slow once more. Toru reflected on his skill, one he unknowingly carried since birth. Though reaching level 300 took 25 years, he now faced the quiet uncertainty of what came next. That night, Kaede stirred in her sleep. She muttered pleas, trembling under the covers. Toru gently placed a hand on her head, offering silent comfort. He whispered a promise to stay by her side, no matter what. Kaede dreamed of chains and fear. Toru sat quietly, unsure if she sought help for herself or for someone else. As rain fell softly through the trees, Toru spoke her name and wished her peace. Frau stood atop a pile of fallen monsters, her massive weapon resting on her shoulders. Her display of strength had overwhelmed the battlefield, impressing her companions beyond words. Accusations flew as Frau confronted Toru, certain he had doubted her. He denied it, caught off guard by her outburst. Trying to ease the tension, Toru apologized. Kaede joined in, admitting they had misjudged her. Her level had soared to 35. Toru realized his ability to multiply experience was the cause. Accepting the outcome, Frau dashed forward, determined to keep leveling. With Frau gone, the two remaining adventurers paused at the forest's edge. They agreed to wait. Toru intercepted the attack with sharp reflexes, shielding his allies before harm could reach them. The strike dissolved in a burst of light. Suddenly, a group of armed fairies charged toward them, led by a determined commander. Kaede and Toru realized a peaceful break was no longer an option. Their foes unleashed a powerful wide area spell. Toru and Kaede stood firm, but the ground trembled beneath the onslaught. Back at camp, Toru grew worried. When Frau didn't return, he shouted her name, ordering her to come back. His voice echoed through the forest, halting the enemy mid-action. A shockwave erupted in the distance. A thunderous crash in the distance alerted everyone. The enemy froze in confusion, while Toru and Kaede realized Frau had returned. With fury in her eyes, Frau charged into the scene, slamming enemies aside. She declared Toru's identity, demanding respect for him. Gasps spread through the fairy ranks. Recognizing her, the leader questioned her origins. The others murmured in awe of her non-fairy aura. Tensions peaked as a younger fairy lashed out at her father. Light erupted across the forest in a flash of chaos. Peace soon followed. Toru and Kaede walked calmly through a sacred path guided by fairies now showing them honor and respect. As they reached the gates of the fairyland, tensions lingered. Toru faced criticism, while Kaede and Frau defended him without hesitation. Beyond the entrance, they stood in awe at the stone-filled landscape teeming with fairies. Toru was surprised to see such a hidden world. A guide urged them forward. They learned the terrain was a magical illusion, meant to protect the village from invaders. Once through, the scene opened to a thriving, radiant town. Fairies worked, played, and flew freely under sunbeams piercing the trees. Harmony surrounded them. Daily life unfolded in peace. Fairies harvested, danced, and served tea with joy in their enchanted woodland home. Toru and Kaede sat in the visitor room, sipping flower tea. Across from them, the village chief introduced himself as Frau's grandfather. With no hesitation, the elder kicked his son awake, demanding he apologize. Toru seemed surprised by the aggressive parenting. Before the chief could finish scolding, Frau landed her own strike. The fairy warrior had regained consciousness and grew confused at his surroundings. Tension escalated until the chief silenced everyone. He declared Toru a member of the great race, shifting the entire room's mood. At last, the fairy warrior dropped to his knees, offering an apology. Toru watched, unsure when the gesture had even started. The elder scolded the fairy warrior again, while Toru began to feel sympathy. Frau and Kaede watched silently as things settled. Attention shifted to the village's situation. The chief admitted they faced a crisis and needed outside help from the great race. Frau's role was revealed. She was a fairy priestess, chosen for her unique ability to communicate through sacred prayers. Despite her hardships, she never gave up searching for Toru. The elders confirmed only a true member of the great race could hear those prayers. With sincerity, Toru asked about the village's problem. The chief responded, instructing him to witness it with his own eyes. The elder guided Toru and Kaede to a sealed area. He revealed that a dangerous force threatening their people lay ahead. Behind ancient vines, they encountered a massive golem bound to a tree, unmoving but undeniably intimidating. Toru learned it was a relic from the great race, awakened suddenly and immune to all their attacks. Despite the restraints, the golem struggled. Toru noted its behavior was strange for a construct meant to follow orders. Curious, he stepped closer. The golem reacted, its eyes tracking him as tension built in the quiet forest. Kaede watched from a distance as Toru faced the golem. Confidence radiated from her as she reassured them of his strength. Toru assessed the situation calmly. The restraints weakened, and the golem began to move. With no response to commands, they concluded it was broken. As the golem unleashed its energy, Toru activated his defense. Kaede prepared a barrier to protect the others while the fight escalated. He landed a strike, but the golem retaliated violently. Vines tore through the air, creating a massive gap in the roots around them. Using the opening, Toru climbed the wall. The golem followed, and they clashed midair as Kaede looked up, her eyes full of concern. Toru and the golem collided midair, exchanging powerful blows that shattered the surrounding trees. The violent impact sent both crashing to the ground, shaking the forest as Kaede watched from afar. From the safety of a branch, Toru observed the cratered earth. The golem stirred, refusing to fall. Without hesitation, he launched himself downward, blade drawn. His strike found its mark as the golem reached up. Energy exploded from the impact. As smoke cleared, Kaede and Frau approached with praise. The battle had ended. After the fierce battle ended in an explosive blast, Toru stood calmly amidst the ruins. The enemy was no more. His companions praised his strength. With peace restored, they headed to the village to celebrate with a well-deserved feast. Sane's party arrived at North Star, exhausted from days of travel, under the blazing sun. Their goal remained unchanged: retrieve the holy sword rumored to rest in an ancient temple. Memories of failure haunted Sane. Pressure from his homeland and companions grew unbearable. His pride cracked as frustration spilled out. Desperation gripped him. Without the sword, his future would vanish. Failure wasn't an option, not anymore. A distant city appeared, offering brief respite. Though reluctant, Sane agreed to rest, hiding his growing resentment toward the group. Inside the bustling city, confusion struck. The strange, unfamiliar scene ahead left them frozen in disbelief. Strange dishes filled the table bowls of wriggling insects and unknown creatures. Shock gripped the group at the sight. No one dared to touch the food. The atmosphere turned tense. Disgust filled the air as confusion deepened. One member began eating without hesitation. Her delight stunned the others, her cheer clashing with their hesitation. Reluctance battled hunger. Sane stared at his bowl, torn between pride and the gnawing ache in his stomach. Driven by stubborn pride, he shouted his resolve and devoured the meal. Soon after, the journey toward the temple resumed. At last, the group reached the long-awaited temple. The sacred ground stood silent under the sun. Sane staggered, stomach churning. Though everyone ate the same meal, only he felt the sickness. Frustration built inside him. Before the grand gate, his body trembled. The others waited, confused by his hesitation and rising discomfort. Barely holding himself together, he snapped under pressure. The gate creaked open as he fought to maintain control. Inside, the holy sword glowed in the distance. Fear crept in. If his focus slipped, the shame would be unbearable. Step by step, Sane approached the sword. The group cheered, but his nerves only tightened under pressure. Panic surged as he gripped the blade. Straining too hard might trigger something far worse than failure. One companion rushed to assist. Their combined strength yanked the sword free, but at a chaotic cost. Relief overwhelmed Sane. The moment became bizarrely euphoric, and the others burst into unexpected laughter. Far from the temple, another realm stirred. Deep within the fairy village, unknown forces began to gather. Toru tasted the fairy honey liquor and praised its smooth, sweet flavor. Joy radiated from his face. Soon, a lavish banquet appeared. Plates overflowed with fairy delicacies, and Toru eagerly welcomed the feast. Seated beside Frau, he enjoyed the food while fairies cheerfully offered to serve him. Laughter filled the air. As the celebration continued, Frau's father approached. Toru expressed discomfort about owning anyone, even in jest. The elder grew stern. With firm conviction, he declared that serving others was a fairy's pride, not shame. The fairies swarmed Toru with praise and excitement. Their father's boldness embarrassed his daughter, while Toru smiled awkwardly. Excusing himself, Toru left the joyful gathering. Then he declined Frau's offer to help and walked alone. From a quiet bench above the village, then he watched the celebration. The sounds of laughter echoed beneath the trees. Kaede approached, offering a gentle presence. Toru reassured her, grateful for the calm moment they shared. Memories stirred within him. Seeing Frau's family reminded Toru of his own loss, a pain still buried in silence. At 15, Toru returned home to find his parents murdered. The tragedy left him completely alone. Only Lisa stood by his side. Her presence gave him strength to endure the loneliness that followed. Though separated now, Toru admitted he was once not enough. Despite the betrayal, he let go of regret. Under the glowing sky, Kaede gently embraced him. Their bond deepened in the quiet night. The next day, they explored ancient ruins together. Toru focused forward, searching with Kaede for remnants of the past. Toru considered ways for everyone to contribute. When Frau asked for a task, he welcomed her involvement. Kaede called out after spotting something hidden among broken golem parts. Toru moved quickly to examine it. Behind the wreckage, a sealed entrance was revealed. They agreed to enter and uncover what lay inside. Their footsteps echoed through a dark cave. A faint glow ahead hinted at something mysterious. At last they stood before an enormous magical formation. Its complex design suggested secrets buried for centuries. Toru studied the glowing formation. Kaede recognized it as a teleportation circle and explained its magical function. She theorized a second circle might exist elsewhere. Toru asked if it could take them to unknown places. He imagined treasures or hidden vistas. Despite the risk, curiosity stirred within him. Kaede vowed to follow wherever he went. Decision made, Toru smiled. He had found purpose and trust, ready to move forward. Before departing, fairies begged them to stay. Their pleas were heartfelt, but the journey had already begun. The tiny fairies clung to the hero, begging him to stay longer in the village. Fra stepped forward, reminding them of their duty, and urged them to wait for his return with pride. Realizing their mistake, the villagers apologized, promising to wait patiently until he came back. With a smile, then Toru thanked them, and the group waved goodbye as they headed out once more. Standing at the ruins again, the hero reminded his companions that unknown challenges awaited and they needed to rely on luck and each other. They stepped into the glowing circle, embracing the unknown. Light engulfed them, and their journey to the other realm began instantly. Sein finally drew the sacred sword, marveling at its radiance. Years of desire had led to this moment. Memories of failed attempts resurfaced as his companions watched. While he gloated, Lisa reported rumors of hidden demonic threats in the city. Concerns rose about their ability to fight. Sora suggested further training, but Sein dismissed the idea, claiming readiness to act. Nay reminded them of the townspeople's fear. As tension grew, a map revealed demonic territories nearby. Sein grew frustrated by the debate. Privately, he began weighing who to discard. Sora's usefulness waned, and Nei no longer interested him. Only Lisa remained worth keeping. Strategic talks escalated as Na questioned the value of weaker teammates. Sein coldly suggested replacing them for stronger allies. Suddenly, a tremor shook the room. Lisa rushed to the window, discovering chaos outside as terrified citizens fled the streets. Realizing demons had emerged, Sein rallied the group. Despite his doubts, he welcomed the opportunity to fight and show his power. With the sacred sword in hand, he led his party forward. The chance to gain recognition pushed all caution aside. Outside, demons rampaged through the city. They slaughtered men, looted everything, and hunted down the women with cruel intent. A powerful demon commander rallied his army to pillage freely. From above, Sein and his team identified the target and prepared to strike. Sawara suggested helping the civilians first, but Sein shouted her down. For him, the lives of commoners held no value. Fear spread as women were captured. Sora hesitated, caught between obedience and conscience. The demons organized their prisoners and loot. Suddenly, magic rained down on the enemy from all sides. Confused, the demon general struggled to locate the attackers. Sein launched a brutal surprise assault, cutting down enemies with a fierce smile and delivering a killing blow mid-charge. Then he launched a powerful strike, catching the enemy off guard. Steel clashed violently as the demon questioned his identity. But moments later, the tables turned. The enemy's counterattack sent Sein crashing into a wall, bloodied and shocked. Still conscious, he struggled to rise. The demon mocked him, revealing that the demon lord wanted him kept alive for sport. Panic set in. Sein realized the demon had taken no damage at all. His confidence cracked beneath growing fear. Suddenly, help arrived. Other adventurers, seeing the struggle, charged in to support the overwhelmed group, battling the demon leaders. Reinforcements charged in, weapons raised and ready. The demon general calmly acknowledged their presence without concern. A fierce battle broke out across the plaza. Sane recognized some of the fighters as powerful attendance-class adventurers. Confidence surged through the allies, but the demons held their ground. Warriors prepared spells and launched attacks with determination. Despite the efforts, the demon general shrugged off every strike. One adventurer's attack was effortlessly deflected, causing panic to spread. Brutally, the demon crushed the attacker with one swing. His overwhelming strength made it clear none were safe from his wrath. Another warrior stepped forward, only to be frozen in terror. The demon commander loomed, calm and unshaken by resistance. Without hesitation, the demon slammed his opponent into the ground. He laughed while mocking the survivors to challenge him next. A female mage cast her spell, but it failed to harm him. Confused and panicked, she realized her magic had no effect. The demon turned away, granting his soldiers permission to do as they pleased. The mage collapsed in fear and humiliation. As he sought the hero, Sane attempted to flee. However, the demon had already noticed and attacked with overwhelming speed. Sane crashed into the wall, bloodied and broken. The demon mocked him, scoffing at his mere level 63. Laughter echoed as Sane's pride was shattered. While others looked on, he cursed his fate, boiling with anger and shame. His allies rushed in. Amid chaos, Lisa and Sawara tried to stabilize him while they shouted orders to continue moving. Despite their help, Sane lashed out. He belittled his companions, claiming his life mattered more because he was the hero. Nai stepped forward. While others escaped, she launched a fierce attack, buying precious seconds for the group to retreat. Then Nai tried to hold off the demon, but he struck her down without mercy. Sane urged the others to escape the city. As they fled, Sane revealed his selfishness. He abandoned Naidi, deeming her no longer useful, and wished death upon her. Back at the battlefield, Nae was captured. Her fading consciousness clung to disbelief at Sane's betrayal. Far away, an ancient ruin crumbled open. Light pierced the darkness as something or someone emerged with force. A new group stood at the threshold. A young warrior demonstrated his skill, surprising his companions with a precise, silent technique. After teleporting into ancient southern ruins, Rosuke and his allies noticed intense heat. From above, Frau spotted a distant glow. They began their cautious approach. The glow revealed black smoke. A pungent smell of scorched flesh and blood filled the air. Rosuke realized something terrible had occurred. They rushed toward the scene. Entering the ruined city, the group found it ablaze. Bodies were strewn across the streets. Rosuke led them deeper, seeking survivors or answers. Flames surrounded them. Panic set in. The horror left everyone stunned, the air thick with despair. Rosuke saw the corpses. Rage surfaced. Demons were responsible. He drew his sword. Rousseau and his team arrived in a scorched ruin. After teleporting, the heat was overwhelming, and dust clouded the air. From afar, they spotted black smoke and rushed toward it. The closer they got, the stronger the stench of blood and burnt flesh grew. As they entered the burning city, chaos-awaited bodies littered the streets and buildings were ablaze. Staring in horror, they realized demons had invaded, reducing the town to ashes and charred corpses. Among the destruction, two monstrous demons approached. Rousseau gripped his sword tightly, ready to confront the twisted invaders. Rosuke hesitated, overwhelmed by destruction, but his allies reminded him of their purpose. Resisting rage, he focused on rescuing survivors. He issued swift orders, splitting the team across the city. Each member charged forward, determined to save lives and stop the demons.
Demons invaded the village, leaving the streets in ruin. A young girl clutched her sibling in fear as heavy steps approached. Without mercy, one of the demons grabbed the girl, ignoring her cries. Pain spread across her face as the brute taunted her. Suddenly, a sword sliced through the air. Toru, a black-haired warrior, struck the demon down with a swift, decisive blow. The girl stumbled back. Toru stood protectively before them, ready for more attackers. He knelt calmly and instructed them to find safety. Then, he turned to face the chaos ahead. The girl promised to help, clinging to her brother. Toru nodded, then turned toward the smoke-filled streets. Demon forces grew thicker near the city center. Toru advanced quickly, cutting through the panicked crowd and fallen guards. Without slowing down, he launched a powerful strike. His blade pierced through multiple enemies, clearing a path. One demon hesitated, startled by Toru's ruthless momentum. More warriors joined the fray as chaos escalated. Toru struck down the lead enemy. Just as he caught his breath, a new wave of elite demons descended from above. Toru unleashed a powerful slash, cutting through the demon elites in a single instant. Their bodies scattered mid-air. The city guards stood in awe. He calmly instructed them to evacuate civilians while his unit handled the threat. Whispers spread quickly. This was the Menu Brigade, the first party in history to earn the title of heroes. Inside the stronghold, demon leaders panicked. Reports of total loss on both sides of the city left them shaken. A blast shattered the wall before they could react. Someone unseen had already reached them with overwhelming force. Toru emerged from the rubble as the dust cleared. His calm gaze met the stunned enemy leader's eyes. Reaching the city square, he stood surrounded. A demon commander questioned his identity. Toru simply stepped forward. With sword drawn, he claimed to be a warrior. The commander mocked him, unaware of the danger. A figure fell mid-battle. Without hesitation, Toru rushed in. Eyes locked on the falling girl, he caught her in his arms and landed smoothly. Onlookers barely processed the movement before whispering in disbelief. So fast, Toru found the girl in his arms barely breathing, her body bruised and torn. Recognition struck him. She was someone from his past. Ignoring the enemy's taunts, he focused only on the girl's condition. His eyes burned with restrained fury. Memories surfaced of her kindness. Back then, she comforted his doubts when he felt weak and wanted to leave the group. She encouraged him to stay, offering to help him improve. Her determination reminded him of his own strength. Then she even pushed him to confess his hidden feelings. Now, he held her again, broken and possibly lost. Toru flinched at her blunt words, caught between embarrassment and guilt. Still, he listened as she urged him to face his emotions. Training began with little warning. Later, with Nettie gravely injured, Toru sat in silence, surrounded by doubt and judgment. Suddenly, he stood, his fists clenched. With determined steps, he charged into battle, cutting down enemies without hesitation. Facing the demon commander, Toru revealed his strength. Though mocked, he remained focused, stating the fight would be quick. With one clean strike, he severed the demon's arm calmly. He remarked on the commander's weak defenses. The demon roared and charged, but Toru stood firm, eyes cold and unwavering as the blow came near. With swift reaction, he summoned an ice wall. The enemy froze mid-attack, stunned and restrained by the sudden defense. Reinforcements arrived. 2 skilled women entered the battlefield. One reported the evacuation nearly done, the other readied her weapon. Toru gave orders calmly, trusting them to heal Ni. He looked up and thanked both with a nod. Meanwhile, the demon gathered strength again, armor pulsed and magic surged. But Toru declared he would handle it alone. The demon general lunged with raw fury. Toru braced himself as the massive fist tore through the air. With calm precision, Toru summoned an ice wall. The enemy froze mid-charge, stunned by the sudden magical counter.
Reinforcements confirmed evacuation success. Only the central plaza remained. 2 warriors joined Toru, prepared for the final clash. The enemy, Damyu, activated his demon armor. Corrupted power surged through his body, signaling a dangerous transformation. Toru struck swiftly, aiming to end the fight before the change completed. His sword glowed. Divine slash of the gods began. Damyu launched a long-range assault. A fierce projectile shot from his mutated arm, forcing Toru to block midair. The blast shattered the wall behind them. Toru landed amidst debris, irritation briefly flashing across his face. A flurry of slashes lit up the sky. Toru dodged the attacks with precision, acknowledging the enemy's matching speed. Damo approached, boasting about his weapon, an enchanted demon axe, wieldable only by elite demons and capable of rapid regeneration. The armor enhanced his strength, raising his level significantly. Toru braced as the demon charged with renewed aggression. A devastating energy blast erupted from the ground, shaking the entire fortress. Dark tendrils of magic spiraled skyward, signaling a terrifying surge in power. Kaede and her allies hesitated, stunned by the overwhelming force. Even as panic flickered in their eyes, they knew their master was still holding his ground. Amid the crumbling ruins, the demon general towered over his opponent, proclaiming himself the strongest. Yet the young warrior countered fiercely, parrying a brutal strike and locking weapons in a tense clash. Suddenly, the hero leapt back, preparing for his next move with sharp precision. The demon general braced himself, unwilling to yield. His monstrous presence radiated strength and confidence as he prepared for a decisive clash. Closing the gap, the young warrior launched a calculated strike, locking blades with the giant. Both assessed each other carefully, anticipating the next move. In a flash, the warrior disappeared from sight. The general, now bloodied and stunned, realized he had been hit before sensing the attack. Wounded and shocked, the general noticed his demon armor cracked. His opponent had targeted the weak point with flawless precision. Standing tall, the warrior held the general's heart. Victory was his. The battle had ended. After defeating the demon general, the warrior revealed his hidden strength: 2 new job classes, Dragon Knight and Grand Thief. With their combined skills, he discovered the enemy's magic core. Facing the fallen foe, he calmly revealed his level, 300. The sheer difference in power overwhelmed the enemy, who acknowledged his absolute superiority. Heavy rain poured over the damaged fortress, echoing the aftermath of a fierce battle inside. Toru sat beside his companion, both silently processing the chaos that had unfolded. An elderly healer approached, explaining that the potion Toru used had prevented serious harm. Concerned, Toru asked about the girl's condition. The healer advised rest, warning that past wounds might reopen. After expressing gratitude, Toru watched him leave. Stepping into the room, Toru saw her sleeping soundly. Her breathing calm, relief filled him. Her arm had fully healed. He quietly thanked fate for keeping the potion. Toru observed the girl resting quietly, grateful she had avoided lasting injuries. Standing beside him, Kaede offered a gentle smile, proud to have helped with her healing. As a precaution, Kaede activated a diagnostic spell to check for hidden conditions. Her expression shifted as she analyzed the results. A moment later, she asked Toru to step outside. Confused, he followed her into the hallway. There, Kaede revealed a troubling sign evidence of brainwashing. Toru's expression turned grim. Someone had manipulated her mind. He demanded to know who was behind it. He mind raced. The thought that Seina's childhood friend might be behind the manipulation shattered his trust. Struggling to contain his emotions, he stepped away, requesting solitude. Kaede respected his wish, watching him leave in silence. As the storm raged outside, his anger peaked. If Seine was truly responsible, there was only one path left. Later, he returned to Nate's side. Seeing her stir brought urgency and hope. Nate opened her eyes, confused. Recognition flickered as she softly said his name. Toru smiled, relieved she remembered him at all. Nate leaned on Toru's shoulder, her voice low as she recalled being abandoned. He warned her gently to move carefully, worried her wounds might reopen. She shared what happened. Seine had asked her to hold back powerful enemies. Though she obeyed, it had left her broken. Toru struggled to understand her indifference. Hearing her call herself a mere pawn filled him with frustration and sorrow. Unable to hold it in, he told her the truth: she was brainwashed. Then Nai trembled. Her feelings for Seine felt unnatural. Confusion consumed her as her mind spiraled into chaos. Toru informed the others that brainwashing could be reversed. The revelation stunned Kaede as tension filled the air. He presented a potent curse, breaking potion, warning that the mental burden could be severe if the affected thoughts clashed with one's true self. Leaving the decision to Nei, Toru stepped away, allowing her time to consider. She quietly thanked him, holding the vial tightly. Kaede expressed concern, but Toru, restless, refused to rest, his thoughts clouded by uncertainty. A sudden scream shattered the silence. They ran back, alarmed by what awaited them. Nei collapsed, screaming in agony. Her body twisted violently as the curse-breaking potion took effect. Toru and Kaede watched in horror. Kaede rushed to her side, holding her tightly. Channeling her healing waves, she tried to ease Nebi's pain as she trembled on the floor. Toru confirmed she drank the potion. As she calmed, Nede turned away, ashamed and overwhelmed, begging them not to look at her. She sobbed in Kaede's arms, apologizing for the pain she caused, calling herself dirty and unforgivable. He stepped forward, shouting that she was not to blame. It wasn't her will. Toru assured Nani that she wasn't dirty. He reminded her that, no matter what, she would always be herself. He encouraged her to rest. With quiet trust, he left Neke in Kaede's care and stepped outside alone. His path led him through a busy reconstruction site. The sight of people working together to rebuild offered him a moment of reflection. Witnessing their resilience, Toru admired their strength. Despite hardship, they continued to move forward. He hoped Ane could do the same, but if she couldn't, he vowed to stay by her side always. The girl Toru had once saved expressed heartfelt gratitude. She shared how, thanks to him, she was reunited with her family. As he walked on, soldiers recognized him. They called out his name: Toru, the hero of Armand, and leader of the Menu Brigade. Despite his modesty, the people gathered, cheering and thanking him. Toru was overwhelmed by the unexpected praise. He offered to help rebuild the city. Though unfamiliar with being celebrated, he felt the need to contribute. Agreeing to assist, he joined the effort. In just 1 week, the city began to rise again. Nei quietly praised Toru's kindness, catching him off guard as he prepared a meal. She smiled, but said it was nothing. Opening up, she admitted the kindness felt overwhelming. Toru listened as she explained how undeserving she felt. He shared his own past, how he once felt the same, a burden to others, unsure of his place in the party. Toru encouraged her not to give up. He had pushed forward despite the pain and believed Nide could too. With newfound resolve, Nei spoke of returning to her village to begin again. Nei confessed her decision to retire from adventuring. Worn by pain and emptiness, she longed only for peace in her hometown. Toru realized her words masked a deeper despair. Sensing she had given up, he couldn't stand by and watch. Without warning, he pulled her out of bed and marched her outside, ignoring her protests. Arriving at the guild, Toru shocked everyone by demanding a master-slave contract with Nei. Though confused, Nei agreed. Toru clarified it was just a bond to protect her and give her a reason to live again. Toru stared at the girl with sharp eyes, exposing the truth she had buried deep. She wanted to end her life. Her silence confirmed everything. In the rain, he asked her to promise to keep living. Though hesitant, She stood still, weighed down by pain she couldn't name. She finally admitted she wanted to die but couldn't bring herself to do it. Toru rejected her answer. He still claimed her life as his. Calling her betrayal out, he commanded her to live as punishment. He wasn't ready to lose her. Tears softened her expression. She called him despicable but smiled. Toru walked beside Nei through the quiet streets, teasing her about her strange calmness. Despite everything, she didn't seem angry, only quietly relieved by his side. Under the night sky, Nei realized the truth. Being near Toru brought her peace. Their bond, once broken, began to mend as they continued their journey together. Kaede smiled brightly, proposing a day out to lift the mood. At breakfast, she suggested shopping, but the older girl hesitated, lacking clothes and money after being robbed by Sane. Toru reassured her, offering support and reminding her she could rely on them during her stay, even if she planned to return home eventually. Then he explained that, as her master, it was natural to care for her needs. She blushed, unsure if such kindness was normal. Later, the group walked through a lively street, watching the village recover and enjoying a peaceful moment together. As they walked through the busy streets, Toru received cheerful greetings and offers from villagers. His past deeds had clearly earned their respect. Kaede admired his strength, curious about how he became so powerful. Toru shrugged off the question, keeping things light as they shopped for bread together. Reflecting on their journey, he noted how traveling helped her regain confidence. Concern for her well-being felt natural to him. She recalled the kindness he'd shown before, admitting it gave her strength. She believed he could also help her sister. With smiles, they continued walking. A new shopping trip began with shared goals and deeper bonds growing quietly between them. Kaede cheerfully revealed her sister in a new outfit. Shy but glowing, Nari received compliments from everyone, surprising even Toru. Though unsure at first, she felt sincerely moved by Toru's kind words, which gave her confidence and joy. As everyone laughed and sought compliments, Kaede excitedly pulled the group to their next destination. They arrived at a beautiful oasis pool, switching into swimsuits and enjoying the sun together. Kaede, proud of her choice, praised her gift as perfect. Beside the water, light moments and heartfelt bonds quietly deepened under the summer sky. She shyly asked Toru to help apply sunscreen. Surprised but determined, he agreed without hesitation. As he rubbed the lotion on her back, she relaxed under his touch. Nasi watched in disbelief, calling Kaede sneaky. Toru, overwhelmed, tried to keep his focus while internally panicking over her soft skin and close proximity. He recalled that her kindness wasn't forced by the contract. These moments were genuine. He justified his actions while trying to remain respectful. Before he could overthink further, Nadi delivered a swift kick, snapping him back to reality with a painful landing. Kaede and the others played cheerfully in the pool, while Toru tried to keep his composure. Noticing Nadi's sudden change in mood, Toru watched as she quietly stepped away, claiming she needed rest. Then Kaede sensed her unease and suggested they stay near, but Toru offered to handle it himself. He approached Naya with a drink, finding her sitting alone by the lounge chairs, lost in thought. As they sat side by side, she finally opened up. Though still unsure, she told him not to worry, masking her feelings behind a quiet smile. Nay reflected on her guilt and the suffering of her friends. Toru listened silently, understanding her pain. He gently reminded her that the blame lay with Sane. Her happiness mattered more to him than revenge. Standing confidently, Toru extended his hand, urging her to enjoy the present moment instead of carrying the past alone. She accepted his hand, and together they ran toward the water, leaving their worries behind, if only for a little while. 1 week later, in Armand, Nadi stood ready to journey home. Grateful and stronger, she departed with resolve and trust in her heart. Nay shared her plans to help her family on the farm. Toru listened, impressed by her resolve and honesty. The group gathered for farewells. She thanked each of them sincerely for their support and kindness during her recovery. Before parting, Nei asked Kaede to look after Toru, admitting her quiet concern for his well-being. Toru invited her to join their party once more, but she gently declined, feeling unworthy of standing beside him again. Though disappointed, Toru respected her decision. They exchanged a final, understanding glance, parting with respect and unspoken gratitude. Tears welled in Negi's eyes as she begged Toru to help Sora, who had suffered abuse under Sane's control. Toru listened intently, promising to save her. He understood the pain Sora endured and questioned what to do about Lisa. Nei quietly confronted him, suspecting his unresolved feelings for Lisa. Toru stood silently, unable to deny it. He admitted his confusion, struggling to understand his own emotions. Nekai, though hurt, accepted the truth and remained supportive. With renewed trust, she placed her faith in him. Toru, determined, vowed to face Sane, once his closest friend, without hesitation. Nei climbed into the wagon, exchanging one last glance with the group. Toru and Kaede watched silently, their expressions calm but thoughtful. As the wagon departed, they all waved goodbye. With renewed determination, Toru's party turned and resumed their journey across the open road. Deep in the forest, a savage beast ruled with unmatched strength, feasting on hunters as revenge for years of pain. Spotting intruders, it charged furiously, convinced that more humans had come to destroy its domain. However, the warrior named Toru stood unfazed, allowing the beast to lunge. His companions watched in disbelief as the attack landed harmlessly. Confused by Toru's durability, the beast hesitated. Its fangs met a body too tough to pierce, its dominance questioned. Without effort, Toru overpowered the creature, slamming it into the earth, ending its reign with a single decisive blow. After defeating the beast, Toru chose mercy. As night fell, the party set camp beneath the crescent moon. While Kaede questioned their next destination, Toru calmly shared his plans to resume their journey to Gridget and eventually reach the capital. He recalled their previous goal to confront Sane. Learning of Sane's presence in the capital, they prepared to intercept him. Gathering potions to test for brainwashing, Toru vowed to free the enslaved girls if they wished. Though betrayed by Sane, Toru still sought an answer. Before judgment, he needed to hear the reason from his former friend's own lips. Kaede questioned why Toru hadn't been brainwashed like the others. He believed the risk of detection prevented it. Explaining calmly, Toru outlined 3 known methods: drugs, hypnosis, magic, and the rare evil eye of temptation. Due to its limited effect on the same gender, Kaede realized she was immune. The group agreed to remain cautious. Toru sought justice, not revenge. He aimed to expose Sane publicly and let the law deliver punishment. With resolve renewed, the group shifted focus. Their destination, an exciting tourist town, would be the next step in closing this dark chapter. Toru revealed their next destination, Batan Village, infamously known for its fascination with breasts. His companions were less than impressed. Suddenly, a fierce battle erupted. Frau's overwhelming strength shocked the enemy, and she proudly declared her new level, 190. He and Kaede urged Frau to trust them more. She revealed her stats, finally easing their doubts with proof of her progress. Her rare skills like detection and prayer for growth impressed everyone. Toru noted her talents were surprisingly well-suited even for agriculture. While teasing about her age, Toru acknowledged Frau's rapid growth. Kaede smiled. Frau was catching up to her, both in strength and spirit. Toru noticed a system alert showing his magic-saving skill had been restored. He realized most of his earned experience was being stored instead of used. As he reviewed his abilities, he found only the skill-saving function remained untouched. Several skills were maxed out, but some appeared corrupted. Without delay, he resumed traveling, joined by a fox-eared companion, crossing both stone paths and hanging bridges. Their destination came into view, a lively village nestled beneath steep cliffs and bustling with townsfolk. Thou welcomed. Toru found the village different from what he imagined, but he said nothing. Toru examined a book, suspecting it contained information linked to the Lord's earlier message. Kaede stood beside him, curious. Inside the village, he discovered buns with an unusual appearance. Though startled, he learned they were just food shaped oddly. As they shared snacks, memories of Kaede's grandmother surfaced. Toru questioned the longevity of her kind, surprised by the generational traditions. Suddenly, system alerts appeared. His skill saving reached its limit, causing a promotion, but also revealed internal damage. Kaede embraced him in celebration. Though skill saving broke, new powers awakened within him. Toru reviewed his newly acquired skills, intrigued by names like Dragon's Eye and Mega Boost. Kaede stood nearby, observing his progress. He explored their functions further. Some allowed unlocking sealed objects. Others mimicked different classes. The Joker skill especially caught his attention. Realizing that damaged skill savings granted superior abilities, he felt as if he'd gained something greater than expected. Kaede noted how close he was to becoming a monster. Together with their group, they climbed a mountain path, reaching the summit with a sense of accomplishment. From the peak, they saw a towering structure clearly. Their next destination awaited below. Toru and his group finally reached the hilltop and saw the towering structure ahead. Its name echoed in the wind, the Tower of Crows. Admiring its ornate design, Toru asked about its origins. They learned it was an ancient ruin, controlled by elves, and no human had ever entered. As they discussed its mystery, Kaede shared her experience. She'd been there before, guided by her connection to the fairies. He, hopeful, asked if visiting the elves was possible. Frau hinted it might be if they cooperated. Frau proposed a deal, help her level up so she could match Kaede's strength, and gain trust from the elves before reaching the village. The group agreed to help Frau level up. The goal was set, reach level 200. Then Frau charged into battle against beasts and magical creatures, wielding her oversized weapon with fierce determination. With precision and strength, she launched multiple attacks. Enemies scattered under her relentless assault. Her final strike landed with explosive force, ending the last enemy and shaking the battlefield. Frau proudly announced her new level 220. Toru and Kaede discussed the monster drops and rare materials, already thinking ahead about their next move. While chasing Frau, Toru unknowingly wandered close to the elf-controlled zone. The ruined archway ahead marked the border. An arrow suddenly struck near him. Though unharmed, Toru realized it was a warning, not an attack. He spoke calmly, asking the hidden figure not to treat him as an enemy. An elf emerged, observing him with caution. The elf issued a stern command to leave immediately. Toru sensed diplomacy wouldn't be easy. Toru approached a strange ruin deep in the forest, only to be stopped by an elf aiming a bow from above. She warned him to leave immediately. Before the situation escalated, a small fairy interrupted. Recognizing the elf, Toru stood still as the fairy urged her not to attack. The elf, confused by their relationship, questioned why a fairy was siding with a human. The fairy, raising her voice, declared herself as Toru's slave. Misunderstanding the bond, the elf assumed coercion. The fairy clarified that her capture was not by Toru. Frustration boiled over. The elf misunderstood, again labeling Toru a vile human. With her rage peaking, she vowed to kill him. With tension high, the elf readied her bow. Kaede stepped forward, declaring her place beside Toru and taking position to intercept. The elf misunderstood, again accusing Toru of hiding behind another slave. Toru pleaded for dialogue, hoping to ease the misunderstanding. Kaede's voice rose in defense, calling out the insult and asserting her loyalty. The elf, enraged by perceived mockery, shouted and charged. A flurry of arrows flew, but Kaede countered flawlessly. Her precise movements neutralized the attack completely, leaving the elf stunned. Without hesitation, Kaede blocked another wave. Her skills silenced doubt, proving strength beyond mere words. Kaede's flawless reflexes stunned the elf, who questioned her level in disbelief. Toru urged restraint as Kaede warned the elf for threatening her master. Still suspicious, the elf accused them of plotting to invade. Toru clarified they sought only to observe the tower, not fight. Despite his calm tone, the elf summoned forest spirits, preparing for battle. Toru sensed the rising tension and grew wary. She explained the difference between spirit and common magic, detailing how spirits bear the magical burden for their users. Invisible and untouchable, spirits launched attacks freely. Kaede stepped up, vowing to handle the magic as Toru prepared his counter. Toru activated Dragon's Eye, unlocking the ability to detect hidden forces. The chaotic swirl of spiritual energy became visible to him. A massive wind spirit materialized. At the elf's command, it launched a deadly attack aimed straight at Toru. Waves of force tore through the battlefield. Toru dodged swiftly, confusing his opponent, who briefly lost track of him. Suddenly, he reappeared beside her. The spirit magic had failed to activate. Her eyes widened in shock. Calmly, Toru explained. He had seized the wind spirit mid-summon and hurled it away, something she believed impossible. Toru approached the fallen elf, confirming that the wind spirit had vanished and the magic had failed. She struggled to believe it. Shaken and flustered, the elf hesitated. Toru calmly suggested ending the fight and requested a moment of her attention. Frau proudly stepped forward, praising her master's strength and demanding an apology, while insisting they be allowed entry into the village. Alicia, now apologetic, admitted her fault. Toru explained the consequences of her poor judgment, and Frau clarified her connection to the fairy leader. Accepting their position, Alicia agreed to guide them. Unable to refuse an official visit, she reluctantly led the group toward the village. The group entered the ancient elven village, crossing a grand stone bridge carved into the cliffs, surrounded by ruins and flowing water. Alicia granted them permission to view the tower, but urged caution. Toru agreed, promising to leave once his goal was fulfilled. As they walked, Alicia revealed that no human had entered the village for a century. The last were heroes who caused trouble. Elves appeared, glaring coldly. Insults were thrown. Toru, sensing hostility, suggested leaving before more conflict arose. Kaede encouraged him to reveal his true identity, but Toru hesitated, unsure how the elves would respond. Fra stepped forward boldly, declaring that any challenge to Toru extended to the fairy tribe itself, and she would take full responsibility. As the group continued, Toru reminded Fra to be gentle with the villagers. She reluctantly agreed, though still fiercely protective of her master. Alicia acknowledged the villagers' rude behavior and promised to make it up to them. She praised Toru for defeating her and recognized his strength. Toru responded modestly, brushing off the compliment. They arrived at a large building deep within the village, the destination finally reached. Inside, the elven leader introduced himself as Heinz and officially welcomed them to the forest elf village. Toru, surprised by the elven leader's youthful appearance, introduced himself politely and asked about his age. Heinz revealed he was 320 years old. Toru, still stunned, shifted the topic and requested permission to inspect the mysterious tower. Permission was granted, but with a condition. The leader explained that while access was allowed, there was a test involved. He clarified that the tower was sacred and normally off-limits, but if Toru could open its sealed door, he could explore freely. Despite its grandeur, the tower's only entrance had no keyhole, and even magic couldn't scratch its surface. The challenge remained untouched for generations. Toru questioned why the key to the tower hadn't been passed down. Heinz admitted it remained a mystery. Despite centuries of elven guardianship, Kaede raised a practical concern. What if they found treasure? Toru, excited, expressed his goal to explore the unknown tower. Hines agreed to a 30% share if treasure was found. He trusted Toru wouldn't succeed, noting even master thieves had failed. Alicia protested, but Hines dismissed her concerns. Their playful banter revealed their sibling bond, surprising the others. Then Toru confirmed the deal. If he could open the door, he'd be granted full access and official guest status in the village. Toru and his companion stood before the towering structure, awestruck by its massive presence. Curious, he inspected the ancient keyhole and suggested testing the door's strength. Despite doubts from the group, with full force, Toru struck the door, only for it to remain immovable, astonishing everyone. Unfazed by failure, he calmly revealed a small pin, intending to unlock the door through a more clever approach. Toru pulled out a simple pin, causing Alicia to react in disbelief. The ancient lock before them was said to be unbreakable, despite warnings that the door hadn't been opened. In thousands of years, he insisted on trying. A legendary key was supposedly required. Undeterred, he inserted the pin into the mechanism. Light flared as he invoked a hidden ability called Master Key. A deep rumble echoed. The massive doors trembled, slowly parting to reveal the ruins within. Alicia collapsed in shock, while Toru cheerfully claimed partial treasure rights and led the group forward. She dropped to her knees, flustered by an embarrassing memory, while her companion reminded her of her elven pride. The group arrived on the first floor of the Croyus Tower, discovering a mysterious object. Its shape resembled a giant egg. Curious, Toru examined its surface. The shell was soft and moist. He identified it as a beast egg, surprisingly gelatinous to the touch. A foul odor erupted as a strange creature peeked out. Everyone recoiled from the unbearable stench. Confirming the egg was dead, the team fled upstairs. No one dared stay another second near the decaying husk. Toru paused beside the lifeless creature, offering a farewell before ascending the tower's next level. On the second floor, the party entered a room filled with fountains. The environment contrasted sharply with the lower chamber. Confirming the water was safe, he took a drink. No signs of danger emerged. Everyone joined in. The water was refreshing, especially for Alicia, who became emotional thinking of its value to her people. Thou puzzled by the simplicity, Toru accepted the truth. For the elves, this pure water wasn't just a resource, it was their treasure. Toru's instincts insisted the real treasure lay higher. Without hesitation, the party climbed further up the tower. On the third floor, they entered a vast archive. Tall shelves surrounded them, filled with tightly packed scrolls. Each section looked identical. The group fanned out to investigate the seemingly endless collection. Realization dawned they were all magic scrolls, stacked by type. The scale was overwhelming. A closer look revealed something shocking. Among them were magic absorption scrolls, each worth millions. The shelves brimmed with untold magical wealth, far beyond their expectations. As they browsed the scrolls, Toru found rare types labeled deity, clairvoyance, and more unfamiliar, even to scholars. One shelf stood out with unknown symbols. Toru realized they were ancient scriptures from a lost civilization. Kaede and Frau could read them effortlessly, surprising Toru, who remembered how rare that skill once was. Alicia expressed her gratitude, noting how both the clean water and magical scrolls were blessings from his actions. With trust growing, she called him Toru. Toru, once dismissed, had earned her respect as a man of character and purpose. The group prepared to ascend once more, climbing the spiral stairs to continue their exploration. They reached the fourth floor, only to discover even more scrolls, stacked similarly to the previous level. Upon arriving at the fifth floor, a grand door stood in their path. Then Toru recognized it as the final chamber. Using the master key, he opened it. Inside, to their surprise, the room was empty of any visible treasure. Instead of riches, they found a glowing magic circle, an ancient teleportation device, waiting silently at the center. The group stood before the active teleportation circle, confident they could handle whatever awaited. Each member pledged support without hesitation. Toru smiled, comforted by their loyalty. In their eyes, he saw strength and trust qualities he now depended on. Before stepping through, he silently thanked his allies. Meanwhile, events elsewhere had begun to stir. In the kingdom of Valsi, the king acknowledged a holy sword retrieval, but questioned a recent disgraceful retreat in Norstal. Blame shifted quickly as a hero's failure was exposed. Shocked, the court learned the Munyu Brigade succeeded where others fled. Sei knelt before the throne, overwhelmed with frustration and shame, yet desperate to protect his image. He pleaded for a second chance, and the king, amused, granted it, claiming he still had room to grow. Though he accepted the task humbly, rage brewed within. The king, meanwhile, demanded a prisoner be brought forward. A high elf woman was revealed. The king flaunted her beauty, boasting of the fortune he spent to obtain her. Revealing his greed, the king ordered Sane to capture another high elf for free, sending him to the elf village on a selfish mission. Driven by twisted pride, Sane convinced himself he could win the elves' trust. After all, he was a hero. Eager to claim a high elf and gain prestige, he asked about his second task. The king assigned him to defeat the demon general, Rovus. His mission was clear: bring back Rovus's head and a new elf. With unwavering confidence, Sane pledged to succeed. Behind closed doors, resentment simmered. Though he accepted the orders, he seethed at the king's arrogance. As he departed the palace, he masked his frustration, hiding dark intentions behind a forced smile. As Sane passed through villages, whispers of other heroes spread. The Manhwa Brigade earned praise that overshadowed him. Hearing constant comparisons, he exploded with fury. His companions watched silently as his frustration boiled over. Trying to calm himself, Sane vowed to regain composure and restore his image through patience and strategy. The party reached a viewpoint revealing the elf village and a mysterious tower. Sane's curiosity turned toward the unexplored ruin. Consumed by greed, he dreamed of capturing an elf for profit. Despite doubts from his allies, he believed hero status would grant entry. Determined and confident, Sane led his party toward the elf village, believing his status as a hero would guarantee success. A powerful whirlwind surged through the elven village as a group of heroes arrived. Leaves scattered wildly, and the group struggled to locate the source of the magic. Unable to identify where the attack was coming from, they braced themselves. The leader suspected elven spirit magic and ordered everyone to stay alert. High above, an elven archer appeared. She warned the intruders to turn back, her bow already drawn. The hero, Sane, declared his mission. He sought the elves' help to defeat the demon king. The elf lowered her bow. Surprised, a hero had come, perhaps not an enemy after all. Sane grew desperate, shouting that only he could defeat the demon king. His demand for cooperation was met with cold rejection. The elven warrior firmly declared their refusal, revealing that the village had chosen not to aid humanity this time. She exposed the dark truth: humans were enslaving elves. Trust had vanished, and only the Manhwa Brigade still held the elves' respect. An outburst followed from Sane's comrade, but the elves remained unmoved. Their loyalty was already earned by others. Enraged, Sane unsheathed his sword and attempted to dominate the elf with forbidden magic. Sane grinned manically, believing his charm spell had worked, claiming Alicia as his slave. But pain struck him instantly. His eyes bled as the spell backfired, shocking his companions. Realizing her high level, he panicked. Alicia, now furious, declared him an enemy. He ordered his team to attack. Arrows and spells flew as they tried to overwhelm the elven warrior. Alicia launched herself into the air. As Sane approached, confident in close combat, she summoned a spirit. A gust knocked him back, ending his reckless charge. Sane demanded stronger attacks while the elf Alicia calmly warned him not to underestimate their power. A mysterious voice echoed as energy surged. Suddenly, Alicia activated a powerful triangular barrier, surprising Sane with a rare magic shield skill. Frustration grew. His explosive spell had drained their energy. Despite expensive scrolls, the elf's strength defied his expectations. Before he could act further, archers revealed themselves. The group was completely surrounded without realizing it. Now furious, Alicia granted them pardon for the sake of the Manhwa Brigade. The elves held back, but tension remained sharp. 2 weeks before Sane's arrival, a hidden event occurred. Toru and his companions discovered a sealed tower containing scrolls and a water source. An elf doubted the story, but Alicia confirmed Toru had opened the door himself. His words weren't a lie. Shock spread as the elf realized the human really accessed the sealed place. The news left him speechless. Toru reminded them of their earlier deal, 30% of the loot. To prove it, he presented several valuable scrolls. Alicia scolded her brother for not listening. Meanwhile, Toru watched them argue, amused by the elven siblings' dynamic. Acknowledging their mistake, Alicia insisted they honor their promise. The elves recognized the benefits of the scrolls and water, thanking Toru sincerely. As a gesture of goodwill, the elves invited Toru and his team to relax in the village. The offer was warmly accepted. Toru handed over another scroll, hinting it held something more. Gratitude was exchanged through a firm handshake. The elf examined the scroll and learned it contained a rare body-strengthening magic he hadn't seen before. Though not rare, the scroll granted permanent skills challenging long-held beliefs about magic and scroll functionality. Toru held the scroll, realizing its importance. It wasn't just rare, it was revolutionary, a discovery that could change history. Excited discussions followed. They joked about earning academic recognition. Meanwhile, the village buzzed with a peaceful, festive mood. As the night progressed, Toru and his friends enjoyed drinks and food. Laughter filled the table as they relaxed together. They shared stories of the outside world. Alicia, curious, yet hesitant, admitted she had never left the village due to her duties. Later, under the moonlight, she reflected on her fate. Elves were born in the forest and destined to die there. Alicia explained the history behind elven isolation. Spirit magic made them targets, feared even by the demon king. She admitted to feeling envious of those who could explore. Toru gently asked if she'd consider joining them. Gratefully, she declined the invitation. Although tempted, she preferred her peaceful village life. Toru asked about a rare local place to visit. Alicia promised to take care of them during their stay and hinted at a special location. Despite it being dangerous, she offered to guide them. Toru accepted eagerly, ready for the adventure ahead. In the heart of the ancient forest, Alicia led the way. Toru hesitated atop the high branches, unnerved by the height. A misstep cracked the limb beneath him. Both women cried out as he nearly fell, but caught himself just in time. He reassured them, though shaken. The path normal for elves proved difficult for outsiders like him. Alicia teased him for complaining despite being a warrior. He admitted he'd grown rusty. Reflecting on the elves' agility, Toru grew determined. They decided to treat the journey as training and push ahead with resolve. Toru prepared to activate a mysterious new job called Mimic, uncertain of its effects. The mask-like symbol appeared before him, initiating the transformation. His eyes locked onto Alicia, and instinctively his body mirrored her movement through the forest canopy. Agile and precise, he followed without hesitation. Suddenly, Toru began moving uncontrollably, leaping with the same grace as the elf. Shocked, he realized the skill had taken full control. He weaved through branches with surprising synchronization. Alicia, amazed, believed he was naturally skilled. Eventually, he understood. The job replicated the target's actions. This ability, though unintended, held immense potential. Toru adapted quickly, learning the elves' movements by mimicking them. His body retained the rhythm, even without relying on the mimic job. They continued their journey through the dense forest. Eventually, the trees gave way to a striking cliffside landscape with a waterfall. Approaching the entrance, the group prepared for danger. Alicia warned that monsters could appear at any moment, standing before the narrow path. Alicia revealed this was the only way into their hidden village. Together, they looked ahead at the mysterious cavern known as the Cave of Stars. The group arrived at a steep cliff concealing the Star Cave, a hidden entrance to the elves' secret land. Its narrow opening blended perfectly into the rocky surface. Alicia demonstrated how to reach it by running along the vertical cliff wall. Her swift, confident movements left the others stunned. Kaede questioned the method, but Toru trusted Alicia's instinct. Only elves knew this hidden path. He readied himself to climb. Using a rope and anchor, Toru swung across the drop, heading straight toward the dark opening. Inside, the team regrouped. Rasusuke's assistance proved vital. The mission continued. The group advanced through a humid cavern, surrounded by glowing stalactites and uneven paths. Deeper inside, they reached a vast underground lake filled with stone platforms. Alicia announced the first checkpoint and warned them to proceed carefully. She leapt ahead across the stones, explaining the area was inhabited by aquatic monsters. Toru acknowledged her lead and prepared to follow. Suddenly, a fanged toad burst from the water. Alicia readied her bow. Toru observed its speed, noting the danger. Despite the threat, the team pushed forward. The monsters were many, but they stayed close behind their guide, determined to reach the next safe point. Multiple monsters surged from the water as the party engaged in battle. Kaede and Alicia launched counterattacks, while Toru stayed alert on the side. Kaede took the front line, summoning her magic. Surrounded by amphibious beasts, she cast a powerful area spell, creating towering crystal spikes. Despite the chaos, Kaede remained composed. Toru asked if she was fine, and she confirmed the enemy's patterns were manageable. Suddenly, more creatures emerged. Alicia lost focus for a moment. Toru noticed too late a giant monster crept up behind her. Toru rushed forward as the enemy struck. Ryosuke intervened but was overwhelmed. Alicia cried out, shocked by the sudden ambush. He activated his instincts, tracing the shortest path through the rocky terrain. Every step propelled him faster as he raced toward Alicia's location. Tentacles surrounded them without slowing down. Toru slashed through the massive enemy's core. Alicia watched in awe, unable to react in time. The beast screeched and collapsed. Toru landed amid the chaos, narrowly dodging flailing limbs. Relief spread across the team as the monster weakened. Alicia, stunned by his speed, questioned his true nature. Toru's movements were too refined to be human. Reaching her side, he checked her safety. Embarrassed, she nodded. The tension eased as Kaede clung to him, and laughter returned. After the battle, the group paused to recover. Kaede clung to Toru, demanding attention. Alicia urged them forward, trying to keep the group on task. While walking deeper into the cave, they discussed the strange octopus-like monster. Soon they entered a tunnel filled with glowing crystals. The ceiling sparkled, revealing the origin of the Star Cave's name. Everyone stood in awe. Toru let Kaede keep a crystal. The moment became another warm memory for their journey. Their next destination lay further ahead, but a powerful monster blocked the path. Alicia warned them of the danger as they prepared to move silently through its domain. Alicia explained the cave's true master, a dragon-like beast with impenetrable scales and centuries of dominance. Even Toru couldn't challenge it directly. Following her warning, the team moved in silence. They entered a narrow path where every sound echoed across the still waters. Deep inside, glowing fish swam beneath the surface. Toru glanced upward, amazed by the beauty above and below them. Just as they neared safety, a chilling growl echoed. Something stirred beneath the water's surface. Breaking the calm, the giant octopus, thought defeated, reappeared. Its severed limbs had regenerated. The group prepared to destroy it completely. A massive beast erupted from the water, blocking their path. Covered in sharp scales, the monster towered above them, exuding power and rage. Everyone froze in shock as water splashed around them. Toru and the others readied their weapons, not expecting another threat so soon. Alicia revealed it was the White Demon, a mutated crocodile-dragon hybrid. Despite the danger, Toru insisted they retreat while he handled it alone. He stepped forward, determined to end it. As the beast lunged, he prepared to confront its immense strength head-on. The impact shattered the ground. Toru shielded Alicia, leapt to safety, and carried her from the collapsing path just in time. Toru placed Alicia with Panda and ordered her to retreat. He ensured she landed safely before turning his focus back to the threat. Smiling with confidence, Toru declared he wouldn't abandon anyone. A powerful magical strike suddenly hit the enemy from above, catching it off guard. Kaede realized the enemy had escaped into the water. She readied her spell to force it back to the surface despite the danger. Casting Ice Age, she froze the entire waterway in a massive spell, locking everything in crystal. The team stood amazed by the sheer power, but before they could celebrate, the creature burst through the ice again. Kaede braced herself. A beast broke free from the frozen floor, revealing its resilience. Kaede observed its resistance to ice and prepared for what came next. Toru regrouped with the others, shaken but ready. Alicia questioned whether escape had been the wiser option. Facing the towering crocodile dragon, Toru acknowledged the challenge. He welcomed the rare opportunity to go all out. Toru faced the colossal white alligator without hesitation. He signaled his allies to remain airborne while he prepared to strike. Without warning, the monster lunged, destroying stalactites in its path. Kaede and Alicia scanned the area in panic, searching for Toru amid the chaos. High above the enemy, Toru launched a probing attack. His first strike sent a shockwave through the cavern. Drawing a pained howl from the creature, chunks of scale fell, but the monster endured. Toru realized holding back wasn't enough. It barely made a dent. Kaede analyzed the enemy. Her eyes widened. This was no ordinary foe. Its level far exceeded expectations, demanding a new strategy. She quickly scanned the monster and identified it as a white alligator, a dragon subspecies with immense strength and powerful resistances. Its level was an intimidating 134. Despite Toru's previous assault, the creature barely flinched. Even with restraint, his strongest blows only chipped a few scales. Kaede responded to Toru's call and confirmed the threat's attributes. Her expression turned tense as the creature's abilities became clear. Armed with the analysis, Toru maintained a calm demeanor. He saw it as an opportunity to gain valuable experience. Toru and Kaede relaxed with tea, confusing Alicia. Their casual attitude sharply contrasted with the deadly battle ahead. He stood firm as the white alligator unleashed a powerful stomp. The ground cracked beneath its weight, but he didn't flinch. Rather than flee, Toru studied the beast's movement. The moment it exposed its flank, he made his move and targeted its tail. His attack struck clean. With a single swing, the massive tail was severed. Shock spread across his companions' faces. The monster recoiled in pain. Toru approached without hesitation, provoking it further. Alicia observed in awe at his precision. Kaede calmly explained Toru's tactics. Despite overwhelming power, he always studied his enemy. Alicia marveled few warriors showed such restraint. The white alligator suddenly reared up, unleashing a massive wave of ice breath. Toru quickly shouted for the others to take cover as the attack swept across the cave. Behind a shimmering barrier, Alicia remained safe while Toru prepared to withstand the full brunt of the freezing blast alone. As the storm faded, Kaede deactivated the shield. Everyone anxiously searched for signs of Toru amid the icy aftermath. Emerging slowly, Toru appeared frozen but still standing. His allies were in disbelief, yet Kaede calmly offered more tea. With a burst of strength, Toru shattered the ice. Determination lit his eyes as he readied for the next strike. Toru emerged apologizing after surviving the ice attack. Though bruised, he stood ready as the white alligator roared and prepared to counterattack. Rather than charging blindly, he analyzed the creature's hardened scales. They seemed perfect for armor, but he needed to act without collapsing the cave. Without hesitation, Toru dashed forward straight into the monster's open mouth. His companions watched in shock, unsure of his intent. Suddenly, the beast flailed, overwhelmed. From within, a loud noise signaled a critical blow. The monster collapsed. Toru emerged from beneath it, drenched and exhausted, grumbling about the terrible smell. Toru reassured his companions he was unharmed. Despite the stink, he instructed Kaede to store the alligator remains in magic storage. Seeking relief, he asked Alicia if there was a place to wash. She guided the group toward an underground lake. They arrived at a breathtaking, crystal-covered sanctuary. Its beauty stunned them. Alicia explained it was sacred and safe for swimming. Without hesitation, Toru stripped down and dove in. Alicia, flustered, followed his lead with a splash. Underwater, Toru marveled at glowing fish and serene currents. The cave's tranquility replaced the battle's chaos. Toru laughed joyfully in the lake, thanking Alicia for bringing him. He was amazed by the sight and full of childlike wonder. Alicia blushed, calling him unusual among men. Toru questioned her teasing, but Kaede assured him it was meant as praise. Later, the group returned to the village, revealing the enormous white alligator's corpse. The villagers stared in disbelief. Crowds quickly gathered, bombarding Toru with questions. Many were stunned a human could defeat such a beast. Though some elves doubted him, Toru explained calmly. He had entered the creature and slain it from the inside. As tension rose, Alicia stepped forward, defending Toru's honor. She revealed he was also the one who opened the sealed tower. Villagers approached Toru, some still skeptical. He tried to downplay his actions, but the crowd kept pressing for answers. One elf woman shared her grief. Her husband was killed by the white demon decades ago. Others added their losses, expressing sincere gratitude. The village chief reminded everyone that Toru had done what many warriors could not. He urged them to show respect, not suspicion. Moved by the shift in attitude, Toru accepted their apologies with humility. The elves, now grateful, thanked him warmly. The village chief offered Toru any reward. Toru humbly requested only half of the alligator's remains, proposing the rest be used to benefit the elves. Instead of riches, Toru asked for recognition of the Menu Brigade as allies. Kaede stood proudly beside him. Alicia was deeply moved. She declared that Toru was already their friend, stunning the villagers and her brother alike. To celebrate the alliance, a grand party was announced. Cheers erupted throughout the village. As festivities began, the group joked over their enormous roasted alligator. For once, peace and joy filled the sacred grounds. Toru and Kaede enjoyed a peaceful picnic beneath the shade of a large tree, the mountain breeze carrying the scent of fresh air. Days had passed since Toru's arrival in the elf village. He took a well-earned break at the mayor's villa, warmly greeted by locals. Trust had grown since the white alligator incident. Though shy at first, the villagers became companions on several hunts. Plans for stew were made with Kaede while others prepared to track a bigger target. Suddenly, Alicia rushed in, visibly alarmed. Her level had skyrocketed unnaturally. Concern etched her face. Something wasn't right with her skills. Although Alicia hadn't fought the white alligator, she still received experience. Toru, knowing his unique skill caused it, kept quiet. Everyone's levels had surged. Even guests like Alicia benefited from the alligator battle, gaining significant growth. Kaede and Frau had broken past their skill limits. Despite this, some villagers remained doubtful of Toru's power. Alicia voiced frustration over skepticism. The truth about the aged alligator's weakness didn't matter. Toru's acceptance by the village meant more, wanting to prove something. Alicia proposed a contest. With a grin, she revealed the challenge: egg hunting. In the elf village, aspiring warriors must collect Janome hairdori bird eggs from treacherous cliff nests to earn recognition. Toru accepted the challenge eagerly, especially after hearing the eggs were a rare delicacy. Kaede joined him with enthusiasm. Arriving late to the ruins, Toru was surprised to see the skeptical warriors gathered. Alicia quietly explained their doubts. The lead elf questioned Toru's strength, planning to judge his worth by observing the egg hunt. Determined, Toru followed their guide toward the cliffs, as dozens of fierce Janome birds soared overhead. The group arrived at the base of a steep ravine where the true warrior's test would begin. Before them stood the warrior's wall, a jagged cliff towering into the clouds, its peak hidden from view. Alicia explained the hairdori nests lay 700 meters up. One elf called Toru forward, emphasizing the sheer challenge ahead. Scattered bones from fallen challengers served as grim reminders. The elf asked if Toru intended to quit. Resolute, Toru declared his readiness for danger. Though aware of the risks, he had no intention of dying today. Toru reaffirmed his resolve, unwilling to abandon a challenge tied to his pride as an adventurer. Before he could begin the climb, a young elf warrior rushed in and suddenly attacked without warning. Reacting quickly, Toru deflected the strike and countered with precision, sending the boy to the ground. Alicia stepped in to explain the attacker's identity, while Toru calmly asked if she knew him. Then the boy, named Radolf, was Alicia's childhood friend. Though young, he demanded respect as a warrior and resented being treated like a child. Radolf challenged Toru to a competition. Whoever collected more eggs would win. Toru agreed but asked what was at stake. While others laughed, Alicia protested the harsh condition. Radolf demanded Toru stay away from her if he lost. The elders sweetened the deal with legendary prizes: ancient wine, mythical apples, and cured ham for defeating Radolf. Despite Alicia's concern, Toru accepted. To balance experience, she offered to teach him a few techniques beforehand. As they began climbing the cliff, Toru reassured her. The challenge, the prizes, and the risk, it was all part of the adventure. With Alicia leading the climb, Toru followed, learning by observing her movements step by step. Embarrassment struck as their positions caused misunderstandings. Alicia lost her footing and fell on Toru, unexpectedly. Caught in an awkward hold, they struggled to regain balance mid-cliff. Toru fought to stay composed. After reaching the ground, Alicia was flustered, while Radolf returned, urging a fair competition to begin. Bruised but determined, Toru declared he had mastered the climbing trick. The challenge ahead was now truly underway. The Haradori birds left their nests to search for food, marking the start of the egg-gathering challenge. Both Toru and Radolf launched up the cliff. The rules were clear: only one egg per nest. Winner takes most. Spectators were stunned by Toru's speed, losing sight of him within the first hour of the climb. Radolf, feeling the pressure, noticed Toru keeping pace and refused to be outdone. Alicia remained defiant under questioning. Using his skill, Toru mimicked Alicia's climbing technique and closed in on the nest with calm focus. Then Alicia warned Toru to avoid nests guarded by mother birds. He shifted his focus to safer targets. After securing his first egg, Toru spotted more nests nearby. His luck and movement were unmatched. Radolf watched in disbelief as Toru effortlessly leapt across cliffs, securing his third egg. Pressed for time, Radolf considered a risky nest still guarded by a mother bird, despite the danger. Meanwhile, Toru calmly added his 30th egg. Nearby, Radolf shouted in frustration, ordering Toru to move aside. Radolf recklessly approached a guarded nest. The mother bird attacked and he lost his grip. Toru, seeing him fall, immediately launched himself from the cliff to intercept him midair. As Radolf panicked, Toru pushed through the air and managed to grab his hand. Their combined weight strained the rope. Toru clung tightly, bracing against the cliff as tension snapped through the line. At the last moment, the fall stopped. Toru exhaled in relief, securing their position while Radolf dangled beneath, stunned but alive. He collapsed, shouting his defeat. His pride shattered after witnessing Toru's unmatched performance. Kneeling in apology, he admitted his immaturity. The others acknowledged Toru's courage, and Alicia reminded them Toru had saved a life. Shock spread as they learned Toru collected 30 eggs. Impressed, even the skeptical warriors praised his determination and suggested future hunts. Toru declined dinner, stating his friends were already preparing a meal. Grateful, the others insisted on visiting him next time. Back home, his companions worried. Just as they speculated, Toru arrived, apologizing for being late. Toru returned triumphantly with a group of smiling companions, carrying eggs, wine, and other goods. Everyone welcomed Toru with joy. The festive mood continued into the night as they began preparing a meal together. Toru entered the Grand Archive to select evaluation scrolls. Choosing 5 with Kaede by his side, confident with his picks, he decided to include underwater breathing scrolls as well. He tested a message scroll, curious about its function. The scroll activated, displaying a magical interface as he sent a message to Alicia. Without single use, the scrolls could be useful during emergencies. Alicia observed the result, impressed by the convenience. Fra rushed in, reporting several intriguing scroll types. Toru requested 30, focusing on practical effects like sleep recovery. Despite the generous haul, Toru humbly declined most, admitting he rarely used his magic loan ability. Toru discussed practical scrolls with Frau, deciding to order 30 map scrolls for future use. He also considered sharing magic reserves with Kaede if needed. He noticed a scroll behind Frau. Though she insisted it was nothing, her nervous behavior sparked his curiosity. Quietly, he activated it without her knowing. The scroll revealed an enhanced sense of smell effect. Toru, realizing its odd utility, chose to ignore it and played dumb. Later, the group joined a village feast. Upon hearing they planned to leave, the villagers reacted with surprise. Toru explained they had a mission. Now, despite invitations to stay, he remained firm, acknowledging the fleeting nature of their journey. He revealed he had discovered a teleportation circle in the Tower of Croas. Though others expressed regret about his departure, he remained focused on his next destination. He shared plans to visit the capital of Grajit after leaving the village. Despite their sorrow, the villagers respected his decision and acknowledged his impact. Rather than dwell on sadness, the village chose to celebrate. Toru raised his mug to join in their send-off. Everyone drank, laughed, and competed in games, honoring their bond with him. With joyful hearts, they cheered under the stars, memories etched in smiles and farewell toasts. Toru leaned on the table, tired but smiling. Kaede, cheerful and energetic, encouraged him to enjoy more drinks. They sat together on the balcony. Kaede praised the drink, slowly closing the distance between them with a tipsy smile. She leaned closer, her body pressing against him. Toru, caught off guard, tried to stay composed as she clung to him. Alyosha stepped in with water, breaking the tension. Toru gratefully accepted and asked Kaede to rehydrate. Kaede, still flushed, sipped carefully. Toru warned her about the spilling cup while she thanked him with a warm smile. Kaede, now asleep, rested peacefully against Toru's lap. Alicia offered to clean the spill while Toru apologized. Afterward, Alicia returned with homemade food. Toru, pleasantly surprised, complimented the flavor and thanked her sincerely. Their conversation deepened as Alicia nervously asked if he liked girls like her. Toru, calm and genuine, praised her kindness and beauty. Nearby, the village chief watched them. Feeling grateful for Toru's help, he decided to personally serve him a drink. The chief saw it as a rare chance. Toru, seated between friends, smiled and expressed his gratitude for the joyful night. Toru decided it was time to rest. With Kaede asleep, he accepted the invitation to stay at Alicia's mansion for the night. The village chief assigned Alicia to guide them to their rooms. She grew suspicious of his vague encouragement before he walked away grinning. Kaede stirred beside Toru while Alicia poured drinks. Observing the situation, Frau seemed to understand the atmosphere without needing explanation. Alicia led the way while Toru carried the drowsy Kaede. The others around them agreed it was time to wrap up the night. While Toru departed for the mansion, Frau remained behind, choosing to drink a little longer under the night sky. They entered the room only to find a single large bed instead of 4 separate ones. The arrangement puzzled them. Kaede, half asleep, clung to Toru, refusing to be separated. He gently placed her on the bed, admitting there were no other options. Alicia rushed out to check, only to discover all the rooms were full. She returned frustrated, realizing her brother had meddled again. Toru suggested they use the room anyway. Alicia, upset but tired, offered to sleep on the floor, while insisting Toru take the bed. Neither wanted to let the other sleep uncomfortably. They argued politely, each trying to give up the bed until they reached a compromise. Alicia, flustered yet firm, announced her decision. To resolve the bed-sharing debate, she declared they would all sleep together. Toru hesitated, unsure of the arrangement. Alicia insisted it was normal among adventurers, casually undressing without concern. She explained her discomfort sleeping in clothes. Toru turned away nervously, struggling to keep his composure. Eventually, they lay side by side. Kaede stirred in her sleep while Alicia inched closer, creating a tense but quiet moment. Kaede, still groggy, asked to undress as well. Alicia, flustered but understanding, agreed, allowing the night to settle into calm silence. Alicia struggled internally, caught between modesty and curiosity. Glancing at Toru's physique, her thoughts wavered as she tried to remain composed. Meanwhile, Toru found it difficult to relax. Kaede unconsciously moved closer, wrapping herself around him as she mumbled in her sleep. Startled by her touch, Toru tensed. Her affection escalated, making it harder for him to stay calm or fall asleep. She joined them again, noting the chill in the air. She moved closer, trying to stay warm and comforted by Toru's presence, nestled against him. She quietly admitted it felt comfortable. Despite the awkward situation, the room slowly fell into peaceful stillness. Toru found himself tightly sandwiched between Kaede and Alicia. Their closeness left him flustered and overwhelmed by the situation. Unable to handle the tension, he abruptly jumped up from the bed, his emotions spiraling. Visions of chaos flooded his mind. He turned around in disbelief, realizing both girls had already fallen fast asleep. Their peaceful faces clashed with the intensity he felt. Toru quietly slipped out of the room, running into Frau, who greeted him mid-drink. She assumed he had gone to sleep. He muttered about taking a bath. Frau observed his state, deciding not to question his internal battles. Toru found himself trapped between Alicia and the fox girl, both clinging to him under the covers. Their close proximity sent his instincts spiraling as the situation turned overwhelming. Panicked, he shot up, glowing with suppressed energy, barely holding back the primal urges rising within. He imagined chaos and fled the room in desperation. Returning moments later, he discovered both girls sound asleep, completely unaware of the turmoil they had caused. Later, Toru wandered the hall, mentally exhausted. Frau greeted him curiously, noting his battered expression and cryptic behavior. The next morning, Toru claimed nothing happened. The others were unconvinced. Kaede buried her face in frustration, recalling the night's awkward stillness. Toru, unaware of her thoughts, waited outside the door. On the day of departure, Toru stood at the center of the teleportation circle, surrounded by villagers and his companions. A wave of tension filled the room. Before stepping away, he discussed the route and risks with the village elder, confirming details of the destination. Kaede reminded the group to stay close during the jump. Toru gripped the orb tightly as all three prepared to leap through the portal. Alicia rushed forward, calling out with concern. Her plea echoed they had to come back safe. Cheers and farewells rang out. With one last wave, Toru and his team vanished into light, beginning their next journey. Tears welled in Alicia's eyes as she clutched the orb Toru left behind. A nearby villager tried to comfort her, assuring her of his return. Far from the village, Toru and his team landed inside a dark, musty ruin. He instructed Kaede and Frau to secure the surroundings as they pressed forward, cautiously advancing. They scanned for threats. The path seemed clear, but they remained alert in the unfamiliar structure. Toru noticed something on the wall. Recognizing the seal, he activated his Grand Thief skill to investigate further. A hidden door rotated open. Behind it, a sealed space awaited. But they wouldn't need to force entry. Luck was on their side this time. Toru tapped the wall and sensed its hollowness. With confidence, he prepared to break through, convinced a path lay beyond. Charging forward, he smashed through the stone only to find himself flying straight at a startled stranger hidden behind it. Both parties fell to the ground in chaos. Kade and the others rushed over to check on Toru's condition after the crash. Weapons were raised in suspicion. The sudden intrusion had alarmed the armed group nearby, demanding answers. He introduced his team as the Wandering Brigade, easing tensions. Recognition flickered as reputation had reached them before he even spoke. When questioned, Toru revealed a hidden hero's bracelet proof of his recognition by the King of Armen. He usually kept it hidden to avoid attention. The elder confirmed its authenticity immediately. Toru explained its royal origin, which impressed the group. Skachel, a former hero himself, acknowledged the bracelet. Weapons were lowered, and tensions eased as he introduced himself with his noble title. He then presented the powerful escorts by his side, the elite adventuring team known as the Flame Axe Brigade. Each member introduced themselves. Realizing who they had met, Toru asked if they had arrived near the legendary city of Gridget. Toru explained that a strange teleportation circle had transported him unexpectedly. The others were shocked to learn they were 20 floors deep in the Gridget ruins. Realizing the shortcut saved him days of travel, Toru noted his skill had increased. Curious, he asked permission to inspect the entry point. Inside, it became clear the chamber had already been stripped of artifacts, leaving nothing useful behind. When Skachel shared his grandson's poisoning, Toru offered a rare antidote without hesitation, moved by empathy. Though cautious, the group verified the potion's authenticity. To everyone's relief, it was genuine, the real deal. Faced with gratitude but no payment, Toru proposed a fair exchange guidance to Gridget's capital in return for the valuable antidote. The elder humbly accepted, expressing his deep appreciation as the group looked on with softened expressions. Later, they discussed the source of the poison gargoyles, dangerous creatures capable of turning victims to stone with a single strike. Skachel admitted he lacked resources and options, having searched desperately through ruins for a cure. With tensions eased, talk turned to strength. Orlos asked about the Wandering Brigade's power, hinting at a deeper curiosity. Toru casually mentioned he had once defeated a red dragon. The claim shocked the others, who couldn't believe what they heard. Kaede explained the monster ranking system, clarifying that red dragons were classified as SS immensely dangerous threats. As the truth settled in, the group began to grasp the scale of Toru's feat. Cities falling to red dragons was not uncommon. Tension eased, turning into playful teasing. Orlos, now impressed, asked Toru for a friendly sparring match in the future. After a long journey upward, the party finally found the exit, sunlight welcoming them after a full day underground. After reaching the exit, the group paused to rest. Despite his eagerness to return, Skachel admitted his body was nearing its limit. Toru called Panta, his spring beast surprising the others. The sudden appearance startled both Orlos and Skachel. Anse reassured, Skachel gratefully accepted the ride. The team resumed their journey through the serene forest path leading home. They finally arrived at Skachel's residence. Modest yet peaceful, it stood beneath a massive tree, an ideal home for a former hero. Before parting, Skachel thanked them with a generous reward. Toru promised to treat his party well, closing the journey with gratitude. As they strolled back, Skachel asked about Orlos. Toru confirmed his apprentice had surpassed him in strength, surprising the elder. Inside the garden, Kaede asked about Toru's swordsmanship. He revealed his father taught him the basics before passing away, prompting him to train alone. Reflecting on growth, Kaede shared a lesson from her grandmother that people meet the right ones when ready. To Toru, Kaede had become one of them. They smiled at each other warmly. Their bond, built through trust and time, deepened quietly. Inside, the group reunited with Skachel's daughter. Though the ruins offered little, the reunion and saved life meant everything. Skachel introduced Toru's group to his daughter, explaining how they had saved her with a rare antidote. Relief and gratitude filled the room. Overwhelmed by emotion, he bowed deeply, expressing his thanks with words that struggled to match his feelings. Though Toru insisted it was nothing, Skachel felt compelled to repay the kindness in some way, no matter how small. He presented a sealed box containing a rare beast egg, something he had once prepared to sell in desperation. Kaede examined the egg and confirmed it was still alive, an irreplaceable gift passed down from a king. Anna opened her eyes, her breathing steady once more. The antidote had worked, and relief washed over the room. The old man offered a wooden box to Toru, insisting he take it. Toru hesitated, feeling undeserving. Still, the elder pressed on, grateful his granddaughter was alive. Kaede smiled softly, finally able to relax. Realizing the depth of trust placed in him, Toru accepted the gift. Inside lay a glowing egg, mysterious and warm. Curiosity took hold as the elder explained its origins. Toru studied the artifact, wondering about its hidden power. Energy surged, light burst forth. The egg responded, awakening had begun. The space around them bent violently, radiating with magical force. Even the old man was stunned by the display. Strange tendrils erupted from the shell. Toru hesitated, unsure if the creature within had survived. Then, without warning, something latched onto him. Shocked, he struggled to pull back. A black figure emerged, smiling unnaturally as it surfaced from the broken shell. Everyone stared in confusion and awe. A strange light filled the room as Toru and Kaede stared in disbelief. Something mysterious began to form before them, radiating a soft but unstable glow that drew everyone's attention. Moments later, a small creature emerged, a fish-like being with fins twitching and eyes blinking curiously. However, its movements weakened, and the glow dimmed quickly. Toru realized it was struggling to breathe, its body trembling on the floor. They rushed to find water. A wooden tub became its refuge, and the creature's energy slowly returned as it floated calmly. Observing it closely, the group concluded it resembled a small aquatic beast. Though fragile at birth, it seemed to adapt fast. Toru examined the creature closely, noting its sleek shape and resemblance to a shark. Kaede used her abilities to identify it as an aquatic guardian familiar, piquing everyone's curiosity. They discussed names, and Toru proposed Sharko, inspired by old tales from distant lands. After some laughter, Toru gently greeted the creature, now officially called Sharko. It responded cheerfully, already growing fond of him. Experimenting with its powers, Toru commanded Sharko to return to its dwelling. The creature obeyed before vanishing instantly. As dusk fell, their host invited the group to stay the night. Relieved, Toru and Kaede accepted, ready to rest after an eventful day with their new companion. Morning arrived with birds singing outside the window. Toru stretched contentedly after a hearty breakfast, feeling at ease for the first time in days. They gathered around the table to thank their host for the meal. The old man, grateful for their help, asked to speak with Toru privately. He led them upstairs to meet his granddaughter, recently recovered from a deadly poison thanks to their antidote. Her smile was gentle but weak. Toru reassured her there was no need for repayment. Gratitude was enough for him and his companions. The girl expressed relief that the poison had faded, though her strength remained low. Toru simply smiled, glad to see her alive and healing. He listened as the old man explained Anna's near-death experience. The poison had nearly claimed her life, but their timely arrival changed everything. Moments later, a nobleman burst into the room, panic written across his face. He rushed to Anna's side, revealing himself as Prince Hunkel. Overwhelmed with relief, the prince embraced her, tears falling as she apologized weakly for keeping her suffering secret. Watching from the side, Toru and Kaede smiled, quietly admiring the sincerity of their bond. The old man revealed the truth of their connection. Though their love crossed social ranks, hope lingered that it might overcome all boundaries. Anna revealed to Prince Hunkel that Toru and Kaede were her saviors. Overwhelmed by gratitude, the prince threw himself at Toru, thanking him with unrestrained emotion. Still flustered, Toru introduced himself, while Hunkel insisted they become friends. Before Toru could object, the prince dragged him away with excitement. Kaede called out in confusion as the two rushed down the stairs. Toru assured her everything was fine before disappearing with Hunkel. They soon traveled by carriage through a dense forest, the prince remaining secretive about their destination. At last, they arrived at a massive castle. Hunkel proudly announced their arrival, calling out to his mother inside the grand hall. Inside the grand hall, Hunkel presented Toru before the Queen of Gridget, demanding a reward for Anna's saviors. The queen, though startled, composed herself quickly. Amused by her son's sudden outburst, she scolded him for his lack of decorum. Hunkel apologized, his cheerful nature filling the hall with laughter. The queen sighed, admitting her son had always been this way. Toru watched the royal family's antics, unsure how to react. Curiosity replaced amusement as the queen examined Toru carefully, questioning his abilities and background. After brief thought, she ordered a generous reward. Toru, relieved, felt ready to leave, while Hunkel proudly defended Anna's honor before his mother. The queen questioned Hunkel's eagerness, demanding to know who Toru truly was. Toru, feeling uneasy, wished to end the encounter quickly. Gathering composure, he introduced himself as the leader of the B-rank adventuring group known as the Wandering Brigade. Recognition dawned on the queen's face. She recalled tales of his group defeating one of the Demon King's generals, and her tone shifted to respect, with newfound formality. She thanked Toru for saving Anna and inquired about his future plans and ambitions. Toru sensed tension beneath her polite words. Making an excuse, he chose to leave, uneasy about what might come next. As Toru turned to leave, the queen commanded her guards to block his path. With a calm smile, she proposed a task for the kingdom's sake. 2 knights restrained him while she promised a generous reward. Though tempted, Toru couldn't shake the unease from her piercing gaze. That night, he returned to his companions, explaining the unexpected mission he had accepted under pressure. The job was to eliminate demon forces threatening a vital trade route, an enemy led by one of the Demon King's generals. Despite the danger, Toru and Kaede resolved to take the task. Confidence filled the room, but caution lingered beneath their determination. Originally, the mission had been assigned to a hero, but his absence forced Toru's group to take over. Kaede viewed the situation positively, despite Toru's frustration. Plans were finalized for departure the next morning. Anna and her family offered words of support, entrusting the kingdom's future to Toru. Toru reassured them with a confident smile. The group left with light steps, believing their return would be quick. Cheers echoed as villagers gathered to see them off, praising Toru as if he were a national hero. Suspicion filled Toru's mind. The queen may have revealed their mission to trap him into fulfilling it publicly. An elderly woman collapsed before Toru, revealing that her son had vanished during the kingdom's first failed extermination attempt. Through tears, she explained she only wished to give him a proper burial, even if all she could recover was a memento. Toru accepted her request, vowing to search for any sign of the soldier marked by a specific locket. As he walked away, Kaede questioned the promise's vagueness. Toru admitted the risks, but his empathy wouldn't let him refuse. With quiet resolve, the group departed. They carried both a royal mission and the hopes of a grieving mother. Paloa and Rin joined the group as guides, informing them that the checkpoint was 2 days away. Despite the journey ahead, they planned to camp before nightfall. Toru learned that the pair were closely tied to the royal family. Though their tone was harsh, he accepted their support for the mission. With warnings of dangerous monsters, tensions rose. Paloa remained smug while Rin doubted their resolve. Together, they marched toward battle, the nation's fate resting on their success. Toru's party entered the treacherous Eve mountain range, aiming to pass from Gridget to Greyfield. Kaede advanced ahead, summoning a swarm of icebirds to scout and control the air. Ambushed by a horde of monstrous insects, she launched precise attacks, eliminating clusters with sharp accuracy. After the battle, Kaede regrouped with the others. Toru acknowledged her swift action. With threats cleared, the team assessed the route. Though doubts lingered, they prepared to move forward through the now secured path, wary of what lay deeper in the range. Blocked roads and fading traffic forced the group onto a hidden shortcut now infested with monsters. As they pressed forward, the jagged path narrowed dangerously. Kaede nearly stumbled, but Toru caught her. Embarrassed yet sincere, he quietly asked to hold her hand, hoping to keep her steady. She accepted with a bright smile, walking beside him without hesitation. Their bond deepened. Meanwhile, the rest of the group squabbled behind, frustrated by the lack of seriousness. Despite the tension, they advanced, each one bracing for what awaited beyond the crags. Orlos approached Toru and revealed he had secretly appraised his stats during battle. Despite Toru's disguise ring, Orlos mocked his level, doubting his claim to the hero title. Toru calmly suggested evaluating the team as a whole, not by individual strength. Frustration grew among the group, but before it escalated, dark spheres dropped from above. A pack of monstrous armadillos crashed down, crushing stone and aiming to feast. Orlos and Rin leapt into action, determined to prove their strength against the deadly threat rolling their way. Orlos unleashed a flawless attack, striking the armored beasts with pinpoint force. Despite the hits, several monsters survived and rose again. Toru observed their coordinated counterattack. Rin darted forward, delivering swift, powerful blows that knocked 2 enemies down instantly. Her momentum didn't slow. With a spinning kick, she crushed a third, then launched another flurry. As Rin floored the fourth, Orlos followed with a finishing strike. The final monster fell, ending the threat. Together, their skills ensured the path remained clear for the party to advance. Toru observed the party's flawless movements. Recognizing their teamwork went beyond empty words. He watched silently as the group stood among defeated beasts, their strength having earned them a reputation in Gridget. The party returned, boasting of their easy win. Just as Toru began to relax, a sound above caught his attention. An enormous black-furred yeti crashed into view, its presence overwhelming. The party tensed. This was no ordinary threat. Instead of attacking, the creature began feasting on fallen monsters. Toru signaled caution, urging the others to retreat slowly and avoid provoking it. The team backed away quietly as the yeti feasted, hoping not to trigger its attention. Suddenly, it paused and rose. Tension spiked. The beast had finished eating and now turned toward them. An ambush began. Arrows failed to pierce its thick hide. Panic followed as the monster launched itself forward. Toru stepped up, placing himself in harm's way as the beast's massive body came crashing down. With one hand, he stopped the impact cold. Dust settled calmly. He remarked he didn't even need to draw his sword. The yeti launched into another charge, shaking the ground as it roared and closed the gap. Toru responded in an instant, leaping high and striking hard. The blow drove the beast back with brutal force. As the sun began to set, the group gathered their breath. Doubt lingered in some, but respect grew. Later at camp, warmth from the fire wrapped around them. Kaede served food while the others relaxed in silence. Laughter followed confusion. A frog in the stew. Strange or not, their bond deepened over the shared meal. Despite their initial doubts, the group found the meal surprisingly delicious. Each bite deepened their appreciation for Kaede's cooking. The next day began with clearer skies over the Eve Mountains. Calm returned, but danger lingered beyond the peaks. Marching onward, they prepared to reach a checkpoint near the demon tribe's territory. Everyone remained alert, eyes forward. Thick fog rolled in without warning. Toru stepped ahead cautiously until a warning cry froze him mid-step. Lying ahead were fallen soldiers from Grigit, their lifeless bodies sprawled across the cracked earth in eerie silence. Toru noted the decay. A week had passed since the first cleanup squad came through, and the corpses had worsened. With too many bodies to inspect, he activated his dragon eye, narrowing his focus for a faster search. A faint thread caught his vision, unusual and out of place. Sensing danger, he warned the team of possible enemy range. Arrows flew, one barely missed. Soldiers' bodies, thought lifeless, began to rise, moving with eerie coordination. Toru's expression hardened. The truth became clear. They were facing necromancy, dark magic that animated the dead. Undead soldiers burst forward, weapons raised. The party braced for impact as the narrow pass filled with rushing enemies. Toru and his allies prepared as the corpses surged forward, their armor clattering with hollow echoes. Arrows flew, and steel clashed, but the undead pressed on without fear. Blades met rotting flesh, yet the fallen refused to stay down. Toru's companions struggled to maintain formation as the swarm advanced relentlessly across the battlefield. Realizing brute strength was useless, Toru focused on strategy. He aimed for their weapons, shattering their arms and breaking their coordination. Kaede unleashed ice to halt their movement, buying precious seconds as others regrouped for defense. Toru observed faint threads connecting the corpses, evidence of necromancy. Understanding the source, he prepared to sever the control binding the dead. Toru lunged forward, slicing through the advancing corpses with precise, sweeping strikes. His movements cut arcs of light across the field, scattering enemies before they could regroup. He noticed thin threads controlling the undead. Realization struck, severing them made the corpses collapse instantly. However, the threads began reconnecting. Toru called out for Kaede, holding the horde in place while she unleashed her freezing magic to restrain them. Channeling power, Toru activated his skill, merging speed and strength. His body surged with energy as he charged forward. The battle ended when Kaede sealed the fallen in ice. With calm resolve, she whispered a prayer for the dead to rest in peace. Kaede unleashed her ultimate spell, summoning icy crosses that erupted from the ground and froze the battlefield solid. The frozen corpses stood motionless within the crystalline field. Toru surveyed the aftermath, certain the enemy could no longer move or reform. As the frost settled, the group examined the remains. Toru explained his method of revealing the magic threads, while Kaede sensed faint traces of lingering energy. Realization struck that such powerful necromancy must belong to one of the Demon King's generals. The team decided to move on before danger returned. Their path led toward a mountain checkpoint, where the next stage of their journey awaited in the mist. Far away, a cloaked necromancer felt his control vanish. The corpses he commanded had frozen mid-stride, and his long fingers trembled in surprise. Within his lair, the demon subordinates gathered. Reports confirmed the loss of contact, and a new order was issued to investigate the intruders. The necromancer obeyed the Demon King's will spare the hero's life, but crush his pride through suffering. Meanwhile, Toru's group recovered among the icy graves Kaede had created, ensuring no enemy stirred again. Exhausted yet determined, they treated their wounds and prepared to push deeper into the corpse-filled mountains. Toru handed out high potions, restoring his wounded allies. Within moments, their injuries vanished and morale returned to the group. Watching Kaede and Frau unharmed stirred admiration. Their strength and calm presence impressed even their skeptical comrade. Shifting his view of the team, a sudden noise echoed. Tension rose quickly as everyone turned toward the sound with weapons drawn and senses alert. A flash flood surged down the canyon. Toru shouted orders, and Kaede reacted fast, raising an ice wall to hold the water back. In the chaos, one of the demon commanders advanced, grinning with excitement as the real battle began. Kaede stood unshaken from the enemy's assault. Her opponent, confused by her resilience, realized he faced a member of the hero party. On the battlefield, roles split. The demoness chose Kaede as her opponent, intrigued by the beastfolk's strength, while her ally took on the rest. Tension grew between them. The enemy threatened to ruin Kaede's face, but Kaede remained calm, focused solely on defending her master. Toru thanked Kaede and Frau, entrusting the rear guard to them as he dashed forward with the others. He surged ahead, water parting beneath him, eyes locked on the next threat waiting up ahead. Toru dashed across the water's surface, his speed just enough to keep him from sinking. Enemies watched in disbelief at his impossible movement. Behind him, Kaede faced her own opponent. She prepared for a battle of magic as ice and water clashed between them. Massive boulders exploded across the cliff walls as the battlefield erupted into chaos. The terrain crumbled beneath their duel. Frau launched a flurry of rapid attacks. Her speed overwhelmed the demon soldier, who couldn't land a single clean hit. Despite the clash, Frau acknowledged her foe's strength, sensing the power expected from one of the general's elite. Then Frau's opponent unleashed a deadly technique, striking from all directions with spinning blades. She narrowed her eyes, preparing to respond. She countered with a powerful strike, blasting him into the cliffside. The impact left the enemy dazed and questioning her strength. Realizing he stood no chance in direct combat, he hesitated. Frau closed the distance, making it clear escape wasn't an option. Despite his injuries, the warrior declared his resolve. He would fight to the end, refusing to back down. Frau activated her buffs, increasing her speed and strength, ready to end the duel with full power. The enemy unleashed a smokescreen and activated dark magic, summoning dozens of shadow clones to overwhelm Frau. From all directions, the clones launched a wave attack. Each was tangible, making dodging impossible unless the original was found. Frau kept calm under pressure, channeling energy into her palm. A plan formed in her mind as she rushed forward. She activated her rare skill, Perception, sending a wave that stripped illusions and exposed hidden threats. The true enemy stood revealed. Caught off guard, he cursed her ability just as her counterattack closed in fast. With a thunderous force, Frau launched a mock swing, shattering the cliff face in a shockwave of destruction. Landing calmly, she admired the result. The hidden skill proved more effective than expected, clearing her path forward. Another ally watched from afar, confident in Frau's strength. Trusting her to handle the battle, they moved ahead. Kaede, facing her own opponent, prepared her final move. Determined, she aimed to end the fight with precision. Kaede harnessed the power of pure water. Gathering it around her with sharp intent, energy swirled violently, answering her call. She launched forward, blasting through the canyon with precision. While her opponent unleashed an aqua laser, Kaede countered with a blizzard sphere, ice against light. A massive whirlpool erupted as Kaede manipulated the terrain. Shards of frozen energy shot outward, shielding her from harm. Despite repeated attacks, her enemy's magic faltered. Kaede remained calm, prepared to strike back with full control. Without pause, she summoned a towering iceberg. The impact sent her opponent flying, overwhelmed by her overwhelming force. Kaede rose above the battlefield, surrounded by shimmering orbs. Her opponent called upon the water spirit for protection, sensing a surge of danger. Crystals launched through the air as Kaede fired a crystal bullet. Her foe countered with Aqua Guard, but the shield buckled under the pressure. Shockwaves rippled across the icy terrain. As the vortex subsided, Kaede landed, scanning the still waters for signs of movement. She approached slowly. Her presence alone revealed the vast gap in magical skill, the broken ice reflecting the weakened enemy. Recognizing the slave mark, Kaede questioned her enemy's loyalty. The demon offered freedom with a sinister smile and a hidden promise. Kaede stood firm, facing the demon's question. She rejected the offer of freedom, not out of loyalty to humans, but because her bond was chosen. Her hand touched the mark on her chest. Calmly, she declared her master's name with pride. The demon, unable to comprehend such devotion, screamed in frustration. A powerful spell, Aquafall, was cast with tremendous force. The demon aimed to crush Kaede beneath a raging sphere of water. She countered instantly with Free's hand. Ice formed in giant claws, pushing back the overwhelming force. Steam erupted. The boiling water threatened to burn everything. Still, Kaede charged forward, freezing it, all before it reached her. Kaede unleashed her seal, a towering force of frost that cooled even boiling water. The intense heat began to fade under her spell's reach. An enormous frozen tree rose from the battlefield. She stepped forward, unwavering, as steam curled gently in the air. The demon mage, now encased in ice, managed a weak smile. Kaede, exhausted, acknowledged her own limit. She summoned a flower-shaped ice sculpture in tribute. Meanwhile, Toro and his team neared a fortress checkpoint. Tension remained high despite the silence around them. On the walls above, the elite demon unit waited. Their strength was unmistakable, and the real battle hadn't even begun. Toro stood before the watchful demon guards. They questioned his strength, unsure if he was truly the hero who overcame Rose's magic. Dismissive, the demons mocked him for leaving his allies. Confident, Toro revealed nothing, aware the fight had only begun. From the shadows emerged Rose, the corpse controller. His arrival shifted the atmosphere. A powerful presence filled the air. Rose demanded answers. Was this man the hero? Toro's calm gaze didn't waver under pressure. With steady resolve, he rejected the title. He was no hero, just a man on a mission, standing in defiance of evil. From atop the fortress, Rose revealed his orders. He awaited the hero, acting on the demon lord's command. Toro listened, unfazed by the declaration. As they exchanged words, Toro realized Rose was baiting him for information. He denied knowing the hero's whereabouts, masking his true role. Rose's expression darkened. Without hesitation, he summoned his undead troops. Blades drawn, the corpses leapt forward to kill and claim Toro's body. Toro ordered his allies to retreat. Standing alone, he drew his blade. His focus didn't waver as the undead surrounded him. A deadly volley of knives flew toward him. With a flash in his eye, he activated True Dragon Eye, ready to counter instantly. Toro deflected a flurry of knives midair, blades whirling as he countered each strike with calm precision. Spinning swiftly, he struck down the approaching enemies. Not one corpse soldier managed to land a blow. More undead closed in. He met their charge with unmatched speed, breaking the ground beneath them in a single clash. With a rising sweep, Toru activated Dragon Dance, launching multiple attackers into the air while staying light on his feet. Ignoring an incoming threat, he kicked a foe away. The force sent the enemy crashing through rubble without slowing his advance. Toru reacted instantly, countering an aerial attack with a crushing blow. His blade drove deep, halting the ambusher mid-flight. More enemies swarmed from all sides. He met each one with swift strikes and unshakable precision, landing blows before they could react. Jumping high, he slammed his sword down into the earth. The impact shattered stone and sent enemies flying in all directions. Remaining foes stared in disbelief. Toru stood tall, barely winded. The chaos around him was evidence of unmatched power. Silence followed. The surviving attackers froze, unsure whether to continue or flee from the overwhelming force before them. He stood among fallen enemies, his presence overwhelming. Shock spread through the remaining soldiers as they realized no reinforcements were needed despite the earlier deception. Then he revealed no fear. Rose's rage boiled over as he accused him of lying. Toru stood firm among rubble surrounded by foes. One step forward, only to be ensnared by black tendrils. The captured enemy thrashed, powerless. As the spell crushed him, Toru watched silently while his opponent was eliminated. His allies hesitated, sensing overwhelming magic. Toru ordered them back, aware the true fight was beginning. A dark sorcerer, grinning with menace, spoke with confidence. He mocked Toru, warning that these new undead were not the same. Dozens of floating corpses surrounded the battlefield. With sword drawn, Toru faced the encroaching undead army without fear. The dark mage activated forbidden necromancy. Undead warriors floated lifelessly as Toru braced for impact. With a heavy swing, Toru repelled the first wave. Yet the weight of each enemy shocked him, enhanced beyond normal limits. Blades clashed in rapid succession. Despite landing clean hits, Toru struggled as undead soldiers countered with brute force. Suddenly, attackers burst from beneath. Caught off guard, Toru barely dodged as a spear narrowly missed his side. A hulking foe lunged, mace swinging. Toru leapt just in time, the ground exploding where he stood moments earlier. Kneeling among rubble, Toru watched dozens of undead descend. Their movements felt sharper, faster than before. A coordinated charge erupted. Behind them, the mage controlled them directly, his commands now more efficient and deadly. With Toru overwhelmed, the necromancer targeted the remaining allies. As fear rose, one tried to lighten the mood, awkwardly joking before the enemy closed in. Just as the assault reached its peak, a massive explosion engulfed the undead. Shattered limbs filled the air. Toru stepped forward, confident and calm. He clenched his fist, prepared to finish everything with a single decisive strike. The necromancer shifted tactics, directing undead to flank Paloa and Rin. Toru realized the trap too late. Just as the pair prepared to defend, Fro crashed in with a massive hammer, sending enemies flying. Reunited, the group rallied. Toru praised Fro's timing, and the mood lightened briefly despite the chaos. With resolve, Toru activated a powerful dual-class ability, entrusting the others with defense as he advanced alone. From above, the necromancer unleashed another wave. His demonic eye glowed, warning that stronger minions still awaited. Surrounded again, Toru moved without hesitation. His blade cleaved through the undead with swift, precise strikes. To the necromancer's shock, Toru vanished and reappeared behind him in an instant, too fast to react. A devastating upward slash forced the enemy midair. Toru's momentum continued, his expression cold and determined. From above, he launched a fierce final blow. The necromancer screamed, barely able to defend as steel flashed. The clash ended in an explosive impact below. Toru descended like lightning, delivering the decisive strike that shook the battlefield. Standing before the smoke and rubble, Toru observed the aftermath. Though the necromancer had escaped, his plan had been shattered. His companions celebrated the narrow victory. The fallen undead now lay motionless across the battlefield. Far ahead, a fox-eared warrior raced toward them from several kilometers away. Sensing something ominous, she halted, stunned by the sight of dozens of new corpses, floating eerily toward a single point in the sky. Toru and his allies looked up in horror. The bodies they had defeated were rising once more, drawn by a darker force. Toru recognized the cursed weapon too late. A massive wave of dark energy erupted, spiraling from the wreckage. From the center burst a monstrous centipede-like creature. The group scrambled as the cliff walls crumbled from its emergence. Before them rose the true horror, a grotesque fusion of limbs, bones, and darkness, the king of the undead. While Toru's team braced for combat, the necromancer declared his irreversible transformation, driven by a final command from the Demon King. Far away, the capital of Levelus stood unaware, now facing the looming threat of total annihilation. A towering monster loomed over the battlefield, its grotesque form threatening to raze the capital. Determined to stop the chaos, Toru and his allies formed a defensive line, strategizing to target the creature's weak point. They discovered the enemy's true core, hidden within its head shielded by layers of corrupted flesh. Without hesitation, Toru launched forward, sword drawn, aiming directly for the exposed head with unwavering focus. In a swift assault, he struck the core, sending the beast crashing down as dust and silence overtook the battlefield. Toru approached the orb containing the host, ready to strike, but something about the response felt off. Suddenly, grotesque monsters burst forth, launching a fierce counterattack that shattered the ground beneath him. Just as Toru faltered, a companion intervened with a sharp strike to defend him from the enemy's charge. Though injured, Toru assured her he could continue, while the monstrous general mocked him from afar. It was then revealed the host was a mere decoy, able to shift its position freely within the demon's colossal body. Toru realized even with enhanced perception, locating the true body within the monster was impossible. The enemy shifted tactics, generating numerous clones, each one moderately strong but dangerous in number. Calculating their speed, Toru grasped the threat. These creatures could reach the capital in a day if left unchecked. The clones surged forward, forcing Toru's team to split up and intercept them before they could escape. Though they cut through dozens, the real enemy watched calmly, knowing mere copies wouldn't be enough to stop them. Toru's allies were overwhelmed, caught off guard by the clones' ferocity, as one fell under a brutal strike. Reacting swiftly, Toru launched a devastating blow into the enemy's side, halting their advance with sheer force. Debris flew as monstrous flesh scattered, but Toru was suddenly grabbed, pinned down by relentless creatures. While struggling, he noticed one undead whispering familiar words, triggering deep confusion and shock. Recognition dawned. The pendant it wore was identical to one from a grieving woman he had met before. Toru stood before the grotesque mass of flesh, once soldiers now fused into a tormented entity. Cries echoed from the twisted forms, begging for release elsewhere. His comrades braced for an attack. Surrounded by monstrous figures, they struggled to remain standing after the relentless ambush. The defenders began to falter. Despite reinforcements, the enemy's strength overwhelmed them. Panic spread as the monsters charged toward the city walls. A sudden blizzard of ice tore through the battlefield. Kaede's magic froze the advancing creatures, halting their assault instantly. Behind the shattered wall, Toru burst forth, striking the enemy core. His allies watched as the tide finally turned. Victory approached. Toru called his team to regroup. With blades drawn and magic prepared, the Wandering Brigade faced their next battle without hesitation. They confirmed the path ahead was secure. Toru praised Kaede's performance, lifting her spirits, while the others followed closely behind. As the group reunited, tension faded, but a grotesque beast emerged, declaring itself immortal and capable of producing endless clones. They debated strategies. Freezing it entirely might fail, and its real body was deeply hidden. Toru hinted at a new plan. A revelation struck him. One of the absorbed bodies reacted emotionally. Someone's soul remained conscious inside the monster. Toru suspected the soldiers' souls were still trapped within the creature's body. He proposed they might be summoned or freed. Determined, he vowed to defeat the monster by borrowing the strength of those fallen warriors. Kaede and the others agreed with his plan. Their resolve strengthened as they prepared for the decisive attack. The monster retaliated violently, whipping its body through the air. The team held their ground, readying their counterstrike. Frau struck first with her hammer. Kaede followed up, chaining the beast in ice. Toru coordinated their moves precisely. Chains of ice bound the monstrous body, but its strength pushed back. Toru poured more power into the restraint, his vision sharpening. Activating his hidden ability, he used True Dragon Eye, a skill to perceive the unseen. The creature's spiritual core became visible. Darkness radiated from within. He could now hear the voices of countless fallen soldiers crying out in anguish and sorrow. Toru shouted toward the souls trapped inside, calling out for Gridget's soldiers to reveal the enemy's core. Despite the villain's mockery, Toru pressed on, desperate for a response from the imprisoned spirits. Toru shouted with fierce resolve, demanding the soldiers trapped inside the beast remember their pride and stand against their fate. Memories awakened. Visions of loved ones and home flooded their hearts, breaking the chains of despair. United by a single desire to return, they cried out in unison. The monster stirred, its grip weakening. The enemy faltered. Its body no longer obeyed as the spirits within fought back from inside. Light burst forth from its core. As the soldiers reached for their tormentor, the creature screamed, overwhelmed by their final vengeful unity. With a powerful leap, Toru unleashed his ultimate technique, slashing through the monster's core in a single arc. The enemy's body convulsed under the impact, its chains snapping as light erupted from the wound. Debris scattered. As the battlefield cleared, Toru watched the defeated enemy fall, his expression calm and resolute. After a fierce battle, Toru and his companions stood before the raging flames. The remains of their fallen foes burned, marking the end of a long struggle. Even after the spell was lifted, the dead could not return. Watching the fire consume everything, Toru felt the weight of their loss. He knelt, whispering an unspoken promise to those who had perished. Without hesitation, he dashed toward the fire. The others shouted, but Toru ignored them. Determination replaced fear as he pushed through the scorching heat. Amid the ashes, he found a locket proof of a memory not yet lost. Toru clenched his fist, locket in hand. He couldn't explain it, but something beyond skill had guided him to it, perhaps a strong will that reached across death. The flames finally settled. Their mission was complete, and the team prepared to return to the capital. Back in the royal hall, shock filled the air. News of the demon army's defeat in just 4 days left nobles speechless. Even the queen admitted disbelief. Yet the knights vouched for Toru's strength without hesitation. Though the king hesitated, he agreed to verify the claim. Toru waited calmly as the court scrambled for confirmation. Toru asked the minister to retrieve the fallen soldiers' belongings. He requested that anything identifiable be returned to their families. Before they could leave, the queen stopped him with another request. A new task awaited before rest. She needed someone found. Toru agreed, and the search led into the quiet streets of the capital. In a small home, an elderly woman moved quietly through her evening routine, unaware of what was coming. Opening a box, she froze. The matching lockets lay inside, proof that her loved ones had reached her, even in absence. Rain fell silently as the elderly woman wept. Tears mixed with gratitude as she whispered thanks to the hero. Toru walked the quiet streets alone. A small smile formed. He had fulfilled a promise without expecting anything in return. The next morning, he declared a day of rest. His team gladly welcomed the break, though peace was short-lived. A messenger from the queen arrived unexpectedly. Another summons pulled Toru from his brief reprieve. By afternoon, a parade unfolded in his honor. Cheers filled the street, but Toru could only sigh at the royal overkill. The queen praised Toru's achievements, amazed he had defeated the demon army in just 4 days. Despite the lavish praise, Toru remained composed. The queen, however, struggled to hide her personal admiration. She formally offered a generous reward. Though a grand ceremony was skipped, the gesture was sincere. A mountain of gold was presented, along with a promise to build a private residence in the capital. Toru hesitated. Though the reward was welcome, a permanent home felt distant. He and his companions still had a journey to continue. Faced with the queen's intimidating smile, Toru reluctantly accepted her generous offer, masking his unease. The group arrived at their newly gifted residence, an enormous estate that left them speechless. Even the garden was grand. Toru raised concerns about upkeep but was assured the kingdom would handle it all. Inside, the luxurious interior overwhelmed them. Despite his initial doubts, Toru couldn't deny its appeal. Before departing, the attendant handed over the keys and promised further support. Toru appreciated the gesture, realizing their journey now had a home to return to. Toru and Kaede began exploring the mansion. Entering the dining hall, they were stunned by the number of chairs. Alone, Toru reflected, this house might be the perfect place to wait for allies, for destiny, or just for peace. Kaede called out, urging him to explore more. He smiled, reassured by her cheerfulness, and followed without complaint. Later, Toru unleashed his energy through intense training, pushing his body with relentless focus. Freed from the watchful eyes of others, he finally tested his limits naked and uninhibited. Determined to strengthen both body and resolve, Toru trained freely, celebrating the luxury of privacy. The sheer freedom of the estate felt unreal. His joy was short-lived. Kaede entered the room unexpectedly, catching him mid-exercise and fully exposed. She panicked and fled. Toru scrambled to shut the door, mortified by the accident. Elsewhere, new visitors arrived. They discussed Toru's strength, acknowledging his unmatched power and unorthodox lifestyle. As Kaede rushed past, embarrassed, one of the guests recognized her. A lighthearted moment followed, breaking the tension of the earlier chaos. Toru's guest approached his room, joking about the lively nature of his party. One of them opened the door without knocking. Inside, Toru stood frozen naked, mid-sprint. His training session had turned into another embarrassing encounter. After a tense pause, the door shut. Toru muttered to himself, frustrated that he'd been caught again in such a state. Meanwhile, the others regrouped downstairs. To avoid further awkwardness, they decided to wait while Toru composed himself, far away. Another group pressed through the forest, determined to reach the rumored fairy village ahead. The team grew tense as confusion deepened. One member questioned if they were circling the same path. Emotions flared, and a sudden outburst broke their focus. Tempers cooled slightly as they agreed to rest. The elf village's destruction weighed heavily on their plans. Priorities began to shift. A strategy formed: if they gained the fairies' cooperation, they could reach their goal faster and defeat Roses more efficiently. However, arrogance took hold. The young leader mocked the fairies, seeing them only as tools. His words invited swift punishment without warning. A magical blow sent him flying. The fairies emerged, angered but watching. A swarm of fairies appeared in the forest, surrounding a fierce-looking elder wielding a large hammer. His stern gaze locked onto the intruders. Furious, the man pointed at the group, his words accusing. One of the adventurers, clutching his bruised nose, glared back with rising anger. Tension surged. The young man summoned his energy, preparing to retaliate. His comrades readied their weapons behind him. The fairies charged forward. Both sides braced for an intense clash.